Roar. Fang Yuan opened his dragon mouth and shot out his sword-light dragon breath. The dragon breath was like waves of silvery lightning, shooting out towards Feng Gu at incredible speed. Feng Gu continued to dodge with Yang Pastun. But usually after he uses Yang Pastun killer move, it would imply that Song Warrior was up next. Both sides fought from underground to the sky. They fought as they retreated and advanced. The dragon roared as drums rolled. Green Jade Song Warrior. Along the way, Feng Gu summoned a clone. The Jade clone charged at the ancient sword dragon. Feng Gu relied on Yang Pastun to gain an advantage in movement, and with his rich battle experience and calm analytical mind, he did not fail the activation of a single killer move. Fang Yuan snorted internally. He charged at Feng Gu without feeling distracted. Feng Gu knew that the Green Jade Song Warrior was not Fang Yuan's match. It could not break his reverse flow protection seal in the first place. Without getting past this, there was no way of defeating Fang Yuan. Thus, Feng Gu controlled the Green Jade Song Warrior mainly to distract Fang Yuan. The Green Jade Song Warrior was like a fly moving around Fang Yuan, disrupting his movements. After a while, Fang Yuan could not take the disturbance anymore and turned around to deal with the Green Jade Song Warrior. Feng Jiu's pupil shrank. Fang Yuan had changed targets too quickly, but Feng Gu responded rapidly as well. Fang Yuan arrived at the Green Jade Song Warrior, the huge ancient sword dragon body against the small Green Jade Song Warrior. The dragon roared as intense winds blew. Its ruthless dragon claws slashed at the Green Jade Song Warrior. Cracks started to surface on the Green Jade Song Warrior's body. There was a crisp sound as it was sent flying like a cannonball. But the Green Jade Song Warrior was not on the verge of breaking down yet. It was still able to fight. Crafty. Fang Yuan snorted coldly. In the earlier skirmish, the Green Jade Song Warrior did not attack. It was taking hits passively. Thus, reverse flow protection seal could not reflect any attacks back to it. Just the ancient sword dragon's claws alone could not shatter the Green Jade Song Warrior. After all, Feng Gu had rank 8 level Dao marks. The Green Jade Song Warrior's defense was at the top of his Song Warriors. After sending the Green Jade Song Warrior flying, Fang Yuan turned to Feng Gu. But at this time, Feng Gu had already unleashed his second Song Warrior, Heaven and Earth Song Warrior. After dozens of rounds, Feng Gu continued to dodge with Yang Pastun, while summoning Song Warriors to fight Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan fought against 5 enemies, but he was still energetic and full of fighting spirit. Feng Gu could not help but retreat continuously. What is going on? Fang Yuan was at his limit activating reverse flow protection seal last time. But now, he can maintain both reverse flow protection seal and ancient sword dragon transformation, while fighting for such a long time, and he is still not at his limit. Feng Gu had a deep gaze. He purposely used Song Warrior to create a complex battle environment, so that Fang Yuan would need to think constantly and expend his thoughts to deal with these problems. If Fang Yuan was barely using these 2 killer moves, he would not have enough thoughts in his mind. He would not be able to display such great strength now. This means he had an incredible breakthrough in terms of sustaining killer moves. Feng Gu guessed. At this moment, Fang Yuan's body shook. Feng Gu was paying great attention to Fang Yuan. He saw this and turned joyful. Don't tell me. He reached his limit? But at the next moment, Feng Gu tossed this thought away into the bin. Because Fang Yuan activated Immortal killer move, Myriad Dragon. At once, dragons flew and formed into a silvery sea. Their aura was grand and imposing. It was a terrifying sight. A scene similar to earlier appeared again. Myriad dragons flew as the 4 Song Warriors were encircled and attacked. The 4 Song Warriors were outmatched and destroyed. Feng Gu ignored them. He used Yang Pastun to escape from the Myriad dragon's range. Yang Pastun's time limit was not up yet. Feng Gu had a lot of room to maneuver. Then what about this move? He looked at the Myriad dragon group. Fang Yuan was mixed inside. He could not be found. Next, Feng Gu placed his right palm on his left chest, by his heart. Next, his 5 fingers strung on his chest, creating light and deep drumming sounds. Thud thud thud. The drumming continued, spreading to the entire battlefield. Feng Gu did not need to discern who Fang Yuan was among the dragons. Because this Immortal killer move was an area attack, it had a huge range. Fang Yuan was within the range of the attack. He was immediately affected. His heart started pounding as he felt his momentum going out of control. Fang Yuan was shocked. After all, he had reverse flow protection seal's defense, but he could not block this Immortal killer move. No, most of the effect of the killer move was reflected back. Only a small bit penetrated the seal and got to me. It seems that Heavenly Court has obtained some gains in deciphering reverse flow protection seal killer move. Fang Yuan sighed internally. There was no helping it. He had already used reverse flow protection seal multiple times. Heavenly Court had Wisdom Path great experts like Fairy Ziwei, together with Star Constellation chessboard. It was not strange she had such advancement. Boom boom boom. Following the loud sounds, the dragons around Fang Yuan started to self-detonate, exploding into nothingness. This immortal killer move chaotic heart drumming sound was given to me by Heavenly Court. It has Wisdom Path effects. Once hit by it, the Gu Immortals' thoughts will be disrupted. Their killer moves would not be sustainable. Fang Yuan, how long can you last? Feng Gu was in anticipation. An impressive killer move, it was designed to target me. Fang Yuan considered the effects of this incredible move. Right now, in the sovereign immortal aperture, large numbers of human-shaped myriad self-clones were self-detonating. The number of clones destroyed surpassed the number of his myriad dragons. Looking at them, the myriad self-clones were different from before. Their appearance was much more lively, and they even had vivid expressions. At this moment, they were sitting on the ground, thinking deeply. After being hit by chaotic heart drumming sound, these myriad self-clones self-detonated as they turned into white smoke and faded. After adding in self-will, these myriad self-clones gained wisdom path cognition, but this made them susceptible to Feng Jiuji's killer move. Fang Yuan placed a portion of his attention into the sovereign immortal aperture, looking at his losses. Almost every breath of time, dozens of myriad self-clones died. However, these vanishing myriad self-clones were not harmed by Feng Jiuji's killer move. Most of them died from sustaining my reverse flow protection seal and ancient sword dragon transformation. When I activated myriad dragon earlier, 1,000 of my myriad self-clones died after all. That's right. The reason why Fang Yuan was able to use reverse flow protection seal along with other killer moves was because of these myriad self-clones in the sovereign immortal aperture. All along, Fang Yuan had been troubled by this. Even though reverse flow protection seal was powerful, it took too much of his concentration and mental energy. While fighting against Feng Gu, he was inspired by Song Warrior. He had an idea. I also have myriad self-clones. If I can make these clones think for me, my battle strength would rise sharply. There were two difficulties in achieving this. The first problem was that myriad self-clones could not think. To think, he would need to use wisdom path thoughts, wills, or emotions. The second problem was that even with a large number of thoughts, wills, and emotions, after dispersing them into his clones, it could not collectively benefit him alone. Fang Yuan's first breakthrough in this was using self-love Immortal Gu and affection Immortal Gu. These two were very compatible. Fang Yuan supplemented them with a few Mortal Gu to form an immortal killer move that produced a vast amount of self-will. The second difficulty was solved by Fang Yuan using a method from Purple Mountain True Monarch's inheritance, immortal killer move, collective thinking. Of course, even though these two problems were solved, Fang Yuan still had to rely on his Wisdom Path Grandmaster attainment level to modify Myriad Self to a whole new level. Feng Gu, your killer move is not enough. Fang Yuan snickered in his heart. Because he had prepared amply before the battle. He had prepared more than 1,000,000 myriad self-clones in his sovereign immortal aperture. The death of a few thousand was inconsequential. Immortal killer move, 3 breaths, future vision. Immortal killer move, myriad dragon. Immortal killer move, sword marks targeting death. At once, the aura of countless Gu worms emerged from Fang Yuan's body. These auras were messy and disorganized. Countless mortal Gu and a large number of immortal Gu flew out and created a grand arrangement. How can this be? Feng Gu was utterly shocked. Fang Yuan can use so many immortal killer moves at the same time. He was completely taken aback. It was unimaginable. He had always thought that Fang Yuan could only barely activate 2 or 3 killer moves. He was at his limit already. But seeing this now, Feng Gu finally realized that Fang Yuan's improvement in this aspect was so huge that it went beyond his imagination. This weakness that Fang Yuan had earlier was no longer a weakness. It was a huge strength that he had now. There were many clones remaining from the first Myriad Dragon killer move. After using it again, a silvery sea of dragons appeared again. 3 breaths future vision allowed Fang Yuan to have sharp senses, while sword marks targeting death was boosted by his sword path down marks. It was a huge threat to Feng Gu as well. Feng Gu gritted his teeth. He advanced instead of retreating, charging into the dragon group. Bam bam bam. A thunderous explosion resounded in the surroundings. Feng Gu rampaged within the Myriad Dragon group. He was increasingly shocked now. It was not a fluke. Fang Yuan has complete control now. He has not even used his full strength yet. I cannot stay here. I need to leave. While Yang Pass Tune was still activated, Feng Gu decided to retreat. He was actually forced to retreat by Fang Yuan alone. Chapter 1427. Planning to obtain Red Lotus True, meaning the orange light shone on Feng Gu and faded immediately. This meant that Feng Jiuji's immortal killer move, Yang Pass Tune, had reached its time limit. He had to wait 14 hours to use it again now. But that was not important. Feng Gu had already left the battlefield. Yang Pass Tune's time limit no longer mattered. This central continent genius rarely seen in 1,000 years landed on the ground slowly as he looked at the sky. He still had an elegant face, but he was frowning now. A long while later, he sighed deeply. Truly an amazing person. He was naturally not talking about himself, but Fang Yuan instead. Some time ago, Fang Yuan was still an ant in Feng Jiuji's eyes. Not long ago, even though Fang Yuan gathered the strength of a group of immortals, he could not match Feng Gu. He had to retreat. But in the earlier battle, Feng Gu was outmatched and had to retreat from the battlefield. This change was too rapid. Feng Gu could not believe it even now. Fang Yuan had deep foundations to begin with. He was reborn from the future and possesses Spring Autumn Cicada, Giant Sun's true inheritance, and is now the leader of Shadow Sect, possessing Spectral Soul Demon Venerable's accumulation. He is like a dormant volcano. Given enough time, he would erupt with lava that gushes towards the heavens. His eruption this time was not a fluke, it was bound to happen. Such a person truly needs to be killed with all our strength to prevent future trouble. But Heavenly Court is trying to make use of him to obtain Red Lotus true inheritance. This is quite unwise. For the first time, Feng Gu felt doubts and disagreement with Heavenly Court's plan. In Heavenly Court, Fairy Ziwei was thinking. She watched the earlier battle through Feng Gu. Fang Yuan's battle strength surged. Not only did Feng Gu feel shocked, even this great wisdom path great expert was startled. A similar emotion to Feng Gu emerged in Fairy Ziwei as well. Fang Yuan's foundation was too deep. He was related to 3 venerables. And with his rebirth advantage, he only spent a number of years to become a Gu immortal from immortal. And more than that, after the earlier battle, he fought Feng Gu evenly. He was someone that even rank 8 existences could not ignore. His improvement was too rapid. If he only had fortuitous encounters, like Huang Yuan, so be it. That was not worth worrying over. The scary thing was Fang Yuan's personality. Such a demonic path cultivator with deep ambitions, along with his lack of any weak point in morality, he had always worked his hardest without giving up or feeling dejected. He could endure hardship and could keep a low profile to achieve his goals, taking no account of sacrifices or immoral methods. It was hard to imagine what experiences turned him into this person. Since rebirth, Fang Yuan had been mostly under Heaven's will's control. After the Battle of Etian Mountain, he tried to leave the grasp of Heaven's will, but he exposed himself in the dream realm. His cultivation journey has always been filled with difficulties and hurdles. If he is given some time to cultivate in peace, his growth and strength would be unimaginable. Wariness. Fairy Ziwei started to feel a trace of wariness towards Fang Yuan in her heart. Fang Yuan's existence was a threat to her now. She wanted to eliminate him. The earlier she could eliminate him, the better. Thinking like this, Fairy Ziwei's killing intent rose sharply. Ziwei, don't be so nervous. At this moment, a low voice entered Fairy Ziwei's ears. She had a deep impression of this voice. She turned around and saw Duke Long indeed. Lord Duke Long, you are out of seclusion. Fairy Ziwei was surprised and overjoyed. Duke Long smiled. Yes. That means Spectral Soul has been. That's right. I suppressed him completely already. But it is troublesome to soul search him. I need some time to have any effect. Duke Long smiled lightly. Ah. Fairy Ziwei had a happy expression. Her eyes were shining with life. Such great news made her mood better. She was no longer as stressed as before. Duke Long continued. Compared to Red Lotus true inheritance, Fang Yuan is really nothing. But he is a complete otherworldly demon. Fairy Ziwei hesitated. That is because you do not understand Red Lotus Demon Venerable. Duke Long sighed. Deep feelings were contained in his words. Red Lotus set up 7 true inheritances, but our Heavenly Court could not find one with all our efforts. Spectral Soul Demon Venerable obtained one of them. As long as we have this clue, we can find the rest of Red Lotus true inheritances and get rid of them all. I understand, Lord Duke Long. Fairy Ziwei had a solemn gaze. We have a time path rank 8, Feng Gu, and 2 more rank 8s in the River of Time now. What do you think of that? Duke Long smiled. You are the Wisdom Path Great Grandmaster, not me. I am assured if you are the person arranging it. Next, I will mentor the Great Era's Great Dream Immortal Venerable. Oh right, announce to the world that we have captured Spectral Soul alive. Heavenly Court has stayed silent for too long. It is time for the world to know that Heavenly Court will always be the #1 super force in the world. I understand. Fairy Ziwei sighed deeply, watching as Duke Long took his leave. Western Desert. Inside the self-cleansing Immortal Gu formation, Fang Yuan was concentrating in the sovereign Immortal Aperture. Inside the Immortal Aperture, there was also an active Immortal Gu formation. Compared to the self-cleansing formation, This immortal formation was far smaller, but it still had two core Immortal Gu. One was a wisdom path Immortal Gu from Purple Mountain True Monarch's inheritance. The other was bloodline Immortal Gu from Wu clan. Along with thousands of Mortal Gu, an Immortal Gu formation was formed, Blood Red Immortal Essence Formation. Large numbers of Immortal Essence stones were sent into the Immortal formation and turned into red date Immortal Essence beads rapidly. Fang Yuan was replenishing his Immortal Essence storage. In the earlier battle, even though he forced Feng Gu to retreat, he had expended a lot of Immortal Essence. His biggest expenditure came from Reverse Flow Protection Seal, followed by Myriad Dragon. The new Myriad Self-Killer move also had higher expenditure than before, because he was using Self-Love Immortal Gu and Affection, these two Immortal Gu, to produce self-wills. This was not a disadvantage. Stronger Immortal Killer moves used more Immortal Essence. It was common sense. But this was Fang Yuan's weakness. Fang Yuan had become a rank 7 only recently. He did not have much accumulation. Because of worries about the Immortal Aperture's calamities and tribulations, his Immortal Aperture's rate of time had also slowed to its limit. Blood Red Immortal Essence formation was very efficient. Soon, Fang Yuan used up all of the Immortal Essence stones he obtained from Wu clan. Fang Yuan also sent the Immortal Essence stones he obtained from Langya's sect into the Blood Red Immortal Essence formation. His Red Date Immortal Essence storage gradually rose again. My battle strength rose. I am on par with Feng Gu now. The only flaw is that Myriad Self needs prior preparation. If I am caught in a surprise battle, it would be a problem. Against Feng Gu, Fang Yuan could take a risk and activate Myriad Self in battle. But against rank 8 Gu Immortals, Fang Yuan would need to use Reverse Flow Protection Seal immediately. That way, if he activated Reverse Flow Protection Seal without Myriad Self's help, he could not use other killer moves anymore. He would only be able to take a beating passively. When the investigative killer move is completely removed, I should head to the tributary of the River of Time and obtain Red Lotus True Inheritance. Even though Spectral Soul Demon, Venerable took that true inheritance, the true meaning of Red Lotus in it is endless. If I can obtain it, I will raise my time path attainment level to at least Grandmaster level. In Shadow Sect's information, Western Desert had 2 tributaries of the River of Time in their control. But earlier, Fang Yuan already used up one to set a trap for Heavenly Court. Only one was left now. And this tributary of the River of Time was Fang Yuan's target now. Right now, Central Continent was somewhere Fang Yuan could not enter. As for Southern Border, he was currently pursued by Wu clan and others. In Northern Plains, Longevity Heaven and the Huang tribes would attack him. Only in Western Desert and Eastern Sea did Fang Yuan have less pressure moving about. Of course, he could go to Eastern Sea, but to get there, he would need to get past either Central Continent, Northern Plains, or Southern Border. Eastern Sea had tributaries of the River of Time, but compared to going there, Fang Yuan might as well try to use the one in Western Desert instead. This sky was extremely wide. It was filled with bright red light, as if the entire sky was filled with an aurora. Originally, there was nothing here, but now, a giant Immortal Gu formation was floating around. This Immortal Gu formation gave off the grand aura of Time Path. It was evidently a Time Path Immortal Gu formation. Inside this formation, Fang Yuan, Bai Ning Bing, He Lu Lan, Fairy Miao Yin, Lady White Rabbit, and Ing Wu Xia were waiting vigilantly. This Time Path Immortal Gu formation had been activated for a long time. It used rank 7 Year Gu as the core, with supplementary rank 8 Time Path Immortal Gu years flow like water. Not all Immortal Formations cores were necessarily the higher rank Gu. For example, this Immortal Gu formation had rank 8 years flow like water as the supplementary Immortal Gu instead. This Immortal Gu formation came from He Fan's true inheritance. Its main purpose was to connect with the tributary of the River of Time in the Immortal Aperture, sending out the aura of rank 7 Year Gu and rank 8 years flow like water to lure in year beasts. This Immortal formation was named as the Immemorial Year Beast Fishing Formation by He Fan. The name was quite interesting. Others fished for fish, while He Fan fished for year beasts, and in fact, he went after Immemorial Year Beasts. Ever since He Fan created rank 8 years flow like water, he had learned about the flaw of this Immortal Gu. Its aura was too tempting to Immemorial Year Beasts. It could possibly cause Immemorial Year Beasts to enter his Immortal Aperture by following the scent of the Immortal Gu using the tributary of the River of Time. Thus, He Fan tried many ways and thought of many solutions. He first thought of the Time Path Immortal Gu formation that Fang Yuan had used earlier on Feng Gu, causing him to be trapped in the River of Time. This formation could destroy the tributary of the River of Time and sealed the time in his Immortal Aperture to prevent Immemorial Year Beasts from coming in. However, there was a huge weakness in that. Once the time no longer moved, all resources could not grow. Gu worms also could not be used in the Immortal aperture, because activating any Gu worm needed time, even if it was only an instant. Any progress required time. Thus, once this method was used, the Gu Immortal would have to move the Gu worms out of the Immortal aperture and host them in their body. This was very dangerous. Especially in battle, it was easy for them to get destroyed by the enemy. Fan was extremely talented. He created this move only as a last resort. But he was not satisfied with it. He continued researching. He soon found that as long as an immemorial year beast lived in his Immortal aperture, other immemorial year beasts would sense it and think that this was the territory of the immemorial year beast. Even if years flow like water was extremely attractive, other immemorial year beasts would not try and barge in. Thus, Fan first thought of a way to mimic the aura of an immemorial year beast. But his transformation path attainment level was just ordinary. He did not succeed. Next, he considered nurturing his own immemorial year beasts. But his grotto heaven was not large. It was already filled with resources. It was hard to create an environment for an immemorial year beast to live. Furthermore, to nurture an immemorial year beast, he would need to start by raising ancient year beasts. Treasure Yellow Heaven did not sell immemorial year beasts after all. And this process needed too much time. Fan already had little lifespan left at that time. Both ways did not work. Fan thought of another way. He wanted to use years flow like water to summon an immemorial year beast as his slave. Therefore, he created an immortal killer move. His enslavement path attainment level was at Grandmaster. It was not as bad as transformation path. He managed to create year beast summoning. But this killer move could only summon ancient year beasts. It was not easy to attract immemorial year beasts. At the final moments of his life, he created immemorial year beast fishing formation. This Immortal Gu formation could attract immemorial year beasts, but could not control them. He was merely fishing and not summoning. The immemorial year beasts fished could not be controlled. Fan's original concept was to summon an immemorial year beast under his manipulation. Even after his death, he did not achieve his goal. It was quite a shame. If he had more time, he might have succeeded. Beauty could not withstand the trials of time. The truth was, even geniuses were the same. If Fang Yuan had time, he would follow Fan's idea and progress along this route. In time, he would be able to create an immortal killer move that directly summoned immemorial year beasts. This was a true inheritance. The inheritor would take over the predecessor's true inheritance, and instead of just mimicking it, they would refine and improve upon the details within, adding in their own flavor to the inheritance before passing it on again. A true inheritance was not just a gift. One had to contribute as well. However, Fang Yuan had no time to improve the true inheritance now. He needed to use this immemorial year beast fishing formation to lure an immemorial year beast, before using the killer move 180 slaves to forcefully subdue it. If Fan had 180 slaves, he would have obtained an immemorial year beast. It is too dangerous for me to go to the River of Time now. Not only is it a dangerous place, Heavenly Court might have some arrangements there. Earlier when Fang Yuan trapped Feng Gu, sending him into the River of Time, Feng Gu managed to escape in the end, but Fang Yuan had his gains from this. Feng Gu managed to survive. It might be due to his own ability or Heavenly Court's arrangements inside the River of Time. No matter which one, when I enter the River of Time, the worst case is that I will be obstructed and attacked by them. And inside the River of Time, I have no territorial advantage. I am not adept at fighting in it, unless I have an immemorial year beast to defend and ensure my safety. Fang Yuan planned meticulously. He was not going to put himself in danger. He needed ample preparation. Chirp, chirp, chirp. At this time, sound came from the tributary of the River of Time. It seems that an immemorial year beast was finally lured in. Fang Yuan's eyes shone. He quickly activated the Immortal Gu formation. Inside the Gu formation, the tributary of the River of Time manifested. A huge monkey was observing the Gu formation through this tributary of the River of Time. It had huge eyes with the size of an elephant. It peeked through the tributary of the River of Time like it was a small peephole, observing the scene behind the door. Inside this darkness, the immemorial year monkey could not find Fang Yuan and the rest. Its gaze was completely stuck to years flow like water. Once it saw the rank 8 Immortal Gu, the immemorial year monkey's appetite rose. It started salivating. Year beasts ate year Gu as food, while years flow like water. Immortal Gu could produce year Gu. The immemorial year monkey saw years flow like water. It was the same as seeing a buffet with never-ending food. Chirp, chirp, chirp. It started to jump around in the River of Time while scratching its ears and body. Next, it breathed in deeply and attempted to enter Fang Yuan's sovereign immortal aperture. Year beasts had the ability to travel from the River of Time to anywhere in the world. Fang Yuan used year beast summoning earlier, He summoned them from the river of time. These year beasts were able to come out and enter the battlefield immediately. As long as the river of time flows in that area, year beasts could enter. Fang Yuan's sovereign immortal aperture was no exception, but entering it was harder than going to the 5 regions and 2 heavens. Once space tore open, the immemorial year monkey stretched out its 2 arms. Next, its furry arms pulled outwards, creating a huge hole. The colossal immemorial year monkey squeezed its way in. My sovereign immortal aperture is only a blessed land, but it can already contain immemorial year beasts. But for the immemorial year beast, this cage is too small. It is very inconvenient to enter or leave. Seeing this, Fang Yuan felt great joy. Since it was hard to enter or leave, when they fight, the immemorial year monkey would not be able to escape easily. After the immemorial year monkey entered, the space behind it mended. Chirp, chirp, chirp. The immemorial year monkey growled as it sniffed, smelling years flow like water's strong and dense aura. It pounced at the immortal formation. Rumble. The immortal formation had strong defenses. Even though the immemorial year monkey slammed into it, it did not shake. Back then, Fan designed this formation. He naturally considered this situation. Chapter 1429. Gaining another rank 8 battle strength, the immemorial year beast fishing formation had strong defenses. It remained unmoved by the immemorial year monkey's attack. But this intensified the immemorial year monkey's fighting spirit. Boom, boom, boom. It raised its fists and slammed down. Its fists were like shooting stars, landing on the immortal formation each time. The immortal formation started shaking. The interior was having tremors. Each attack by the immemorial year monkey caused large numbers of mortal goo to be destroyed. White Rabbit, He Lu Lan, and Ing Wu Xie, they were rapidly replenishing mortal goo. Some goo formations would break apart after losing 10% of its goo worms. Better goo formations would still remain intact even if half were destroyed. But the immemorial year beast fishing formation would remain intact as long as the core immortal goo was still around, and if it had 60% of its goo worms left. But its defense would collapse eventually. Fang Yuan could not allow the immemorial year monkey to continue attacking it. Immortal Killer Move by Xiang. At the next moment, a crack opened in the immortal goo formation as Bai Ning Bing flew out rapidly. Boom. She was extremely fast, shooting out like an ice arrow towards the immemorial year monkey. Both were quite close together to begin with, and because of Bai Ning Bing's speed, the immemorial year monkey could not react in time. Its throat was immediately struck by Bai Ning Bing. The immemorial year monkey took a small step back. It felt pain and growled. It grabbed towards Bai Ning Bing with its huge hands. Instantly, Bai Ning Bing felt her vision turn dark as 2 huge monkey hands approached to slam down on her, casting dark shadows. Bai Ning Bing was not fazed. She snorted as she flew away. The immemorial year monkey's hands slammed from above, while Bai Ning Bing flew out from under its crotch. Originally, with her speed, she could definitely escape the monkey, but strangely, the moment she got to the immemorial year monkey's stomach, she was caught. The immemorial year monkey grabbed with its hands, holding Bai Ning Bing like a crystal ball. Next, it gripped tightly before extending its palms after some grinding. If Bai Ning Bing was in her normal body, she would have turned into meat paste. But she had used the killer move by Xiang already. She had turned into a 5-meter-tall snow giant. She wore ice armor and had 3 heads and 6 arms. She was barefooted and stood on 2 pale blue clouds. The immemorial year monkey opened its palms. Bai Xiang was already crushed to bits. Chirp, chirp. The immemorial year monkey saw that its enemy was eliminated. It laughed happily as it threw away the ice in its hands, before slamming at the immortal goo formation again. The bits and pieces of Bai Xiang floated in the air, slowing gathered with the wind, and in a few breaths' time, the complete Bai Xiang had recovered, returning to a 5-meter giant. This was the profundity of the killer move by Xiang. Bai Ning Bing, who had turned into Bai Xiang form, was no longer contained in a flesh body. Even if she had a fingernail-sized piece of ice left, she could instantly return back to the giant form. But this time, not only did my flying speed fall, my Bai Xiang's recovery speed has fallen too. Bai Ning Bing thought as she flew towards the immemorial year monkey again. Immemorial year beasts had plentiful time path down marks in their bodies. Their actions had time path effects. They could carve time path down marks in the surroundings. They were not a force to trifle with. Immortal Killer Move, Penetrating Ice Blade. Boom. The ice blade filled with frost energy landed on the immemorial year monkey's shoulder, but could not pierce into its skin. Compared to the huge immemorial year monkey, the ice blade was like a tiny fruit knife. The immemorial year monkey caught Bai Ning Bing again. She tried to dodge, but failed again. But no matter how many times she was destroyed, as long as fragments of her body remained, she would rapidly recover. Of course, they had already checked that the immemorial year beast did not have any wild immortal goo. Otherwise, Bai Ningbing would not be so daring as to challenge the Immemorial Year Beast's battle strength. The Immemorial Year Monkey had a large number of wild mortal Gu, but these Gu worms were nothing to Bai Ningbing. The true threat was the Immemorial Year Monkey itself. After a dozen rounds, Bai Ningbing got progressively slower, and Bai Xiang was taking longer to recover. In contrast, the Immemorial Year Monkey was barely injured. There was some frost on its body, but it easily shrugged it off. Bai Ningbing's attacks could penetrate its skin, but the Immemorial Year Beast's recovery speed was too strong. It completely healed in a few breaths' time. Even Bai Ningbing was feeling a little dejected. She felt like she was an annoying fly buzzing around the Immemorial Year Monkey. Most of its attention was still on the Immortal formation. Boom, boom, boom. Often, the Immemorial Year Monkey would ignore Bai Ningbing's attacks as it slammed down on the Immortal Gu formation. This Immemorial Year Beast has great strength. Fang Yuan observed the battle and concluded. Like how rank 8 Gu Immortals differed in strength, the same went for Immemorial Year Beasts. This Immemorial Year Monkey had incredible strength. Bai Ningbing could not deal any major damage even if she used her full strength. Even though Bai Ningbing had incredible talent, having the Northern Dark Eye Soul physique and Bai Xiang's true inheritance, her foundation could not compare with the Immemorial Year Monkey, which had lived for tens of thousands of years. The Immemorial Year Beast fishing formation was suffering greater losses. The speed of replenishment by Fang Yuan and the others was starting to be unable to keep up. As the Immemorial Year Monkey got more agitated by Bai Ningbing's attacks, it started to attack more rapidly. The Immortal formation was starting to have cracks emerging. As the one with the strongest battle strength, Fang Yuan was not going to fight. Letting the Immemorial Year Monkey attack the Immemorial Year Beast fishing formation was a form of tactic to weaken it first. Among Immemorial Year Beasts, they had different strengths and weaknesses according to their respective zodiac animal. In terms of strength, the Immemorial Year Monkey was merely mid-tier among them. Immemorial Year Dragons, Bulls, and Tigers had far greater strength under the same circumstances. But even against this Immemorial Year Monkey, the Immortal Gu formation was starting to collapse. Miaoyin, go help Bai Ningbing. Fang Yuan ordered. Fairy Miaoyin nodded as she flew out of the Immortal Gu formation. Having watched the battle for a long time and knowing the power of this Immemorial Year Monkey, she did not dare to fight at close range. She immediately flew to a distance away. Immortal Killer Move, Curved Moon. Curved crescent moons appeared in both her eyes as she stared at the Immemorial Year Monkey's eyes. After a long time, the Immemorial Year Monkey had no reaction, as if Fairy Miaoyin had not attacked. It continued to attack the Immortal Gu formation. Sweat appeared on Fairy Miaoyin's forehead. Immemorial Year Monkeys lived in the river of time. Their eyes were submerged in the river water. The eyes had the most dense concentration of time path Dao marks. Fairy Miaoyin's side attack was completely useless. Fine. Fairy Miaoyin's fighting spirit was ignited as she used another Immortal Killer move, Lingering Tune. This was not an offensive killer move. It was to supplement her other move. Next, Fairy Miaoyin started to sing. Immortal Killer Move, Soft Bone Music. The music flew towards the Immemorial Year Monkey's arms, and with the help of Lingering Tune, it coiled around the monkey's arms without fading away. Affected by this music, the Immemorial Year Monkey's arm bones started to turn soft. The Immemorial Year Monkey was slightly confused as it stopped for a second and looked at its arms. Then, it continued to send a flurry of punches. Each hit made the Immortal formation shake intensely. Fairy Miaoyin's eyelids were twitching. She activated 2 killer moves in a row, but it merely made the Immemorial Year Monkey feel a little confused. The difference between rank 7 and 8 is too huge. Our attacks are simply ineffective. For the last few thousand years, the only people who could resist rank 8 as rank 7s were Fang Yuan and Feng Gu in this whole wide world. Similar feelings of admiration appeared in the Shadow Sect Immortals' hearts. Immortal Killer Move, Crimson Ray. Immortal Killer Move, Angry Bird. Immortal Killer Move, Fire Phoenix. Hei Lulan also flew out. She was familiar with the Fire Path killer moves. She activated them smoothly as they landed on the Immemorial Year Monkey. They caused a huge commotion but did little damage. Fang Yuan, Ingwu Xie, and Lady White Rabbit were still inside the Immortal Gu formation. Rank 7 killer moves, even if they are profound, can barely have any effect on rank 8 existences. Fang Yuan understood this clearly. In his battles against Wu Yong and Feng Gu earlier, Reverse Flow Protection Seal dealt the most damage. Fang Yuan used many methods to be able to fight rank 8 Gu Immortals, but to kill them, it would be too hard. Not only could these rank 8 Gu Immortals escape, with just Fang Yuan's current offensive methods, he only used rank 7 Immortal Gu as the cores. His defense far surpassed his offense. If he could not, forget about the Shadow Sect Immortals. Only Ingwu Xie's lead soul into Dream was unstoppable. It threatened even rank 8 Gu immortals. But Fang Yuan would not use it now. Firstly, fighting the immemorial year monkey could allow everyone to gain experience on how it felt to fight rank 8 existences. Secondly, by defeating the immemorial year monkey in a frontal battle, Fang Yuan could use 180 slaves more easily later. After subduing it, this immemorial year monkey would be more obedient. It is almost time. After some time, the Immortal Gu formation was at the brink of collapse as Fang Yuan flew out. Immortal Killer Move, Myriad Self. Immortal Killer Move, Ancient Sword Dragon Transformation. Immortal Killer Move, Reverse Flow Protection Seal. After several breaths, Fang Yuan turned into an ancient sword dragon. His silvery scales shined brightly and outstandingly. But against the immemorial year beast, he was simply like a tiny snake beside a human. But it was not a problem. Next, Fang Yuan activated a rule path, Immortal Gu Big. Big, big, big. Ancient sword dragon's body rapidly expanded. It quickly became the same size as the immemorial year beast. The immemorial year monkey looked at Fang Yuan with deep wariness. Fang Yuan charged ahead and fought the immemorial year monkey directly. Fang Yuan had strength path methods, but his strength could not compare to the immemorial year monkey. Rule path Immortal Gu Big could only make him larger. Fang Yuan was often sent flying by the immemorial year monkey, but it suffered greater injuries than him. This was because the attacks it dealt to the ancient sword dragon were reflected fully by reverse flow protection seal, landing back on itself. This battle lasted for several hours. Fang Yuan focused on attacking while the others supplemented him. Even if rank 7 killer moves were ineffective, the damage still added up eventually. The immemorial year monkey was covered in injuries. It breathed roughly as it tried to escape. It tore through space and wanted to escape into the river of time, but Fang Yuan blocked it with his ancient sword dragon body. The immemorial year monkey was obstructed and could not escape. Eventually, Fang Yuan used 180 slaves. After the third time, it lowered its head, submitting to Fang Yuan. The immemorial year monkey was subdued. After losing his upper extreme heavenly eagle, Fang Yuan obtained another rank 8 battle strength once more. Chapter 1430, Entering the River's Sovereign Immortal Aperture, Mini Green Heaven. A huge area of Rainbow Dream Realm floated in the sky, turning slowly as time passed. A lump of self-will was here, turning into Fang Yuan's appearance. It was very realistic. Within the self-will, there was some red date immortal essence and several Gu worms. This is the final attempt for now. Fang Yuan's self-will muttered as he started acting. As the red date immortal essence was expended, at the same time, self-love Immortal Gu and affection Immortal Gu were activated, followed by some supplementary Mortal Gu. Soon, a large amount of self-will gushed out, turning Fang Yuan's self-will into a several-meter-tall giant. After stopping his Gu worm activation, Fang Yuan's self-will went to rest for a while. The entire self-will giant had shrunk by 10%. It was more dense and had greater ability to think for itself. Next, Fang Yuan's self-will activated another immortal killer move. This move had no name. Fang Yuan had created it recently to deal with the dream realm. The immortal killer move shined with bright lights, stabbing into the dream realm as if it was made of sharp swords. A few minutes later, Fang Yuan stopped his killer move. The entire self-will giant shrunk until it was a baby's size. The pile of red date immortal essence was almost fully expended. I failed after all. Fang Yuan's self-will sighed deeply. During the battle of the dream realm, Fang Yuan obtained a lot of pure dream reality seeker physique bodies. But on the way to western desert from southern border, he sacrificed a large number of them to block the enemies. After that, the remaining pure dream reality seeker physique bodies that he still had turned back to dream realms when they reached their time limit as they were incomplete bodies. Fang Yuan kept all these dream realms in mini green heaven. Fang Yuan's sovereign blessed land had the arrangement of 5 regions and 9 heavens. The area was so huge that it would scare Gu immortals to death. But most of these areas were filled with resources due to Fang Yuan's management. Only 2 places were empty. One was mini red heaven, the other was mini green heaven. Not long ago, Fang Yuan had chosen to fight the immemorial year monkey in mini red heaven. As for mini green heaven, it was used to contain dream realms. These dream realms were all invaded by heaven's will. They were not uncontaminated. They were dangerously filled with heaven's will. When heaven's will lurked inside Fang Yuan's sovereign immortal aperture, heaven's will would be able to connect with the outside world, even if the immortal aperture isolated it. Even if Fang Yuan had dark limit, he would be detected. Fang Yuan had learned this not too long ago. However, Fang Yuan was affected by the investigative killer move of Heavenly Court's Fairy Ziwei earlier, and he did not have dark limit. Since he was exposed anyway, he placed these portions of heaven's will in his sovereign immortal aperture. There was no big deal. Fang Yuan had been thinking of how to use this heaven's will to gain benefits. exploring dream realms, taking the true meaning inside, and raising his attainment levels. This was advantageous to Fang Yuan, especially when he chose these dream realms. They suited him very much. But they were currently being pursued while the dream realms were full of heaven's will. All sorts of reasons made Fang Yuan unable to explore the dream realms properly. But what if I get rid of all the heaven's will inside these dream realms? This thought appeared in Fang Yuan's mind and rooted itself firmly. Theoretically, it was possible. Because true meaning was contained within dream realms, when people explore them successfully, they could take the true meaning and increase the attainment levels. And because the heavens will invaded these dream realms, since it could enter, it could naturally be removed as well. Or rather, if heavens will could invade the dream realms, why couldn't his self will do the same? In the 500 years of his previous life, Fang Yuan had heard of a certain wisdom path great expert who invented a wisdom path method to use wills or emotions to invade dream realms and explore them. All sorts of reasons confirmed to Fang Yuan that this was a possible way, but his progress was not smooth. He used many methods and created immortal killer moves, but they were not effective. Not only did he fail to even touch heaven's will, the self-will's invasion of the dream realm even failed completely. It seems that my advantage in dream realms is only due to rebirth. If I look at it properly, I had no deep dream path research even in my previous life. Maybe when my wisdom path attainment level rises again in the future, I would have more progress. Fang Yuan calmly realized his insufficiency. He stopped hesitating. He started to use another immortal killer move on the dream realm. Soon, these dream realms turned into pure dream reality seeker physique bodies. Fang Yuan inherited Purple Mountain True Monarch's inheritance. He naturally knew the way to turn dream realms into pure dream reality seeker physique bodies. Of course, the pure dream reality seeker physique bodies refined were incomplete. And because he lacked some Immortal Gu, these bodies were inferior to the ones Purple Mountain True Monarch created during the battle of the dream realm. However, Fang Yuan was satisfied. He only wanted to move these dream realms out of his sovereign immortal aperture. Next, the dream realms in Fang Yuan's sovereign immortal aperture were all turned into pure dream reality seeker physique bodies and extracted. Next, under Fang Yuan's arrangements, these pure dream reality seeker physique bodies were all placed into the positions that Fang Yuan planned earlier. Next, he ordered them to self-detonate and turn into dream realms again. These dream realms formed a tight defense that could block enemies. Even if Heavenly Court's rank 8 Gu Immortals came, they would not be able to do anything to these dream realms. After his arrangements, Fang Yuan started to set up the Immortal Gu formation. Right now, he was deep under a nameless desert. There was a huge natural solutional cave. The sand here had mixed with gold, forming gold rocks. They were shining brightly. But the most attractive thing to Fang Yuan was that at the center of the cave, there was a tributary of the River of Time. The size of this tributary of the River of Time was smaller than the previous one, but it was more stable. Using Fang Yuan's Immortal Gu formation, he would be able to reach the River of Time using this tributary. Indeed, this tributary of the River of Time was the final one that Shadow Sect had in Western Desert. Fang Yuan started to set up his Immortal Gu formation. His formation path attainment level was at Grandmaster. When he was chased by Heavenly Court, he had interacted with formation path the most, be it the Time Exile formation, Self-Cleansing formation, or Immemorial Year Beast Fishing formation. They were all Immortal Gu formations. These experiences made him more proficient in creating formations. Thus, he set up this Immortal Gu formation calmly and with great confidence. And as expected, Fang Yuan created the Immortal Gu formation in merely a few minutes. Bai Ningbing and the rest who were patrolling the area were immediately called back. Next, they went into his sovereign immortal aperture as Fang Yuan ordered Ing Wuxia. You can act now. Immortal killer move, burning soul, bursting luck. Ing Wuxia used this immortal killer move once more. Because of connect luck, Fang Yuan and the rest would become very lucky for the following period of time. Fang Yuan wanted to use it himself too. But burning soul, bursting luck greatly expended the soul foundation. He had used it once before. He had no foundation to use it again. Ing Wuxia was Spectral Soul's split soul. He had a deep soul foundation and could use burning soul, bursting luck multiple times. But Fang Yuan could not let his soul foundation fall too drastically. Led soul into dream needed Ing Wuxia to have a strong soul foundation. Otherwise, it would easily result in a killer move backlash. If Ing Wuxia tries to use lead soul into dream on a rank 8 and faces a backlash, he would end up in the dream realm himself and be unable to escape. Strength came with a price. One had to pay a price for everything they gained. The Immortal Gu formation resonated. Under its influence, the flowing tributary of the River of Time started to become turbulent. The waves were becoming fiercer. There were a huge number of myriad self-clones in Fang Yuan's sovereign immortal aperture, together with burning soul, bursting luck, and the immemorial year monkey. He had done all the preparations he could. He knew that this trip to the River of Time was dangerous, but he had to go. Immortal Killer Move, Reverse Flow Protection Seal. Immortal Killer Move, Ancient Year Beast Transformation. At the next moment, he turned into an ancient desolate beast as the immortal formation burst out with strong light, charging into the tributary of the River of Time and creating a huge hole. Fang Yuan went in immediately. Swish, swish, swish. Huge waves caused countless ripples to form. The hole behind him only lasted a few breaths of time before vanishing. Fang Yuan's gaze was completely attracted to the sight in front of him. The River of Time. Legend says there was a river in this world, known as the River of Time. It flowed through the past, the present, and the future. Everything in the world was like fish in the river, and under the currents, the fish could only flow downwards. Without the River of Time, the world would be still, becoming a drawing. Only with this river can change occur, and the world can move, either prospering or withering. I am in the River of Time again. Fang Yuan sighed. He looked around. The river was huge and wide. Even though it was called the River of Time, it was as vast as the sea. In the darkness of this space, a huge river was flowing unceasingly. The river water was pale white, but countless ripples were colliding and creating beautiful colors at all times. The lights were dazzling and reflecting off Fang Yuan's face. Fang Yuan was dazed for a moment before recovering. He opened his immortal aperture's entrance and let out the immemorial year monkey. Okay. This huge beast returned to its home. It was very excited. Plop. It landed in the river water and created a huge splash. Fang Yuan also turned into an ancient year monkey. He was much smaller than the immemorial year monkey. He was floating in the air now as he was not a true year beast. Even though his transformation path Dao marks had turned into time path Dao marks for him to adapt to this place, it was better to not touch the water of the River of Time if he could. Let's go, Fang Yuan ordered, as the immemorial year monkey started to swim. The benefit of beating it earlier was showing. It was much more obedient than the upper extreme heavenly eagle. However, even though he used 180 slaves, because Fang Yuan's soul foundation had fallen greatly, it was quite hard to control this immemorial year monkey. Even though we are in a peaceful situation now, the enslavement is already difficult. My soul feels very heavy. If we are in intense battle, I may not be able to order the immemorial year monkey. Fang Yuan was alerted inwardly. This was a flaw, but there was no helping it. Fang Yuan had done his best. They moved on quietly. Swish, swish, swish. Tides continued to crash. Fang Yuan was here for the first time using his physical body. The last few times, he used Spring Autumn Cicada to send his will into the river. Because of influences like Heaven's will, he only had a glimpse of the River of Time. He could not observe it in full. But now, he had an eye-opening experience. The River of Time was a secluded domain of heaven and earth. It was widely known and was inside the legends of Renzu. But to enter with one's physical body, they had to be Gu immortal experts with deep time path foundation. Fang Yuan could enter even though he lacked that because of transformation path, as well as Purple Mountain True Monarchs and Hei Fan's inheritances. The River of Time was not without life. Fang Yuan first saw a couple of wild year Gu chasing each other before entering the river water again. Next, he saw groups of wild time path Gu worms flying in the sky. They were like countless flies. 5 to 6 wild year Gu approached Fang Yuan and quietly landed on him without moving anymore. So that's it. Fang Yuan's thoughts shifted as he realized why. He was now an ancient year monkey. Because of rank 8 attitude Gu and familiar face, while Gu could not discern his aura, they treated him as a wild ancient year monkey. These few time path mortal Gu were all attracted to Fang Yuan's time path Dao marks. They felt that it was the best place to live, so they went to him. It was indeed so. In nature, Gu worms were fragile. Even though wild Gu worms could absorb the natural essence of heaven and earth, they were still in danger even if they had strong abilities. Thus, living in strong life forms was their way of survival. Fang Yuan moved for a few minutes and already had several hundred wild mortal Gu in him. Most were day Gu and month Gu. There were no year Gu. As for the immemorial year monkey, it had greater gains. This immemorial year monkey had wild mortal Gu in it, but they were destroyed when fighting Fang Yuan. There were few left. And now, they were greatly replenished. The immemorial year monkey was naturally more attractive than Fang Yuan. It was very popular with the wild time path mortal Gu. As it swam in the river, swarms of time path Gu worms surrounded it like a black cloud. But this situation only lasted for a moment before slowing down rapidly. Like how beasts occupied territories, when Fang Yuan and the immemorial year monkey had a large number of wild mortal Gu on them, other mortal Gu would feel that it was crowded and stop coming to them. Fang Yuan thought about it. He did not do anything to these wild mortal Gu. With his current capabilities, it was easy for him to refine these wild mortal Gu. However, that would ruin Fang Yuan's disguise. Furthermore, these wild time path mortal Gu were nothing special. Unless they were immortal Gu, they had little attraction to Fang Yuan. Roar! While they were traveling, an ancient year tiger emerged from the water, but it left without even pausing, escaping far away. This situation had happened many times. The immemorial year monkey was simply like an express pass on their journey. In fact, other than year beasts, there were also month beasts and day beasts. Similar to year beasts, they fed on month Gu and day Gu respectively. After 2 hours, the river of time was still turbulent while darkness surrounded them. The scenery had not changed. It was almost as if everyone was still at the same spot where they started. Half the body of an immemorial year monkey was submerged in the water, moving forward slowly like a floating hill. As for Fang Yuan, he turned into an ancient year monkey and floated in the air above the river, moving slowly. Fang Yuan was certain, because he had Purple Mountain True Monarch's inheritance, the feeling in his heart intensified. As long as he followed this feeling, he would definitely find that Red Lotus True inheritance that Spectral Soul Demon Venerable obtained. The thing that obstructed him other than the treacherous river of time was Heavenly Court's pursuit and ambush. Rumble. Suddenly, with a loud sound, a current shot out of the raging river of time. The current shot out towards the left of Fang Yuan, in front of him. Growling, the immemorial year monkey growled as a hint of seriousness showed on its relaxed face. This is a sudden spring. Fang Yuan's pupils shrunk slightly. The river of time was not safe. Some river segments were very dangerous with many uncertainties. Sudden springs were one of them. When traveling in this river segment, one had to be wary of suddenly rising springs. If they are hit by it, a vast number of time path down marks would be carved on the target. They might suffer heavy injuries or die. They might even lose lifespan. Fang Yuan vigilantly moved towards the immemorial year monkey's head. He lacked methods to deal with sudden springs. He could only use this immemorial year beast's tough body to resist it. They had to cross this river. It was necessary to get to Red Lotus True inheritance. Just when Fang Yuan was fully focused on traveling in the river, near the tributary of the River of Time in Western Desert, 3 Gu Immortals arrived. 1 rank 7 Gu Immortal with great elegance, and 2 rank 8 Gu Immortals that were stable like mountains. It was Feng Gu, as well as the 2 rank 8 Gu Immortals from Heavenly Court. Fairy Ziwei's plan was to find Red Lotus True inheritance using Fang Yuan as the key. Now that Fang Yuan had entered the River of Time to obtain Red Lotus True inheritance, she was definitely going to send people after him. To think this otherworldly demon is so powerful, he could actually fight Brother Feng evenly. With our help, no matter how talented he is, he cannot escape. The 2 rank 8 Gu Immortals had not met up with Feng Gu for a long time, and he was not someone who would conceal information for the sake of reputation. He directly explained Fang Yuan's sharp rise in battle strength to them. If we work together, we should be able to kill Fang Yuan. Feng Gu nodded slightly. Fang Yuan's battle strength was similar to his. Against 1 rank 8 Gu Immortal, it would be barely enough. Against 2, it would be extremely difficult. Especially now, Feng Ji's chaotic heart-drumming sound was modified by Fairy Ziwei again. It was the trump card to deal with Fang Yuan. These are dream realms. A moment later, Feng Gu and the rest could not help but land, looking helplessly at the dream realm defensive line. It seems we can only wait. The dream realms move constantly. A gap will appear in the defense soon. We will be able to enter. Other than us, Lord Huang sure is in the River of Time. He is the person most skilled with fighting in the River of Time for the last 10,000 years. Fang Yuan is not his match. The 3 immortals discussed, deciding to stay and wait for an opportunity. In the River of Time, grrrrrrr, the immemorial year monkey growled. Its body was covered in injuries. Fang Yuan turned around. Looking at the river segment behind him, he felt a little fearful. Thankfully, the immemorial year monkey is here to defend me. Otherwise, how could we get past this place so easily? The sudden springs had great power. They had at least rank 7 killer move strength, with most being rank 8. Fang Yuan even saw a sudden spring that had rank 9 power. The eruption of this sudden spring was like a huge waterfall that flowed upwards towards heaven. Thankfully, Fang Yuan was far from it when it burst out. He was safe. The immemorial year monkey is quite injured, but my methods are limited. I cannot heal it. Fang Yuan inspected and mentally sighed. Other paths, healing methods were restricted here. In terms of time path methods, Fang Yuan only had man as before, but this immortal Gu only worked on human bodies. Fang Yuan could only let the immemorial year monkey recover on its own. Should I stop for a moment and rest? For the immemorial year monkey to recover fully, Fang Yuan could not help but hesitate. The sudden springs were just the first hurdle to Red Lotus True inheritance. Fang Yuan still had to face the dark web spiders. one-finger flow sharks, and a special blade river segment. These 3 hurdles were more dangerous than the sudden springs. Sudden spring river segment. Lord Huang sure looked at the river in front of him as he frowned. According to Lady Ziwei, Fang Yuan is right ahead. Immediately after, Lord Huang sure's eyes shined brightly as he flew towards the sudden spring river segment resolutely. Chapter 1432. Huang sure's pursuit boom. A huge sudden spring burst out of the peaceful river surface. Compared to this sudden spring, Lord Huang sure, who was flying in the air, resembled a tiny mosquito. Even before the sudden spring hit him, Lord Huang sure felt like it was getting faster and faster. That was not true, of course. The sudden spring actually became slower as it got higher and higher. The reason why Lord Huang sure felt that was because his own relative speed had fallen. This was the river of time. The eruption of sudden springs will cause everything around it to slow down. In that case, the target would find it harder to escape. Humph. Lord Huang sure was not fazed. At the crucial moment, bright light shone from his head. At the next instance, he was completely restored to normal condition as he retreated, causing the sudden spring to miss its target. Rumble. With another loud sound, the sudden spring crashed back into the river and created a huge wave. Lord Huang sure wiped the sweat off his forehead. This sudden spring has the power of a rank 8 killer move. Even I have to be careful. If I got hit, I would suffer great injuries. If I encounter a rank 9 level sudden spring, I would definitely be gravely injured. I might even die. Lord Huang sure felt pressured in his heart. Even though he was a rank 8 Gu Immortal and had territorial advantage when fighting in the River of Time, he knew that Fang Yuan had luck path methods, and even a rather comprehensive all living beings luck true inheritance. Being at the sudden spring river segment, other than one's strength, one had to depend on their own luck. I am chasing after Fang Yuan now. This is not beneficial to him. According to the profundities of luck path, my journey will not be smooth. It will be filled with problems. Fang Yuan chose this route to trouble me. This is a good plan. However, Lord Huang sure frowned, feeling doubts. No matter how lucky Fang Yuan is, he can't avoid all the sudden springs, right? Even if rank 9 sudden springs are rare, those rank 7 sudden springs are countless, and there are also many rank 8 sudden springs. How did he pass them? Did he use reverse flow protection seal the entire time? If he was using reverse flow protection seal, this would be great news to Lord Huang sure, because this sudden spring river segment was very long. If Fang Yuan used his killer move the entire time, his immortal essence would be greatly expended. This would be helpful when Lord Huang sure fights him later. Lord Huang sure did not expect that Fang Yuan would enslave an immemorial year monkey to act as a shield. Even though Fang Yuan could control the upper extreme Heavenly Eagle, Heavenly Court attributed that to He Fan's true inheritance. Fang Yuan was controlling a rank 8 existence with rank 7 cultivation level. It was a shocking accomplishment. But the truth was 180 slaves, and years flow like water. Immortal Gu's flaw. Especially the latter. He Fan did not expose his own weakness. This secret was unknown to Heavenly Court. They could not deduce that Fang Yuan had a way to lure immemorial year beasts to him. Because of such reasons, Heavenly Court did not manage to learn that Fang Yuan could control an immemorial year beast. After a few minutes, Lord Huang sure flew out of the sudden spring river segment. Fairy Ziwei's guidance was transmitted to him again. Lord Huang sure changed directions, raising his speed as he flew towards Fang Yuan. A moment later, his figure paused as he looked ahead uncertainly. Dark web spider. Lord Huang sure had a grim expression as he muttered this. In front of him, there was a huge spider with a pale white body. It was unmoving on a huge web. The spider was larger than the sudden spring earlier. It was like a mountain. Its 4 limbs were like ridges. Compared to the spider, Lord Huang sure was tiny. He was like an ant in front of an elephant. Larger than the dark web spider was the huge web it was on. This huge web was made of a crystal-like substance. Some threads were thin, while others were thick like tree trunks. The web was not flat. It was weaved into a forest-like cage. Countless spider threads stabbed into the water of the river of time like roots. No matter how the water flowed, these threads remained stationary. A vast number of spider threads weaved together into a huge crystal nest. Each of the connectors had many complex threads linking to different directions. Lord Huang sure's heart sank. He did not dare to believe it. Fang Yuan and the rest managed to get past here to head to Red Lotus True Inheritance? He confirmed it again. Fairy Ziwei's directions were not wrong. This made him even more confident of his conjuncture now. Fang Yuan had designed this route to target him. Fang Yuan wants to use this dangerous place to force me to retreat. Lord Huang sure had a cold expression. He snorted before flying into the huge crystal nest. Each dark web spider was an immemorial desolate beast. They had their own territories in the River of Time. In their territory, even immemorial desolate beasts would not dare to rampage. It was a predator at the top of the food chain. The dark web spider relies on its unimaginable great strength besides its huge body, as well as its sharp mouth and this crystal nest. Each crystal nest thread is extraordinary. Gu immortals of the past gave it a fanciful name. Used until today, peaceful time thread. Any rank 7 or below existence would be in a state of frozen time if they touch the thread. They cannot move and would end up being eaten by the dark web spider, which moves slowly towards it. For someone like Lord Huang Shi, one single thread of peaceful time thread cannot affect him, but with 100 of them together, even he would be in grave danger. And in the entire crystal nest, how many peaceful time threads were there? Simply uncountable. Lord Huang Shi moved very, very slowly. He carefully moved past each of the threads that had weaved into a web. He had thought of detouring this dangerous place to pursue Fang Yuan. But this way, he would need to travel a long route. Fang Yuan would gain a lot of time instead. And what if this red lotus true inheritance was inside the crystal nest to begin with? Thus, Lord Huang Shi had to step into this dangerous place and pursue Fang Yuan. As long as I remain careful and avoid touching any peaceful time thread, I will be able to get through this safely. Lord Huang Shi thought as a loud explosion occurred. There was incredible sound resembling the crashing of heaven and earth. The crystal web nest shook along with the loud sound waves. The dark web spider was alerted. Its 180 compound eyes stared at Lord Huang Shi. Damn it! It must be Fang Yuan's trap. Lord Huang Shi was furious, but he felt little shock. If he was Fang Yuan, he would have set the same trap against his enemies. Since I am able to get here, I have my assurance. I am able to get past this dangerous area while the dark web spider is alerted. With a cold snort, Lord Huang Shi started to use his immortal killer move on the crystal threads. These crystal threads were not easy to destroy even though they were fragile, because any killer move would freeze in time as long as they got closer to the threads. Of course, against rank 8 killer moves, the peaceful time threads had an upper limit in terms of defense. Lord Huang Shi started to act, using his rank 8 killer moves to attack the crystal threads at an increasingly fast speed. He was a time path grade expert. He had effective methods against the peaceful time threads. Furthermore, that dark web spider moved slowly. It could not catch up to Lord Huang Shi. Lord Huang Shi did not want to fight the dark web spider. He had a huge responsibility on him. But his path of retreat was not smooth. There were often immortal killer moves, sound waves, frost, and flames obstructing him. Lord Huang Shi's speed was greatly obstructed. He was eventually caught up by the spider as they fought intensely. Bam bam bam. After an intense battle, Lord Huang Shi broke free from the dark web spider and left its territory. But now, he was in a more sorry state than before. Not only was he covered in dust, he even suffered minor injuries. This damn Fang Yuan, how many traps did he set? And these traps all activate at the perfect timing. There is deep planning in this. Lord Huang Shi suffered a loss. He was filled with rage. He would not let Fang Yuan off. He flew while he treated his injuries. Not long after, he entered a weird river segment. What is going on? I can feel a strong sword path and blade path aura in this river segment. Lord Huang Shi was surprised as suspicion flashed on his face. He slowed down and observed. This river segment had permeating sword chi and blade light. Wait, don't tell me. This is... Lord Huang Shi frowned. I traveled upstream towards the past. In terms of distance, I probably went back to 100,000 years ago. I am at the late antiquity era. Late antiquity era, sword path, blade path, I know. Western Desert Shi Yuan. This person cultivated sword path, created sword abyss, and killed 3 rank 8 Gu immortals. There is another blade path demonic immortal. He is known as Dao Jiu Lang. He had overwhelming demonic might. Rampaging in Western Desert, he managed to break the expulsion formation and shook the world. These two fought before. It was an intense fight that led to great destruction. Lord Huang Shi used his investigative methods, and as expected, this segment of the river was affected by the battle between these 2 rank 8 great experts, causing this to become a blade river segment. It was more dangerous to get past here compared to the sudden spring river segment, because it was possible that Dao Jiu Lang's or Shi Yuan's immortal killer moves would suddenly appear and attack. When sudden springs occur, there is a process in their eruptions. But this blade river segment did not have that. Fang Yuan and the rest actually came here? Are they trying to die? Lord Huang Shi gritted his teeth, entering. Since Fang Yuan and the rest could enter, as a rank 8 great expert, he could not back down. Fairy Ziwei guided him as Lord Huang Shi got closer to his target. Roar. The immemorial year monkey fought in turbulent waves. It was covered in injuries. Blood was flowing as the surrounding area was dyed red. On the immemorial year monkey, by Ning Bing, Fairy Miao Yin, and the rest were defending themselves. I finally found you all. Lord Huang Shi's eyes shined brightly. He charged ahead without thinking. Bai Ningbing and the rest were trapped in the Blade River segment. They could not escape. Lord Huang sure saw this great opportunity. How could he let it go? He had chased them along the way. He was extremely furious. Now that he saw his prey, he immediately pounced forth. Swish, swish, swish. The river of time had surging waves. Mixed within were sword chi and blade light, shooting towards the shadow sect immortals. Lord Huang sure was not exempted. He was taken care of by the sword chi and blade light, but his defensive methods were not weaker than shadow sect's immortals. He had an easier time. Immortal killer move, Sun Moon Divine Shuttle. Lord Huang sure looked down as he pushed with both hands. Countless arrowhead shuttles shot out like a storm towards the shadow sect immortals. Enemy! Bai Ningbing shouted to alert them. Sun Moon Divine Shuttle was very powerful. Even though Bai Ningbing and the rest defended themselves, they were heavily suppressed by the killer move. Roar! This angered the immemorial year monkey. It growled as it exerted force in its lower body. Its entire body left the river water as it jumped towards the sky. Sun Moon Divine Shuttle landed on its body and created small bleeding holes. But for this huge immemorial year monkey, that was only a light wound. The huge monkey hands grabbed towards Lord Huang Sure while whipping up fierce winds. Feeling this terrifying power, Lord Huang Sure's eyelids twitched. He expressed shock on his face. This immemorial year monkey is the real deal. It is not Fang Yuan's transformation. They actually control a rank 8 battle strength like this immemorial year monkey. Lord Huang Sure was not a strength path or transformation path Gu Immortal. He was not good at close combat. Even though he was a Heavenly Court rank 8 Gu Immortal, against the immemorial year monkey, he had to retreat. He moved rapidly, getting to an area far away in an instant. In here, there were dense time path down marks. He could fight with great strength. The immemorial year monkey missed and landed back into the river, but it growled and leaped again, jumping into the sky and attacking Lord Huang Sure. Lord Huang Sure's eyes shined brightly. He saw that the immemorial year monkey was covered in wounds. It was not in its best condition. But that was natural. The immemorial year monkey must have played a huge part for Fang Yuan and the rest to get here. It had likely lost 30 to 40% of its strength. In that case, Lord Huang Sure's battle intent became firmer. He breathed in deeply and used another immortal killer move. Immediately, a yellow soil rock appeared above his head. The rock moved slowly. It made the time around Lord Huang Sure move slowly too. Next, dust and sand emerged from the rock and landed on the immemorial year monkey in a flash. Affected by the yellow dust, the immemorial year monkey's rate of time reduced rapidly. It became slower and slower. The time it took to jump became much longer. Lord Huang Sure saw this and let out a breath of air, feeling joyful. He was very confident in his method. As the dust accumulates, the immemorial year beast would get even slower. At this rate, Lord Huang Sure would control the situation very soon. But right at this moment, bam! A huge wave shot towards the sky, directly towards Lord Huang Sure. From within the pale wave of the river of time, a strong blade light shot out with blinding light. The blade light landed on Lord Huang Sure as his body shook. He spat out a mouthful of blood. Lord Huang Sure was injured. The dust and sand shook as the immemorial year monkey struggled from within. Lord Huang Sure quickly held his breath and used his immortal killer move more intensely, making the dust thicker to trap the immemorial year monkey. Bai Ningbing and the rest used their methods to unleash frost, flames, and sound waves on the immemorial year monkey, but they could not affect this sand and dust. In the river of time, time path life forms were greatly strengthened. Bai Ningbing and the rest were weaker than Lord Huang Sure to begin with. Due to these time path down marks, their battle strength was even lower than usual. At the crucial moment, Ing Wuxie's expression turned grim. He was about to use the invincible lead soul into dream. But at this moment, Ing Wuxie lost his target. He could not sense the existence of Lord Huang Sure. Lead soul into dream needs to sense the other party to activate. Otherwise, it is useless. This Lord Huang Sure already has a way to hide from my soul path senses. Oh, the defensive killer move that Lady Ziwei gave me activated he. Lord Huang Sure snickered coldly. The moment Ing Wuxie wanted to use lead soul into dream, he had a feeling. Even though lead soul into dream was powerful, it had flaws too. It was not a perfect killer move. Fairy Ziwei sent Lord Huang Sure on this mission alone to pursue Fang Yuan and the rest. She naturally had measures against lead soul into dream. After all, Heavenly Court had suffered greatly from it. People learned from their mistakes, not to mention Fairy Ziwei from Heavenly Court. Lord Huang Sure came prepared. Lead soul into dream could not be used. Oh no. Ing Wuxie and the rest had a change of expression. They felt strong pressure in their hearts. They could not salvage the situation. They could only rely on Fang Yuan now. But where was Fang Yuan? Lord Huang Sure considered this problem. He had thought that this immemorial year monkey was Fang Yuan's transformation to scare him, but after fighting, he realized it was a real immemorial year monkey. Since the battle started, Fang Yuan had not shown up. He who possessed reverse flow protection seal and had battle strength equal to Feng Gu was the biggest target that Lord Huang sure was wary of now. The longer Fang Yuan stayed hidden, the more alert he felt. Fang Yuan, you're still not coming out? If you wait any longer, Lord Huang sure was shocked. At this moment, a huge wave from the river of time swept towards him. Again, Lord Huang sure was stifled. This huge wave avoided the immemorial year monkey and came after him instead, time and again. His luck was too horrible. Rumble. The huge wave hit Lord Huang sure as he spat out blood once more, increasing the severity of his injuries. He could not dodge, not only because he was using this immortal killer move, but also because the wave slowed time when it approached. Even if he dodged the water, he could not dodge the sword Qi and blade light that were incredibly fast. Lord Huang sure chose to resist the wave, to find a chance to capture the immemorial year monkey by Ning Bing and the rest. Right now, I have the advantage. I don't believe that Fang Yuan will continue to watch. Lord Huang sure made up his mind. Swish, swish, swish. 3 waves swept towards Lord Huang sure. What? At me again? Instantly, Lord Huang sure stared with wide eyes. He wanted to scream. Normally speaking, the huge immemorial year monkey would have a higher chance of getting hit by the waves. But since the battle started, only Lord Huang sure had gotten hit by them. Their luck is too good. Not a single wave hit them. Wait. Lord Huang sure shook. Is this the effect of Fang Yuan's luck path methods? He thought of a possibility. Even so, luck path cannot change the outcome of this battle. Luck path is suppressed in here to begin with. It is impossible for Fang Yuan to manipulate the waves here using luck path. Only supreme time path methods can do it. I have the territorial advantage here. Lord Huang sure calmed down as he continued to suppress the immemorial year monkey by Ning Bing and the rest, forcing Fang Yuan to show up. Lord Huang sure fell for it. This is like what sect leader predicted. Let's continue attacking. Don't expose any flaws. By Ning Bing and the rest had grim expressions, but they were conversing secretly. At the same time, on an island deep under the river, the image was moving in front of Fang Yuan. It was displaying the scene of Lord Huang sure fighting against the immemorial year monkey. This was a stone Lotus island, the one on which Spectral Soul Demon Venerable had obtained the Red Lotus true inheritance. Fang Yuan had arrived here long ago. The investigative killer move used by Fairy Ziwei on Fang Yuan had been removed already. As for Bai Ning Bing and the rest, even though there was the self-cleansing immortal formation, they could not make it in time. If he brought them, Fang Yuan's traces would be exposed. Even inside the sovereign immortal aperture, they would be found out. It was like Fang Yuan using Qi Luck Sensation to find out the locations of Ying Wu Xie and the rest. They could not escape even if they went into the immortal aperture. Even though immortal apertures were small worlds isolated from the outside world, if there were clues inside the immortal aperture, deductions were still possible. Fang Yuan could do it. Fairy Ziwei could too. And so could Heaven's Will. As long as Heaven's Will was in the immortal aperture, the Heaven's Will in the 5 regions and 2 heavens would be able to sense Fang Yuan's location. Fang Yuan learned about this long ago. Even though it was a weakness, in Fang Yuan's perspective, he could make use of it. He used Ying Wu Xie and the rest to deceive Fairy Ziwei, so that Lord Huang sure underestimated Fang Yuan's actual distance traveled, even though it was nothing much. After getting Red Lotus true inheritance, Fang Yuan could use this advantage to its limit. That's right. Red Lotus true inheritance had the ability to manipulate the nearby river segment. In fact, this Blade River segment was purposely chosen by Red Lotus Demon Venerable. But when this ability was used, it would expend the Stone Lotus Island's foundation. After this battle, the tattered Stone Lotus Island would break apart entirely. Spectral Soul's Will. Let me lend you a hand. Fang Yuan looked at Spectral Soul's will. It was thin and had a hard time controlling the waves, thus he helped. Immediately, a huge amount of will gushed out and entered Spectral Soul's will. Spectral Soul's will became strengthened and growled. At the same time, a huge wave appeared on the battlefield. This. Lord Huangshi's eyeballs were almost popping out. The size of this huge wave was unprecedented. The blade light and sword chi inside had not shot out yet, but Lord Huangshi also felt a strong threat to his life. Lord Huangshi gritted his teeth. Even though this colossal wave would hit him, it would also implicate the immemorial year monkey and force out Fang Yuan. I will see who can last longer. Lord Huangshi was thinking of that, when suddenly, a small part of the wave split to allow the immemorial year monkey to pass through before it headed towards Lord Huangshi entirely. What? Lord Huangshi was about to scream in anger. How shameless could it get? Rumble. The enormous wave moved past the immemorial year monkey, encircling and attacking Lord Huangshi. Lord Huang Shi's heart instantly chilled at that moment. He was a Heavenly Court Gu Immortal, an elite among rank 8 experts. Right now, he finally realized it. Fang Yuan, and these people can actually control this river segment. He was immensely shocked. This meant the scene of the immemorial year monkey being trapped in the Swordblade River segment before was a trap, and he had entered headfirst into the trap and was still unaware of it during the earlier fight. As far as Lord Huang Shi was concerned, this was humiliating. But how is it possible? Fang Yuan might have inherited He Fan's true inheritance, but he still should not have the ability to control a segment of the River of Time. This was what Lady Ziwei had deduced. Shock gradually disappeared as suspicions rose in Lord Huang Shi's mind. As the giant wave approached him, countless thoughts emerged in his mind. This might be the power of Red Lotus' true inheritance. Only a person like Red Lotus Demon Venerable could use methods to control a segment of the River of Time. Seeing that the giant towering wave was already before him, Lord Huang Shi's expression turned resolute. Never mind, I shall let you all know my Lord Huang Shi's true power. Ah! Lord Huang Shi suddenly roared towards the sky. Countless Gu worm auras emerged from his body. Yellow lights were continuously shining on his body. His bald head shone and sparkled. The large yellow soil rock above his head enlarged and turned into a hill, suppressing the water of the River of Time. His aura turned deep and unfathomable. Under his gaze, the river wave gradually returned to its original state. At the same time, countless ripples of time jumped out of his body and moved towards Bai Ning Bing and the rest, with seemingly slow speed, but actually being really fast. The anger in his heart together with the dangerous situation caused Lord Huang Shi to erupt with his full strength. Amazing. He activated at least 4 immortal killer moves in an instant. Fang Yuan's heart jolted at such a sight. Since Lord Huang Shi could obtain Fairy Ziwei's trust to move in River of Time alone and attack Fang Yuan, he naturally had ample strength. Right now, he erupted with his full strength, immediately blocking the giant time river wave and ensuring his safety, while also sending strong attacks towards Bai Ning Bing and the rest. Bai Ning Bing and the rest turned pale. They were trapped in the yellow dust and were unable to free themselves. Even the immemorial year monkey struggled intensely, its growling showing its fear and panic. The might of the ripple of time was unpredictable, but its terror was well known. Even Feng Gu did not dare to easily come in contact with it, let alone Bai Ning Bing and the rest. He is forcing me to appear. Fang Yuan mumbled as he looked towards spectral souls beside him. He turned Bai Ning Bing and the rest into bait. It would be an enormous loss to him if he sacrificed them at this moment. However, among them was the split soul, Ingwu Xie, whom Fang Yuan had intentionally left behind. He was guarding against spectral souls just in case. Spectral souls laughed loudly. Don't worry, Fang Yuan. This stone Lotus Island was personally constructed by Red Lotus Demon Venerable. Although Lord Huang Shi resisted the time river wave, the wave also contains the peerless killer moves of both Sword Path and Blade Path. Look, this was the most powerful offensive killer move of Dao Jiulang back then. Its name is 99 Reincarnation Blades. Once it is activated, it continues on endlessly. If a layer of the blade light is broken, there is another layer, with a total of 9 layers of blade lights. Every layer has the power to slaughter ghosts and deities. After the blade lights strike down, they will cycle back and attack again. A layer of blade light will attack for 9 times. Altogether, the 9 layers of blade light will attack for a total of 81 times. This move is extremely terrifying. Even Dao Jiulang only used it 3 times in his lifetime. Every time he used it, it would consume 100 years of his lifespan. And the move I am triggering right now is his pinnacle masterpiece used when fighting Shi Yuan. Shortly after Spectral Soul's Will's explanation, Fang Yuan saw 9 layers of blade light shooting out of the suppressed river of time wave. The blade lights were extremely radiant like fragments of the sun. It was so bright that even Fang Yuan, who was watching it through an image, felt piercing pain in his eyes and had to squint. Even outside of the battlefield he reacted like this. It was unimaginable what the immortals who were in the battlefield felt. Seeing these blade lights, Lord Huang Shi's expression changed rapidly to that of horror and despair. He felt an intense threat to his life from these 9 layers of blade light. This was no joke. If Dao Jiulang was born in Central Continent, he could absolutely join Heavenly Court. He was a Blade Path legend who stood at the peak of Western Desert. He was an influential rank 8 figure. This attack was his greatest display of power. It was the killer move he had used in his deathmatch with Shi Yuan. Lord Huang Shi was extremely terror-stricken. He did not care anymore about the river wave, the immemorial year monkey, or Bai Ning Bing. He shouted with all his strength as he used his hidden trump card to defend himself. Bam bam bam. Huge explosions sounded continuously as layers of blade light bombarded on his body. The dazzling blade lights continued to strike layer after layer. encircling and slashing at the pitiful Lord Huang Shi, while interweaving together into a large ball of scorching white light. In the center of this light ball, Lord Huang Shi was curled up in the large yellow rock above his head, defending with all his might. The blade light's bombardment lasted for a while before they gradually dissipated. The large rock around Lord Huang Shi had disappeared. He looked extremely haggard with no color on his face. There were even large injuries on his body that spread throughout his chest and back. There was no blood flowing out from the injuries, but this instead signified the miserable situation, because the injuries were filled with blade path down marks, which were continuously emitting blade qi that invaded Lord Huang Shi's organs. Ha ha! Look, he is finished. Spectral souls will laugh heartily. Now take this move. Spectral souls will furrowed its brows while moving its hands. This move is Shi Yuan's main trump card. Ha! I don't believe you can survive this. Saying this, a powerful sword qi started to slowly rise from the giant river of time wave. This sword qi was deep and powerful, its depths unfathomable, and it carried an unmatchable might that could bury countless living beings. Lord Huang Shi's pupils shrunk to pin size. Only one thought emerged in his mind: run. But he found he was locked on by this sword qi and was unable to budge from his position. This is Shi Yuan's signature killer move, Sword Burial Abyss. Damn it, damn it. Lord Huang Shi's heart thumped wildly in panic. He had used up all his methods in resisting 99 reincarnation blades. He was in an extremely weak state right now with his defenses falling to almost zero. Am I going to perish here? Lord Huang Shi felt a strong sense of death. Right at this time, spectral souls will called out in the Stone Lotus Island. Not good. The Stone Lotus Island cannot endure this burden. If we insist on killing Lord Huang Shi, this Stone Lotus Island's foundation will be used up. If we let go of Huang Shi, it can still last for a few years. Kill him. Fang Yuan's gaze shined eerily as he spat out these two words without any hesitation. Understood. Spectral souls will acknowledged and stopped speaking. Lord Huang Shi struggled bitterly, but was unable to get rid of the shackles of the sword qi. His expression had turned savage and frightening as he roared. Who could have thought I, the Grand Huang Shi, would actually die here? My sacrifice is not important, but I have let Heavenly Court's plan fail, letting this otherworldly demon Fang Yuan continue to roam free. I am not reconciled. I am not resigned. Lord Huang Shi roared repeatedly, but his voice suddenly came to a stop. His life force completely dissipated. That sword qi was like a legendary beast in the dark, swallowing his life force completely. Lord Huang Shi, a rank 8-time path Heavenly Court Gu Immortal, was dead. Chapter 1435, Spectral Souls, True Inheritance. A moment later, Bai Ningbing and the rest brought Huang Shi's corpse to Fang Yuan. Spectral souls will gazed at the corpse and sighed. This person was also an amazing character, a genius when he was young and became a famous expert as he grew. His name had spread throughout Central Continent and the 5 regions. Now, he has perished in this place. Fang Yuan and the rest were silent. Spectral souls will controlled this Stone Lotus Island and watched the past and present. It knew of many secrets. This was the power of Red Lotus Time Path True Inheritance, able to gain information through the River of Time. When Spectral Soul Demon Venerable had obtained this inheritance back then, he had praised it as inconceivable and acknowledged the superiority of Red Lotus Demon Venerable's time path methods. At rank 8, all Gu Immortals would touch upon other paths. Rank 9 Venerables were even more so, with extremely comprehensive abilities. Spectral Soul Demon Venerable's own time path methods could compare to rank 8 time path Gu Immortals, but he was far inferior when compared to Red Lotus Demon Venerable. Each rank 9 had their respective specializations. They had their own areas of expertise with their specific strengths. If Red Lotus Demon Venerable compared his soul path attainment with Spectral Soul Demon Venerable, it would be Red Lotus Demon Venerable's turn to be in great awe. Gurgle gurgle. The water of the River of Time gushed out from below Fang Yuan and the rest. The Stone Lotus Island was beginning to crumble, but only 1 or 2 areas were collapsing. The whole created was the size of a teacup. Spectral souls will stiffen before sighing. After a while, this Stone Lotus Island will be completely destroyed. We don't have much time left. Red Lotus Demon Venerable had arranged all his 7 true inheritances on Stone Lotus Islands, which were located at different areas of the River of Time. After Spectral Soul Demon Venerable obtained this Stone Lotus Island, he remodeled it to become the greatest information channel of Shadow Sect. Not only this, Shadow Sect were able to use the power of Red Lotus True Inheritance multiple times, and recently, they had used it to let Spring Autumn Cicada activate smoothly, as well as to help Ingwu Xie and Purple Mountain True Monarch. The Stone Lotus Island's foundation had already been close to drying up, and it had further exhausted all its power to kill the time path expert Huang Shi in the battle earlier. It was crumbling apart now. Where there are gains, there are losses. Fang Yuan sighed. Although we lost this stone Lotus Island, being able to cause the death of Lord Huang sure is a huge gain. This person has outstanding battle strength and is like a fish in water inside the river of time. If we had let go of this perfect opportunity, even if we lay in ambush again, we probably wouldn't have another chance to kill him. The group of immortals nodded in agreement to Fang Yuan's decision. In fact, even Spectral Souls was not an exception. It looked at Fang Yuan and nodded. In the battle of the giant dream realm, Purple's choice at the last moment was correct. Fang Yuan, I have to admit you have already become the final chance my shadow sect has. The great task of saving our main body is yours now. Naturally, this will depend on your decision. Even if you are bent on eliminating our main body, we won't blame you. All of the Gu immortals present were visibly moved at these words. Ying Wuxia's expression changed. He opened his mouth several times, but was not able to let out any words. Who could have thought of this situation? Right now, between Shadow Sect and Fang Yuan held the complete initiative. He was indeed the last hope of Shadow Sect. Even if it was presumed they invaded Heavenly Court in the future, whether he saved Spectral Soul's main body or not was completely up to Fang Yuan. The words of Spectral Souls had the feeling of helplessness and a last resort. It was precisely because he knew the most information, he had a clear understanding of the situation. When Fang Yuan entered Red Lotus True Inheritance, Spectral Souls created no obstructions or difficulties and even completely coordinated with Fang Yuan when killing Lord Huang sure. Fang Yuan glanced at the immortals before replying to Spectral Soul's will. You can rest assured. Heavenly Court is an enormous force. You and I are natural allies. I will definitely help if I can. Spectral Souls nodded. I believe you. Shortly, he smiled. We are not allies, but a collective force. You are currently the leader of Shadow Sect, appointed by Purple, and have received the approval of the various split souls. Even if you meet our main body in the future, he will also definitely agree. Because we are him, our decision is his decision. All right, I am going to pass on all my main body's soul path true inheritance along with other things to you. Fang Yuan nodded and used a wisdom path method to send out a lump of self-will. The large sphere-like self-will charged at Spectral Souls will. Spectral Souls did not evade, allowing the self-will to merge with it. Information exchange between wills was extremely fast, and after a few breaths of time, Fang Yuan's self-will returned and entered Fang Yuan's mind. Instantly, an unimaginable amount of information assaulted Fang Yuan's mind. Fang Yuan closed his eyes, accepting all the information in an orderly way. He was a wisdom path grandmaster who could not be compared to ordinary Gu immortals. Right now, his expression was calm. Among all the information, the most valuable was no doubt Spectral Soul's true inheritance. This was the most comprehensive cultivation content created by Spectral Soul Demon Venerable. Fang Yuan's mind shook with just a slight look at some of its contents, inwardly praising Spectral Soul Demon Venerable, who created this true inheritance. Undoubtedly, in the whole world and the long history of humans, no, since time immemorial, this was one of the most valuable true inheritances. Since ancient times until now, only 10 Venerables had appeared in this world. Spectral Soul Demon Venerable was one of them. This true inheritance of Spectral Soul that Fang Yuan obtained was comprehensive. As long as he cultivated according to it, he could approach the heights that Spectral Soul Demon Venerable had once reached. Speaking of which, Fang Yuan had connections to quite a few Venerables. Spring Autumn Cicada was the earliest to end up in Fang Yuan's hands. It was the most crucial key to Red Lotus true inheritances, but until now, Fang Yuan had only inherited one of the 7 true inheritances of Red Lotus. Moreover, although the inner contents were complete, Red Lotus true meaning had already been absorbed by Spectral Soul Demon Venerable. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable had 3 true inheritances. Fang Yuan had obtained the essence of self-luck true inheritance from Langya's sect, and some contents of all living beings' luck from 88 True Yang Building and Ma Hong Yun, but it was not as much as the rumor said. Of Thieving Heaven's true inheritances, Fang Yuan had only inherited Ghostly Concealment, while Divine Concealment was taken by Zhao Lian. To think that the most complete Venerable true inheritance that I obtained was Spectral Soul's true inheritance originating from my former great enemy. Unfortunately, my soul path attainment is not enough, and cultivating soul path would require a huge amount of time, energy, and resources. Among these, soul path has the most terrifying requirement for resources. Spectral Soul Demon Venerable had once massacred countless living beings for his cultivation. If I were to repeat his way, I would also need to slaughter countless living beings, otherwise I simply would not be able to satisfy the resource requirements for my soul path cultivation. Second to Spectral Souls. True inheritance was Red Lotus true inheritance. Although the true meaning of Red Lotus in this stone Lotus Island was already absorbed by Spectral Soul to raise his time path attainment, its true inheritance contents were handed down. The most important contents of this inheritance were the Immortal Gu recipes of Spring Autumn Cicada. Not just rank 6 Immortal Gu recipes, there were recipes of rank 7, rank 8, and even rank 9. This meant Fang Yuan now had the entire set of Immortal Gu recipes for Spring Autumn Cicada from rank 6 to rank 9. There was a huge amount of content in this set of Immortal Gu recipes, amounting to several hundreds of thousands of words. Merely the rank 6 Spring Autumn Cicada Immortal Gu recipes totaled to 17 or 18. The recipe Fang Yuan had obtained in his first life of 500 years was only one of them. Rank 7 Immortal Gu recipes were even more numerous, reaching 86. Rank 8 Immortal Gu recipes totaled to 43. And there were 3 rank 9 Immortal Gu recipes. An additional Immortal Gu recipe meant a new method to refine Spring Autumn Cicada. As far as Fang Yuan was concerned, this would definitely be a huge help. Later on, when he refined Spring Autumn Cicada, he would not only have many more choices, but could also be more flexible in his methods. To think Red Lotus Demon Venerable had researched so deeply about Spring Autumn Cicada. So it is true that Spring Autumn Cicada was Red Lotus Demon Venerable's vital Immortal Gu. Fang Yuan naturally wanted to advance Spring Autumn Cicada. He was deeply aware of Spring Autumn Cicada's power and would absolutely not let go of this trump card that could overturn the situation. Besides Spectral Soul's true inheritance and Red Lotus true inheritance, there were also large numbers of other true inheritances. Some of these inheritances were incomplete, while some were perfectly intact. This was the collection of Spectral Soul Demon Venerable when he was alive, and the continual gathering by Shadow Sect throughout 100,000 years. Now all of these belonged to Fang Yuan. Although Purple Mountain True Monarch's legacy was also abundant, he was only one of the split souls in the end. The content he grasped was not even 1/100th of the total amount here, especially because there was also the Rule Path True Inheritance of Limitless Demon Venerable and a Formation Path True Inheritance of Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable, which were not in Purple Mountain True Monarch's inheritance. The value of all these contents was so high that it could not be estimated. As long as Fang Yuan had sufficient time and resources, Fang Yuan was confident he could use these contents to create an organization that was not weaker than Heavenly Court. Fang Yuan's gains had reached an unimaginable amount such that even he himself was shaken. The frightening advantage of being the leader of Shadow Sect had finally been shown. Spectral Souls will spoke once again. Sect leader Fang Yuan, you have now completely inherited Shadow Sect. Unfortunately, although there are a lot of true inheritances, you would need an unimaginable amount of time, energy, and resources to cultivate them. And right now, what we lack the most is time, and there is also a huge scarcity of resources. Our main body had once successfully defied heaven, hiding from Heavenly Court, and delaying the Great Era by nearly 500 years. But now, our main body has failed. Everything has returned to its original path. Approximately 10 years later, the Great Era will completely descend. The 5 regions will merge, which will definitely result in the largest chaotic war in history. And among the 5 regions, Central Continent's foundation is the deepest with the most amount of Gu Masters and Gu Immortals. Furthermore, they also have a unified leader, Heavenly Court. This is something none of the other 4 regions have. Whether it be Eastern Sea, Western Desert, Southern Border, or Northern Plains, they are all controlled by independent superforces and are disunited. Northern Plains does have longevity heaven, so their situation will be slightly better, but when compared to Central Continent's Heavenly Court, their influence in the whole region is significantly lacking. And the most terrifying thing about Heavenly Court is their control of rank 9 Fate Immortal Gu. This Gu has extremely terrifying might. The reason why Star Constellation Immortal Venerable was able to make arrangements that could resist 3 Demon Venerables after her death was mostly because of the power of this Gu. The 3 great Demon Venerables are all within the confines of fate. This was already decided upon their birth and cannot be changed. Only an otherworldly demon is not restrained by the shackles of fate Immortal Gu. Fang Yuan, you are a complete otherworldly demon, and thus the greatest hope in destroying fate Immortal Gu. In fact, you are the inheritor that Red Lotus Demon Venerable had been most anticipating. 10 years. You only have 10 years. Fang Yuan, don't let Heavenly Court restore fate Immortal Gu. Otherwise, Heavenly Court will become invincible. Even if the 4 regions attack it together, they will not be able to bring it down. If that happens, there will be no hope of invading Heavenly Court and rescuing our main body. You don't have much time, Fang Yuan. Chapter 1436, Return Stone Lotus Island. The voice of Spectral Souls will started to become choppy as his whole body turned increasingly translucent. Fang Yuan wanted to help and replenish it, but was stopped. Let me disappear. I am Spectral Soul's will. My main body is being suppressed by Heavenly Court. I will be found out by Heavenly Court sooner or later. As for the split souls, there is no need to worry about them within a short period of time. The Stone Lotus Island is no more. My mission has also been finished. Now, while I still have some strength left, let me speed up time for you and make one last contribution. Fang Yuan was silent, before slowly nodding. All right. After he agreed, he took out the self-cleansing Immortal Gu formation. Shortly afterwards, Bai Ning Bing and the rest entered the Immortal formation. The Immortal Gu formation started operating while letting out deafening rumbling noises. Spectral souls will smiled as the Stone Lotus Island let out its final frail afterglow. Lord Huang sure is dead. When this news was transmitted, Feng Gu and the 2 rank 8 Gu immortals from Heavenly Court felt an intense shock. Shortly afterwards, more detailed information was transmitted to them by Fairy Ziwei. Fang Yuan lost the upper extreme Heavenly Eagle, but has actually gotten control of an immemorial year monkey. That Red Lotus true inheritance is truly beyond belief. It can actually control a segment of the River of Time. If it were not for the Stone Lotus Island, even if Fang Yuan had strength that rivaled rank 8 along with the protection of the immemorial year monkey, he would not be able to take Lord Huang Shi's life. Sigh. Right now, the 3 immortals had already gotten past the defense line of Dream Realms and arrived in front of the tributary of the River of Time. The Dream Realms which Fang Yuan had meticulously arranged, because of their own circulation, showed a gap, letting the 3 immortals easily pass by it without wasting any energy. Dream Realms could obstruct enemies for some time, but they could not be relied on for a long time, especially when these Dream Realms were already infiltrated by Heaven's will. Their circulation would clearly favor Heavenly Court. This was also the reason why Fang Yuan did not use the Dream Realm defense line to make a last-ditch struggle when escaping earlier. The 3 immortals' expressions turned unsightly upon hearing the news of Lord Huang Shi's death. According to their original plan, Lord Huang Shi would make a move inside the River of Time, destroying Red Lotus true inheritance, and forcing out Fang Yuan and the rest. Then with the 3 immortals outside, they would encircle and eliminate Fang Yuan and the remaining Shadow Sect members. But now, their strongest member, Lord Huang Shi, was instead the first to fall. This caused the situation of Feng Gu and the others to become rather awkward. Should they wait or not? If they continue waiting, would Fang Yuan and the rest eventually be forced to appear in front of them? The 3 immortals hesitated. They had come well prepared, but who could have expected their morale to receive a strike before they even fought? Continue waiting. Fairy Ziwei sent them new instructions. I have already deduced that in the information Fang Yuan has, only this tributary of the River of Time is remaining. Lord Huang Shi was sacrificed, but his sacrifice has provided us a lot of valuable information regarding the ins and outs of Fang Yuan and the other Shadow Sect members, especially regarding Red Lotus true inheritance. Our Heavenly Court is now no longer completely in the dark about it. Fang Yuan and the others cannot continue to hide in Red Lotus true inheritance. They must come out eventually. Fairy Ziwei's tone was resolute, causing the fighting spirit of Feng Gu and the 2 immortals to soar. Fairy Ziwei was one of the few wisdom path great experts in the current 5 regions. Her deduction absolutely would not err. Then we shall continue to wait. Damned otherworldly demon, a calamity to all living beings. I will definitely take your life this time. I will tear off your skin, pull out your tendons, and grind your bones till they turn to dust. The 2 Heavenly Court Gu immortals were furious, while Feng Jiuji's expression was calm as he gazed at the turbulent tributary of the River of Time in silence. However, a day passed, 2 days passed, soon, 5, 6 days passed. But the tributary of the River of Time showed no commotion. 10 days went by, half a month passed, but the waiting immortals did not even see a trace of Fang Yuan. However, they were not shaken. They were either current or future Heavenly Court Gu immortals. How could such people lack patience? Especially Feng Gu, who had battled Fang Yuan a few times and knew of his terrifying growth rate. He had already marked Fang Yuan as a great threat to the world. He had already made up his mind to eliminate Fang Yuan as early as possible, or else he would not be at ease. Where is Fang Yuan? Are they still on the Stone Lotus Island? Why do I feel a sense of unease? In Heavenly Court, Fairy Ziwei, however, was starting to feel puzzled. Not long after Lord Huang Shi's sacrifice, she had completely lost the information of Fang Yuan and the rest. The Shadow Sect members had used the self-cleansing Immortal Gu formation along with the power of Red Lotus true inheritance to speed up time. They had completely gotten rid of the investigative killer move on them. Although there was no evidence to prove Fang Yuan and the others had escaped from the River of Time, Fairy Ziwei vaguely sensed something wrong. This attracted Fairy Ziwei's attention. Wisdom Path Gu immortals were not just about intellect. Wisdom path cultivation emphasized on three main points: thoughts, wills, and emotions. Among them, emotions and feelings were also specialty methods of wisdom path Gu immortals. Thus, the unease in Fairy Ziwei's heart had not just appeared out of nowhere, it was a premonition. In the worst-case scenario, Fang Yuan has already escaped the river of time. But Feng Gu and the group had already blocked the entrance, so how did he succeed in escaping? Did he gain some extremely powerful concealment method from Red Lotus True Inheritance? Or did he use another tributary of the river of time? Fairy Ziwei suddenly had a flash of inspiration. The two tributaries of the river of time that Fang Yuan had access to were already exposed. This information was definite because its source was Spectral Soul's main body. Spectral Soul's main body had been suppressed by Duke Long. Heavenly Court naturally would not let him go and had conducted soul searching on him. However, Spectral Soul was a peak expert of soul path. Even if there was only a tiny fraction of his soul remaining, how could he be easily soul searched by ordinary methods? Heavenly Court had exhausted all their means to extract information, but Spectral Soul's main body was still struggling stubbornly, and as such, they had not obtained much information. If Fang Yuan did not use this tributary of the river of time, then which exit did he choose? Tributaries of the river of time were exits. Feng Gu and the group were blocking the final exit. Even if Fang Yuan did not investigate it, he would have already expected this situation and might have taken the risk to charge through another tributary of the river of time. Because rather than fighting with the sufficiently prepared Heavenly Court forces, it might be better to break through other, unaware forces. And in Western Desert, there are altogether three forces who have control over a tributary of the river of time. First is Tian clan. This clan mainly cultivates wood path and earth path, and are mainly renowned for their immortal aperture management, and even have good reputation in the other four regions. In the current Western Desert Gu Immortal world, it is one of the super forces with the most solid foundations. Second is Gong clan. Gong clan Gu Immortals are proficient in long-range fighting methods, especially their curse-related killer moves, which are imperceptible and can silently take their enemy's life even when they are separated by an enormous range. Their most famous immortal killer move, Bao Shadow Cup, had terrorized the whole of Western Desert's Gu Immortal world. They only need a trace of the target's shadow, after which, they can activate the killer move and can kill their target no matter how far apart the distance. Third is Tang clan. Tang clan is a declining clan. Its strength is mid-lower tier among Western Desert super forces. But they still have an immortal Gu house and has control over a tributary of the River of Time, which is right by their headquarters. With their powerful defensive strength, other forces cannot easily seize it. If Fang Yuan were to forcibly charge through, which clan would he choose? If I consider this, along with no movement from the three clans, Fang Yuan might still be in River of Time. Fairy Ziwei was in deep contemplation. She was deeply aware of the situation of Western Desert's Gu Immortal world. The power of Heavenly Court's information gathering was clear from this. Tang clan. The remnant afterglow of an immortal killer move successively condensed on Fang Yuan and the rest. This move will provide us 3 months of time. Not only can it defend against the deductions of Gu Immortals, it can also avert the attention of Heaven's will. Fang Yuan slowly opened his eyes, which shined briefly with joy. Other than Fang Yuan, there was also Bai Ning Bing, He Lu Lan, Ing Wu Xie, Black Tigress, and Fairy Miao Yin. No one was missing. Fairy Ziwei's conjecture was only half correct. Fang Yuan indeed had no plans to engage in a desperate battle with Heavenly Court's forces, and had given up on that tributary of the River of Time. But Fang Yuan's group had already left the River of Time 10 days ago, returning to Western Desert. Let's go. It is time to leave Western Desert. Fang Yuan moved forward while the other immortals followed closely behind. They were deep below the ground. The group kept on moving until they reached the surface. 2 Western Desert Gu immortals were already waiting for them at the entrance. Tang Fong Ming, Tang Lan Ku, pays respects to Shadow Sect leader. The 2 Gu immortals looked young, and after seeing Fang Yuan, they elegantly bowed. Fang Yuan laughed. I have troubled you too. These are the immortal Gu I borrowed from your esteemed clan. Fang Yuan waved his hand. Several immortal Gu slowly flew into Tang Fong Ming's hand. Tang Fong Ming carefully examined, and after determining there was no damage to the immortal Gu, he cautiously stored them into his immortal aperture. He said with some embarrassment, "Please forgive my actions. I borrowed these Gu from the clan personally. This is a huge responsibility. I have no choice but to be more careful." Fang Yuan smiled. Tang Fong Ming's words had deep meaning. After all, Tang clan was a righteous path force, but was cooperating with the demonic path Shadow Sect. If this was exposed, they would be denounced, and there would be immense trouble. But factions did not represent anything. Benefits were the only things that everyone chased after. Tang clan was weak, The external pressure on them was enormous. Such an environment made almost all the Tang Clan Gu immortals possess the spirit of going all out, taking risks, bearing hardships, and enduring patiently. Tang Clan's grand strategy was to develop Dream Path. In Fang Yuan's first life of 500 years, Tang Clan had moved to the top by exploiting dream realms. During the Five Regions' chaotic war, they had made countless achievements. Their strength rose explosively and became the #1 righteous path force of Western Desert in one leap. Fang Yuan had thus contacted Tang Clan to use shadow sects. Research results in Dream Path in exchange for Tang Clan opening up their tributary of the River of Time so that there was a final retreat path for him. Moreover, he was willing to cooperate with Tang Clan in the future to jointly research the Dream Realm and also obtain their financial help to produce Guts Gu. Such enormous benefits moved all the Tang clansmen. The support of Guts Gu, Fang Yuan's unraveled dream, and Ying Wu Xie's lead soul into dream. They were all greatly desired by Tang Clan's Gu immortals. Naturally, the latter two would absolutely not be easy for Tang Clan to obtain. Chapter 1437. This man is going against heaven. Western Desert. Blazing sunlight shone down upon all life forms. The blue sky was cloudless. Distorting hot air was rising up from the golden desert. Farewell. Fang Yuan's group bid farewell to the two Tang Clan Gu immortals. Shadow Sect friends, please take care. Tang Lan Ku smiled. She was a rank 7-time Path Gu immortal and was in charge of the tributary of the River of Time. She was the main person who helped Fang Yuan come out of Tang Clan's tributary of the River of Time. Fang Yuan smiled. You have already accompanied us for 10,000 li. There is no need to send us off anymore. Tang Lan Ku's smile became even brighter, but she was inwardly laughing bitterly. Their cooperation with Fang Yuan was not just about the Guts Gu trade, but also Shadow Sect's various research gains in Dream Path. But ever since Fang Yuan returned to Western Desert, he did not mention anything about this. He seemed to have completely forgotten about it. Although both sides had formed an alliance agreement and were restrained by it, they had yet to truly cooperate. Even Tang Clan was starting to feel somewhat anxious. Tang Fongming, who had been silent the entire time, suddenly spoke, inquiring directly. Shadow Sect leader and friends, I wonder how will we collaborate from now? Fang Yuan glanced at Tang Fongming, an admiring expression flashing past his eyes. I am very interested in thieving Heaven's dream realm. We can deepen our collaboration in this. But right now, we are being chased by several rank 8 Gu immortals of Heavenly Court. It is not a good time to collaborate. We can only look forward to it in the future. Rest assured, we have formed an alliance agreement, haven't we? Of course, if your clan truly insists, we can remain here. It is just that our camps are different, and with Heavenly Court's chase, there is huge pressure on us. Tang Fongming and Tang Lan Ke looked at each other, both seeing bitterness in each other's eyes. Fang Yuan's words meant that if they want to collaborate and obtain Dream Path research gains, then they have to help resist the pursuing forces of Heavenly Court. Moreover, when the matter of Tang Clan colluding with the demonic path is exposed, they will have to bear the consequences of their righteous path reputation going down the drain. Tang Clan could not bear this consequence. They could not take a hard approach as well. Because Fang Yuan was sufficiently strong, such that he had no fear of Tang Clan, who possessed Immortal Gu House. Then I can only wish you a safe journey. Tang Fongming bowed slightly. Okay, farewell. Fang Yuan nodded, leaving with an indifferent expression, while the other immortals followed behind him. Tang Fongming and Tang Lan Ke stood on the sand dune, watching Fang Yuan and the rest leave until they turned into black dots in the horizon. Little Ming, you are letting them go like this? Tang Lan Ke frowned. Tang Fongming glanced at Tang Lan Ke calmly. I am not letting them go. It is that our Tang clan cannot force them to stay. Tang Lan Ke was silent for a long while before sighing. Sigh. I am uneasy about this. I don't know if this alliance is beneficial or harmful to our clan. Tang Fongming, I only know that all things have advantages and disadvantages. Often, the greater the risks, the greater the profits. What's more, the decision of collaborating with Shadow Sect was agreed upon by several supreme elders. Tang Lan Ke immediately showed a serious expression. This has no relation to the clan. Only you and I contacted Shadow Sect. If there is a mishap, only we will bear the responsibility. Tang Fongming chuckled, but was inwardly rolling his eyes. Tang Clan threw him and Tang Lan Ke out as scapegoats to maintain their righteous path identity. They would be the cover to hide the clan's disgrace if this matter was exposed in the future. This was a righteous path's trick, and Tang Fongming was well aware of it. What kind of person is Fang Yuan? He had long seen through Tang Clan's trick. The tributary of the River of Time is near the clan's headquarters, and they stayed for 10 days, but even the first supreme elder did not show up. How could there be sincerity in such a collaboration? Since we are cooperating, we should make up our minds. How can we achieve anything by being so hesitant? Tang Fangming was thinking to himself when Tang Lanko asked, "What do you think of Fang Yuan?" He said he was being chased by several rank 8 Gu Immortals of Heavenly Court. Could he be exaggerating? Tang Fangming knew Tang Lanko's question had deep meaning. His best choice would be to keep silent. If he said bad things about Fang Yuan, Tang Lanko would report to the clan that Tang Fangming was filled with ill feelings toward Shadow Sect and made them unhappy. She could use this to push the responsibility of this matter to him. If he said good words about Fang Yuan, Tang Lanko would collect this evidence. In case the matter were to be exposed in the future, Tang clan would sacrifice them to protect itself. Tang Lanko could then present the evidence to say that she had been enticed by a certain Gu Immortal of the clan and lighten her punishment. Tang Fangming was not a fool. He might not have been used to it when he had just returned to the clan. But now, he was an expert in the righteous path's tricks. However, at this moment, as Tang Fangming gazed at Fang Yuan's figure disappearing gradually in the horizons, he had a complex feeling. He sighed and bluntly said his innermost thoughts. Although I haven't seen his splendor in battle, through these several days of contact, I am certain his reputation is not false. Fang Yuan is a legend of this generation. His elegant demeanor and grand ambition fill people with admiration. He is a man who is going against heaven. Just based on this, we will not be able to compare to him. A trace of joy flashed past Tang Lanko's eyes. She kept silent upon hearing Tang Fangming's words. Fang Yuan was also thinking about Tang Fangming as he flew on his way. In his 500 years of memories, this Tang Fangming was a legendary figure of Western Desert. His status was almost equal to Northern Plains Ma Hongyun of that time. Tang Fangming had been stripped of his status and mercilessly abandoned by Tang clan's Gu master higher-ups when he was young. He and his sister, Tang Miao, led a vagrant life, suffering much hardship. But due to a fortuitous encounter, he cultivated to Gu Immortal level, while his sister Tang Miao became a rank 5 peak stage Gu master. To recruit a Gu Immortal, Tang clan's multiple supreme elders sacrificed the Gu master higher-ups of the clan in exchange for the return of Tang Fangming. The later events prove that Tang clan's supreme elders made a wise decision. After Tang Fangming returned to the clan, not only did he help his sister to become a Gu Immortal, he also actively explored Thieving Heaven's dream realm. He had an extraordinary talent and aptitude in dream realm exploration. He started to create dream path Gu worms, making huge contributions to the rise of the whole of Tang clan. During the 5 regions' chaotic war, dream realms manifested everywhere, dream path flourished, and Tang clan seized this opportunity to rise to become Western Desert's strongest superforce. It was mighty and powerful. Even throughout the 5 regions, it was a peak-level superforce. As Tang clan's prestige spread in Western Desert, there were many who started to call Western Desert's Gu Immortal world to be in Tang clan's era. And in Tang clan, the most eye-catching and charismatic legend was the Gu Immortal who turned to cultivating Dream Path, Tang Fangming. Currently, Ma Hongyun has already died in my hands, but with the coming collaboration, Tang Fangming will grow up even faster. The comparison and contrast between the two is truly quite amazing. But according to the true path set by fate, Ma Hongyun was meant to die. A dark light flashed past Fang Yuan's eyes as he thought of this. On the stone Lotus Island, what Fang Yuan obtained was not only true inheritances and Spectral Soul's rank 9 immortal essence, but also some valuable information Spectral Souls will have deduced with the help of Red Lotus true inheritance. In Fang Yuan's first life, Shadow Sect had succeeded in defying heaven, Spectral Soul Demon Venerable had resurrected, and also succeeded in infiltrating Heavenly Court. Later, the Great Era descended, and the 5 regions' chaotic war started. Shadow Sect's influence had expanded into the 5 regions and 2 heavens, manipulating everything in the dark. Shadow Sect had interfered multiple times to save Ma Hongyun, before he finally became a symbolic character of the Northern Plains Gu Immortal world, in order to resist Heavenly Court. And Tang Clan was also a target for Shadow Sect to support secretly. That's right. In Fang Yuan's first life too, Tang Clan had collaborated with Shadow Sect. The reason Tang Clan could create Tang Clan's era was because Shadow Sect was supporting it from behind the scenes to fight against Central Continent's Heavenly Court. Fang Yuan chose to collaborate with Tang Clan mainly because of this. In Western Desert, Tang Clan was not the only one who possessed a tributary of the River of Time. But compared to the other 2 super forces, Tang Clan had more basis for sincere collaboration. The later events proved Fang Yuan's choice was a success. Borrowing Tang Clan's tributary of the River of Time, Fang Yuan escaped River of Time, leaving Feng Jiuji's group back at the original spot as they waited fruitlessly. But, in my first life, even though Shadow Sect's grand plan succeeded and Spectral Soul revived, he seemed to have been unable to regain the status of a Venerable. Moreover, Shadow Sect had retained its strength, but Spectral Soul still chose to fight Heavenly Court in the dark, while supporting other forces. This proved Heavenly Court's strength was difficult for even Spectral Soul to confront head-on at that time. In this life, Spectral Soul's grand plan failed because of me. Spectral Soul's main body was even captured. Shadow Sect is in rough condition, and the only ones remaining are us. This situation is many times worse than in my first life. Now, I also might have to follow Spectral Soul's strategy, keeping in hiding while supporting several forces like Tang Clan to create trouble for Heavenly Court. But what do I do against Fate Gu? Fang Yuan's brows unavoidably furrowed at this issue. In his first life, Fate Gu was not restored successfully. Because Zombie Alliance still existed, and Spectral Soul, the one fated to die long ago, had revived. Not only did he revive, he hid from Heavenly Court, manipulating and brewing countless schemes in secret, obstructing Heavenly Court in restoring Fate Gu. But it was different now. The situation facing Fang Yuan was much worse. Spectral Soul's main body was captured and Zombie Alliance was gone. Many fate-defying existences were already eliminated, which made the restoration of Fate Gu much easier. Fate Immortal Gu was the executioner's blade hanging above Fang Yuan's head. Spectral Souls had deeply reminded Fang Yuan to be careful of Fate Immortal Gu. If it was really restored completely, the result would be disastrous. Fang Yuan firmly engraved this warning in his mind, but he could not imagine or think of ways to go about destroying Fate Immortal Gu. Could he surrender if he could not win? As far as Shadow Sect was concerned, they did not have this option at all, and it was even more so for Fang Yuan. In my first life, I was constantly on the go, wandering, enduring hardships, being schemed against, tormented and suppressed by Heaven's will. I already have no route to retreat. Heaven's will chose me as its tool, but when I did not destroy Sovereign Immortal Fetus Gu and used it on myself, I went on the path to go. Against Heaven, there is no other option left. Thinking of this, Fang Yuan looked at the sky, the boundless heavens, and the vast will of Heaven. Compared to them, he was so insignificant. Going against Heaven? Interesting. Fang Yuan smiled silently. Chapter 1438. Heavenly Court shocks the 5 regions central continent. Heavenly Court. Halls made of white jade stood majestically in the clouds, while the majestic silver sky shone brightly and grandly. Among these halls was a pitch-black hall that was very conspicuous. 3 large words were carved on the plaque of the door: Soul Suppression Hall. The aura emanating from this hall exposed its extraordinariness. Undoubtedly, this was a rank 8 Immortal Gu house. At the center of this hall were 5 enormous pillars. Purple gold chains were connected around the scarlet pillars to form a giant web, and a remnant soul was shackled at the center of this giant web. It was Spectral Soul's main body. Fairy Ziwei stood expressionlessly at the edge of the 5 pillars. Spectral Soul, Demon Venerable. You were a rank 9 Gu Venerable when alive. You did not accept your death and acted in defiance against Heaven. Your current outcome is entirely the negative consequence of your own actions. Do you admit your wrongdoing? Her voice was crystal clear as it resonated in the large hall. On the contrary, the remnant soul remained silent, not even letting out a grunt. Fairy Ziwei continued. In the past, you had rampaged around the whole world, slaughtering countless beings to satisfy your desires and attain your personal achievements. Now, you have become a prisoner. Are you still not going to repent and strive for the well-being of all life forms to atone for your crimes? The remnant soul was still silent. Fairy Ziwei sighed, activating Soul Suppression Hall. Immediately, the vast auras of Gu worms surged like rolling tides, and like lava, the 5 giant pillars started radiating light and heat. The giant web formed by countless purple gold chains subsequently shone with a dazzling and bewitching light. Spectral Soul's main body began to tremble, and as time passed, his trembling grew more intense. When the trembling reached a certain degree, bits of information was extracted, which followed the countless purple gold chains into Soul Suppression Hall. Images started to emerge on the surface of the giant pillars, playing out some scenes of Spectral Soul's life back in the day. There were scenes of his cultivation, his valor in battles, conversations with others, and so on. The whole soul search lasted for 15 minutes before it slowly stopped. Fairy Ziwei, however, was not pleased. The extracted information was only superficial, and there was almost no truly valuable information. Her gaze turned grim as she sneered. "O Spectral Soul, since ancient times it has always been winners who take all. What is the point of doing this? You already have no hope. Are you still hoping someone will attack Heavenly Court and save you? Hee. What can you achieve by putting up this resistance? Your outcome is set, and it cannot be changed." Spectral Soul was still silent, like a piece of steel or rock. Fairy Ziwei snorted, turning around and leaving. Boom. The large door of Soul Suppression Hall closed heavily behind her. Looking at the empty Heavenly Court and the silent halls, Fairy Ziwei's brows furrowed slightly. Over these days, the uneasy feeling in her had become increasingly intense. And over on Feng Jiuji's end, they still had not found any traces of Fang Yuan's group. Not only this, in the information that Heavenly Court gathered regarding Western Desert, there was no news of anyone coming out of a tributary of the River of Time. Everything was peaceful. However, Fairy Ziwei sensed something wrong from this peace. Unfortunately, Spectral Soul is still putting up a resistance even after falling to this state. The information extracted from him is of no help in deducing Fang Yuan's tracks. He was after all a rank 9 Venerable, a peak legendary expert of soul path. Even if this is just a trace of his soul, it is actually able to resist the search of Soul Suppression Hall. Truly amazing. If it were my remnant soul, not to speak of an Immortal Gu house, it won't be able to resist even a rank 6 Immortal Gu. Forget it. Even if Spectral Soul won't cooperate, Soul Suppression Hall can still continue to soul search. It is just that the progress is rather slow. But given some time, there will be a day when all the information will be extracted from Spectral Soul. As for now, Fairy Ziwei gazed at the sky, her lips curling upwards as she revealed an extremely beautiful smile. It is time for the world to know of Heavenly Court's might. Heavenly Court, which had been keeping silent for several months after the Battle of Dream Realm, suddenly revealed astonishingly terrifying news. The former Spectral Soul Demon, Venerable left with merely a remnant soul, was captured by Heavenly Court. His heaven-defying scheme was ruined by Heavenly Court's Gu Immortals. The moment this news spread, the whole Gu Immortal world went into an uproar. Countless Gu Immortals were shaken. Rank 9 Venerables were invincible existences who ruled an era. No one could have imagined Heavenly Court to be able to capture a rank 9 Venerable. Moreover, it was Spectral Soul Demon Venerable, who had the most murderous nature among all the Venerables. Despite it being only a remnant soul, it was still enough to shake the world. Naturally, there were voices who questioned the authenticity of this news, but they soon vanished. Heavenly Court had naturally made sufficient preparation, listing out all kinds of evidence, spanning from Zombie Alliance, Shadow Sect, as well as the Battle of Etion Mountain, the Battle of the Super Dream Realm, and so on. The ironclad evidence completely convinced the people. In an instant, the whole world's attention was gathered on Heavenly Court. The past glory of Heavenly Court was dug up by countless Gu Immortals. It was the #1 force in the Gu Immortal world, the strongest force since the start. It was founded by primordial origin Immortal Venerable, and was inherited by multiple Immortal Venerables later on, standing tall throughout countless generations. Even when 3 Demon Venerables invaded it, they had to leave without success. It was mysterious, it was powerful, it stood high above, it was unfathomable. This was Heavenly Court. Northern Plains, Longevity Heaven. South Desolation Immortal was lying on a sickbed, his aged face showing his final remaining bit of vitality. Sigh. Who could have thought that the grand Spectral Soul Demon Venerable's reputation to be lost after death, actually ending up in Heavenly Court's hands? South Desolation Immortal heaved a deep sigh. Huang, who was standing beside the sickbed, comforted. Lord South Desolation, you should focus on recuperating and resting. South Desolation Immortal chuckled. It doesn't matter. I only have a few days remaining. Remember the things I instructed you. You will take the position of South Desolation after my death. Yes, Lord. South Desolation Immortal showed some worry. Times are changing. The 5 regions are descending into an unprecedented state. I have already sensed the surging waves of time, and it is not an ordinary wave. It is a tsunami that far surpasses even the Venerable's eras. Even my longevity heaven will be swallowed by this tsunami if we take a wrong step. Heavenly Court is our biggest enemy. Be careful. Lord, this junior has firmly engraved your words in mind. Southern border, Corpse Emperor Yu Ding Tian. This was an extremely peculiar mountain peak. In ancient times, a rank 8 southern border Gu Immortal turned into an immortal zombie and fought against allied attacks of super forces in this peak, finally dying here. As time passed, on the mangled corpse of this rank 8 immortal zombie, due to the nourishment of the natural essence from the river, along with the aquatic plants in the river that rooted themselves, this place turned into a corpse mountain. Corpse Emperor Yu Ding Tian was as high as several hundreds of meters. It was close to the whirlpool in the intersection of Red Dragon River and Yellow Dragon River, where natural essence was extremely dense, and as such its resource productivity was huge, and it by itself was a place of strategical importance. Right now, Wu Yong was standing at the peak of Corpse Emperor Yu Ding Tian, gazing at the vast whirlpool in the intersection of Red Dragon River and Yellow Dragon River. Behind him was a Wu Clan Gu Immortal, Wu Zhan. Wu Zhan gazed at Wu Yong's back, not in the least concealing the admiration in his heart. This Corpse Emperor Yu Ding Tian originally belonged to Wu Clan, but not long ago, it was seized by Yao Clan. After the Battle of Dream Realm, Wu Yong had brought out clear jade dripping wind tiny bamboo building and displayed his powerful strength, awing the experts of Southern Border's righteous path. Moreover, after he had successfully negotiated and got back the lost Immortal Gu from Heavenly Court, he had returned them to their respective righteous path clans. As a result, Wu Yong's prestige had risen greatly, and although Wu clan had suffered severe losses, this swept away their declining state and stabilized their throne at number 1 in Southern Border. A stick in one hand and a carrot in the other, Wu Yong benefited in every way. He successfully retrieved the lost territories, making many righteous forces retreat without much fight. Now, in Wu clan, many were comparing Wu Yong to Wu Duxiu, Wu clan's morale sword, and they believed Wu Yong would definitely sustain Wu clan's glory. Wu Zhen, this corpse Emperor Yuding Tian, is a strategic place. Among all the clansmen, I can only be at ease handing this to you. Wu Yong said without looking back. Yes, I will not disappoint First Supreme Elder. Wu Zhen's tone was slightly trembling. Lord, he paused before continuing. Corpse Emperor Yuding Tian is our final lost territory. Do we counterattack now? Wu Yong frowned. He had all along been scheming about counterattacking. But after the news of Heavenly Court capturing Spectral Soul, Wu Yong decided to give up this plan. This time, Wu clan lost many Gu immortals. Since we have already recovered all the lost territories, our manpower, which was already barely able to control our vast territories before, has an even bigger issue now. It is time to recuperate and cultivate the next generation of clansmen to become Gu immortals. Yes, I shall follow First Supreme Elder's decision. Wu Zhen said respectfully. The current Wu Yong's prestige was extremely high. His decision was supported by all the Wu clan Gu immortals. However, we cannot settle the matter of infringing on our Wu clan so easily. Although we won't expand our territories, we will get resources as compensation. Wu Yong continued, his voice containing a trace of battle intent. Wu Zhen's spirits immediately rose. First Supreme Elder is wise. Western Desert, Tang Clan's headquarters. Heavenly Court's might really is frightening. Tang Clan's second Supreme Elder was worried. Tang Clan's first Supreme Elder indifferently glanced at him, well aware of why the other had come. Previously, when they discussed collaboration with Fang Yuan's group, the second Supreme Elder was opposed to it. Now that the news of Heavenly Court capturing Spectral Soul was publicized, Tang Clan's Gu immortals felt huge pressure. Will Heavenly Court hold us accountable for cooperating with Shadow Sect? Second Supreme Elder sighed. So what if they do? So what if they do not? First Supreme Elder smiled. Second Supreme Elder frowned and said while pacing around, if they don't blame us, it is naturally a matter of great joy, and we can continue to collaborate with Shadow Sect. But if they hold us accountable, our Tang clan is after all a super force of Western Desert. We can collaborate with other clans to resist Heavenly Court. Of course, we must strictly keep the secret and not let out any evidence. Otherwise, with justification on their side, Heavenly Court can interrogate us while our clan won't be able to seek reinforcements. Also, if that doesn't work, we can only sacrifice Tang Fongming and Tang Lan Ke for the clan. First Supreme Elder laughed. Haha. Look, you already know how to deal with the situation, so what are you panicking for? Ugh. First Supreme Elder restrained his laughter and said in a serious tone, if Tang clan wants to rise, we must take such risks. Riches and fortune are found in danger. If we cannot grasp thieving heaven demon Venerable's dream realm, would we be worthy of this great opportunity? As for Tang Fongming and Tang Lan Ke, they are already aware. Sacrificing for the clan is the greatest honor. Second Supreme Elder sighed. First Supreme Elder is wise. Chapter 1439, Zhao Lianyun's Ascension. Ha! Elder Fang Yuan, you are back. Lang Yalan's spirit laughed heartily, walking towards Fang Yuan with open arms. Fang Yuan also laughed. I feel like I have returned home. My heart truly feels much more secure. The two strongly hugged each other. Their attitude was extremely warm. Elder Fang Yuan, your name has shaken the whole world now. Congratulations. Lang Yalan's spirit's gaze towards Fang Yuan was completely different from before. Fang Yuan now possessed rank 8 battle strength. This was his own battle strength, and was enough for Lang Yalan's spirit to pay heavy attention to him. Moreover, Fang Yuan had escaped from Heavenly Court's chase and safely returned to Langya sect. This battle achievement would shake the world if it was publicized. From Lang Yalan's spirit's perspective, he was naturally willing to see Fang Yuan have a reconcilable hatred towards the number 1 human force, Heavenly Court. The more Fang Yuan was hunted down, the more happy he would be, because he was a hairy man, and his obsession was to make hairy men the rulers of the world. Naturally, Langya sect's safety was much more important. If he had not been convinced that Fang Yuan was clean, and had not left behind any clues for Heavenly Court to track down, Lang Yalan's spirit would not have been so welcoming. Elder Fang Yuan, what are your plans now? Lang Yalan's spirit asked while walking. Fang Yuan spoke bluntly without hesitation. The situation is quite dangerous now. I intend to rest and reorganize for some time. I have already inherited Spectral Soul's true inheritance and become the new leader of Shadow Sect. As long as I have enough time, I can increase my cultivation and strength continually. Heavenly Court is not able to investigate me anymore. Now that I think of it, it was truly dangerous. I was fortunate to have First Supreme Elder fully supporting me. Lang Yalan's spirit felt somewhat embarrassed. He could only laugh loudly. He naturally did not fully support Fang Yuan, and only helped Fang Yuan refine Gu according to the sect rules he had set. If he did, he would have already sent Hairy Man Gu Immortals to aid Fang Yuan. The two conversed while walking. Along the way, they saw many Hairy Man Gu masters who bowed towards them respectfully. Lang Yasec's development was also progressing rapidly. Ever since Lang Yalan's spirit changed the development strategy, promoting the Hairy Man War of the Three Continents, many outstanding Hairy Man Gu masters had risen. These Hairy Man elites were selected and brought to live in Cloud Cover Continent to guide them in further cultivation. Murals of Lang Yasec's supreme elders were in each cloud city of Cloud Cover Continent, and the cloud city belonging to Fang Yuan was much taller and had a giant statue of him. As such, these Gu masters were familiar with all Gu immortal elders. After discussing for a while, Fang Yuan bade farewell to Lang Yalan's spirit. The two had conversed cheerily. Lang Yalan's spirit was of course extremely interested in Spectral Soul's true inheritance, while Fang Yuan wanted to use Lang Yasec's power to help him refine Immortal Gu. Fang Yuan had some ability in refinement path, but against Lang Yasec, he paled in comparison. Both sides set up many agreements. Lang Yalan's spirit left in satisfaction. Fang Yuan walked to a Gu refinement hall and saw Sixth Hair. So it was Second Supreme Elder. Sorry for not receiving you. Sixth Hair smiled. He looked withered and haggard, and in a miserable state. When he saw Fang Yuan, complicated expressions were shown through his eyes. There was joy, surges of emotions, loneliness, and sighs. Events in life were mystical things. Before, Sixth Hair had been wishing for Fang Yuan's death. Now, Fang Yuan had become the leader of Shadow Sect, and was also the only hope in rescuing Spectral Soul's main body. Since Fang Yuan protected Ying Wuxie's life and had irreconcilable enmity with Heavenly Court, Sixth Hair also chose to acknowledge Fang Yuan's position. Sixth Hair pays respect to Lord Sect Leader. Please forgive me for not being able to pay full respects. Sixth Hair transmitted his voice. This was Lang Ya blessed land. Lang Ya land's spirit could observe everything clearly. It is just superficial etiquette. How could I mind these things? Fang Yuan transmitted his voice. I still need to thank you for your effort in helping me by refining Immortal Gu. Heavenly Court is my sworn enemy. There will be a day when I will invade Heavenly Court and use all my strength to rescue Spectral Soul's main body. Sixth Hair nodded, a radiant splendor flashing past his eyes as he turned around to lead the way. Please, this way. Actually, he was aware Fang Yuan's words did not have any assurance. If Fang Yuan wanted to break his word, he would suffer no punishment nor pay any price. But for a human to live, they needed hope, even if this hope was minuscule. Moreover, Sixth Hair was aware that if Fang Yuan had not been recruited, just based on the remaining Shadow Sect Gu Immortals, they simply would not be Heavenly Court's match and would soon be wiped out. Heavenly Court would not even need to make a move. Fang Yuan might be the first to move against Shadow Sect's remnant forces to gain benefits. Purple Mountain True Monarch had already predicted the future situation, and so to preserve the remaining Shadow Sect forces and to sustain hope, he handed the whole of Shadow Sect to Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan knew Purple Mountain True Monarch's intention, but he accepted it and was quite happy in doing so. Fang Yuan followed Sixth Hair and walked some distance before arriving in front of a refinement path Immortal formation. There, flames were raging, but they were radiating extremely cold air. The extreme coldness soon covered Fang Yuan's brows and the tips of his hair with a layer of frost. Lord Sect Leader, Cleanse Soul Immortal Gu's refinement has already reached its crucial stage, but I have failed several times in this step. My luck is inferior to yours, Sect Leader. You are more suitable to complete these final few steps. Sixth Hair transmitted his voice. He then started to explain the steps of Gu refinement in detail, as well as many key points among them, his own experiences and insights. Fang Yuan listened attentively, not missing even a single word. Cleanse Soul Immortal Gu was the crucial key to his next cultivation plan. Almost at the same time, far away in Central Continent's Spirit Affinity House, a peak rank 5 female Gu master was faced with an important moment of her life. At this moment, she wore combat armor. She had clear white skin and her eyes shone like stars. Her arched eyebrows were slightly furrowed right now as she concentrated. You can begin. Spirit Affinity House's Wisdom Path Gu Immortal Su Hao spoke. At his side was a female immortal. She was Su Hao's wife, Li Juning. Zhao Lian nodded, and took a deep breath as she started her immortal ascension. In her rank 5 peak stage aperture, primeval essence surged like fierce waves and struck at the surrounding aperture walls. Soon, cracks began to appear on the aperture walls. Following the increase in cracks, a formless heavenly power began to slowly lift Zhao Lian's body. When she was raised over 10 feet from the ground, Zhao Lian stopped. Currently, Zhao Lian's eyes were closed. Her whole concentration was on controlling the primeval essence in her aperture to fiercely smash at the aperture walls. She was unaware that as the cracks on her aperture walls increased, the aura she revealed was becoming more dense and had already attracted 2 enormous waves of qi. Heaven qi surged, dark clouds rolled in the sky, and thunder started booming. Vast earth qi caused ground to shake and dust to rise. Heaven qi and earth qi were increasing in intensity. Suddenly, a crisp sound echoed as Zhao Lian's aperture completely fragmented. Immediately, an extremely dense human qi flowed out of her body. Heaven qi, earth qi, and human qi began to mutually attract each other and soon gathered together, forming a giant qi sphere that covered Zhao Lian. You must persevere, Li Juning mumbled. Helping Zhao Lian ascend to Gu Immortal was not just a task from Spirit Affinity House. Even more, it concerned her and her husband Su Hao's benefits in the sect. Su Hao and Li Juning belonged to the anti-Feng faction, which was unable to get along with Feng Juji's faction. And Zhao Lian was the most crucial person in the anti-Feng faction. Su Hao was solemn and cautious. Zhao Lian's ascension was different from others. Because she had divine concealment, she could not be deduced, and calamities and tribulations could not descend upon her. Such an immortal ascension was unprecedented in history. Even thieving heaven demon Venerable had only created the first version of divine concealment after becoming a Gu Immortal. As such, Su Hao was extremely careful. Paying full attention to Zhao Lian's condition, he would immediately help if there was anything wrong. However, at this moment, despite Su Hao having an intense desire to help, he was unable to do so. 3 qi gathered. Zhao Lian had to personally control its fusion process. Outsiders could not interfere. Before she underwent immortal ascension, Zhao Lian had done large amounts of preparation and practice. With Gu Immortal's training and instructing her, she was extremely familiar with the whole process of immortal ascension. The qi sphere formed by the 3 qi became increasingly smaller. This was a good change. It showed Zhao Lian was successfully condensing the 3 qi. After a while, the 3 had shrunken to an extreme degree. Zhao Lian opened her eyes and gave a cry as she sent her vital Gu into the center of the 3 qi. Rumble. A huge sound resounded, like the booming of thunder. For an instant, Zhao Lian was completely dazed, her gaze going blank. But she came to her senses the very next moment, quickly looking at her aperture. There was no longer an aperture. Replacing it was an immortal aperture. Rank 6 Immortal Aperture. I have succeeded. Zhao Lian wept from extreme joy. Chapter 1440. Great Dream Immortal Venerable Feng, Jin Huang Northern Plains, Lenya Blessed Land, Gu Refinement Hall. The refinement path Gu formation slowly operated. The eerie blue cold fire had already turned into an iceberg. Fang Yuan stood at the edge of the refinement path immortal formation and raised his hands, closely pressing his palms onto the iceberg. His eyes shone brightly as he put almost all his concentration into the Gu refinement. All kinds of Gu worm auras fluctuated in his body. There were auras of mortal Gu as well as immortal Gu. He was using large amounts of refinement path methods as well as killer moves. Under Fang Yuan's effort, the blue cold fire was still quietly burning inside the iceberg. Gu materials were constantly refined by the fire. Their impurities were removed, leaving behind only the purest essence. An immortal Gu embryo was beginning to form little by little. Sixth Hair, who was standing at the side, was observing with a joyful look. This progress had already surpassed his previous records. This was naturally not because Fang Yuan's refinement path attainment was higher than Sixth Hair, but because of luck. And an even more important reason was the refinement path method. To think that our sect had an inheritance of a refinement path great expert of the remote antiquity era, Bei Luo. Sixth Hair inwardly sighed. Bei Luo was a renowned historical figure. He was a rank 8 refinement path Gu Immortal, and he was most specialized in the ice refinement method. Even until now, his ice refinement specialization was at a level where later generations could only look up to. Right now, Fang Yuan was using Bei Luo's ice refinement killer move. Thus, he could easily surpass Sixth Hair's previous progress, and was only a step away from successfully refining Cleansed Soul Immortal Gu. Even though Sixth Hair was a split soul and a member of Shadow Sect. Back then, Shadow Sect had used soul replacement to place him in Lenya Blessed Land, and had not given him a lot of memories regarding cultivation. Because once these memories exceeded a limit, it could easily reveal some flaws when cultivating. And in Lenya Blessed Land, Langya Land Spirit was almost all-knowing, able to observe every small change in any part of the Blessed Land. Now that Fang Yuan had become Shadow Sect's leader and obtained all the inheritances of Shadow Sect, his Gu cultivation foundation had risen explosively. This increase could be said to be earth-shaking. Even Fang Yuan himself felt a little dazed by it. If Fang Yuan's foundation was like a lake earlier, after getting Shadow Sect's inheritances, it was like an ocean now. Even Langya Sect's foundation was below Shadow Sect's. Langya Sect was established extremely long ago, but it was only created by the rank 8 Gu Immortal long-hair ancestor, while Shadow Sect's founder was Spectral Soul Demon Venerable, who had massacred countless beings over the world. So, when Fang Yuan understood the Gu refinement steps of Cleanse Soul Immortal Gu, he selected the most suitable refinement method from the large amounts of inheritances in his mind, Bei Luo Ice Refinement Method. Good. The Immortal Gu embryo has already mostly formed. Success is very close. As time passed, Sixth Hair became increasingly excited. His gaze moved to Fang Yuan once again. This man, Sixth Hair's eyes flickered with a complex gaze. He has a solid foundation in refinement path and also ample talent in it. More importantly, the ice refinement method seems to suit him greatly. Sixth Hair thought to himself. There were thousands upon thousands of refinement path methods: fire refinement, ice refinement, group refinement, time refinement, and so on. Some people were suited for fire refinement methods, while some were innately suited for water refinement methods. Fang Yuan also discovered that the ice refinement method suited him very well. Looks like I should practice ice refinement method in my spare time. It seems to suit my personality even more than blood refinement. While thinking, Fang Yuan mobilized his Gu worms, preparing for an immortal killer move. There was already a huge number of myriad self-clones in his immortal aperture. While he was refining Gu, these clones were helping him set up the killer move. When this immortal killer move was activated, Fang Yuan immediately felt warmth spreading throughout his whole body, resisting the bone-chilling coldness coming from the outside. The intense coldness continually spread from the iceberg. This was a disadvantage of the ice refinement method. Gu Immortals had to refine Gu while resisting the coldness. If Myriad Self had not been upgraded, it would be quite difficult for Fang Yuan to deal with many aspects. But with the new Myriad Self, he was able to easily pass this difficulty. Just as Fang Yuan was continuing to refine Gu, far away in Central Continent, Feng Huang had climbed to a mountain peak. It was dawn, and there was still some darkness in the sky with a few scattered stars. Feng Huang breathed out as she gazed far away, but her face was filled with worry. Being raised under the protection of Gu immortal parents, the previous her did not know the taste of sorrow. Now, however, she had tasted setbacks and experienced the difficulties of life, especially in recent times, as Zhao Lian succeeded in her immortal ascension. This greatly increased the anti-Feng faction's reputation in Spirit Affinity House, and with Feng Gu far away in Western Desert, Fairy by Qing was unable to deal with this alone, allowing Su Hao's group to gain a lot of support. From these events, Feng Huang experienced difficulties and bitterness which she had not felt before. In her eyes, the sect had completely transformed. Sigh. She sat down on a rock and sighed. She started thinking of Zhao Lian. This girl came from behind and robbed Feng Huang of her goal, the position of Spirit Affinity House's fairy. Now, she had succeeded in her immortal ascension, and was now different from mortals. The scene of Zhao Lian begging her was still clear in her mind. Zhao Lian is an otherworldly demon. Fang Yuan is also an otherworldly demon. Why am I always losing to otherworldly demons? Feng Huang's thoughts were wandering, that unforgettable scene emerging from the depths of her mind. It was at the peak of Danghun Mountain, when she first saw Fang Yuan. Feng Huang's face immediately flushed. She quickly shook her head and suppressed these scenes and memories. What use is there in thinking about this? Feng Huang, you need to keep on working harder. You need to put in more effort, become a Gu immortal, and help father and mother. Feng Huang collected her thoughts and began to summarize her most recent dream realm experience. That was the dream realm of the refinement path, Great Expert Bei Luo. After passing this dream realm, my refinement path has already broken through to Great Grandmaster. Senior Bei Luo was most proficient in ice refinement. Let's give it a try. Feng Huang spread her arms. Her 10 fingers twitched rhythmically and quickly, creating multiple layers of blurred images. A gust of cold air immediately swirled around her hand, becoming more vigorous. Feng Huang was a refinement path Great Grandmaster. With such an outstanding attainment level, a Gu worm soon appeared out of the cold air. This was an ice path rank 3 mortal Gu. It flew to Feng Huang's shoulder and sat there motionlessly. Following it, a second and third Gu worm flew out. Moreover, their ranks were gradually climbing from rank 3 to rank 4 and 5. Huang's expression revealed joy. Her eyes were gradually brightening, and her finger movements became even faster. But at the next moment, the cold air suddenly exploded. The Gu refinement failed, and Huang suffered a backlash. Damn it! Huang's heart sank, and her face paled. She subconsciously closed her eyes and gritted her teeth to endure the incoming pain. But nothing happened. What's going on? Huang slowly opened her eyes. She saw a tall man in front of her with one hand stretched before her eyes. That cold air which had exploded was now actually condensed into an ice sphere in his hand. The man was truly tall. Huang's head only reached above his knees. His long hair fluttered in the wind. His posture was grand and powerful. His gaze contained wisdom and the vicissitudes of life. What attracted Huang's attention was the pair of coral-like dragon horns on his forehead. Senior, you are? Thank you for saving me. Huang quickly bowed. The tall man smiled. There are countless refinement path methods. Ice refinement, however, does not suit you, Huang. Your nature is active and bright, so you are more suited for metal refinement and fire refinement. As for ice refinement, those who are proficient in it usually have a patient and persistent nature. The tall man then lightly clenched his fist, destroying the ice sphere in his palm. Huang clicked her tongue in surprise. She was deeply aware of the might of this cold air. It was enough to severely injure an ordinary rank 5 Gu master. Her eyes suddenly brightened. Senior, you are a Gu immortal? You know my parents. Huang had come in contact with many Gu immortals, so she did not feel uncomfortable. Normally speaking, those Gu immortals were quite pleasant to her, mostly because they admired Ji's great reputation. Sure enough, the tall man nodded his head. I know your parents, but right now, I came specially for you. For me? Huang was surprised. Indeed, the tall man continued. Oh Huang, in the future you will become Great Dream Immortal Venerable. You are destined to join Heavenly Court and lead this era, stunning the world and standing proudly at the peak of Gu immortals. I am Heavenly Court's Gu Immortal Duke Long. I came here to take you in as my disciple, to lead you to the grand throne of a rank 9 Venerable. What? Huang's mouth opened wide as she looked at the tall man in a daze. Duke Long smiled at Huang. His expression was peaceful and amiable. Huang, however, had a look of I think this guy is a scammer towards this legendary character who had defeated Spectral Soul. She did not recognize Duke Long. Duke Long's appearance was familiar to the Gu immortals of the 10 great ancient sects, but Huang was immortal and had no access to this knowledge. Immortals and mortals were in 2 different worlds. Uncle, do you know that since ancient times, there were only 10 people who became Gu venerables? I know the prophecy regarding Great Dream Immortal Venerable, but how can I possibly be that Great Dream Immortal Venerable? Huang asked. Don't doubt yourself. Duke Long smiled. You are the future Great Dream Immortal Venerable. When you were young, a dream path Immortal Gu chose you. This was the sign. Your life should have been smooth sailing with dazzling achievements. Regretfully, some obstacles appeared. Those otherworldly demons who are not bound by fate. They stole your fortuitous encounters. Like who Immortal blessed land, and also the position of the current generation fairy of Spirit Affinity House. But none of these are important. Fate Immortal Gu will be completely restored in 10 years. You will definitely become Great Dream Immortal Venerable, because this is all predestined by fate. Duke Long's expression was serious as he said this. His gaze was extremely firm, like he was telling an absolute truth. Nothing in this world could shake or change this truth. Huang was also affected by his words. She was stumped for a moment, unable to say anything. Chapter 1441. Snow Lotus Essence. Pieces of ice fell to the ground. Cough, cough. Fang Yuan pressed on his chest as he coughed out blood clots from his heart and lungs. These blood clots had solidified into small pieces, letting out intense coldness. Fang Yuan's expression was unusual. His face looked purple. He had suffered a huge injury. The Gu refinement had failed. The giant iceberg exploded, and Fang Yuan had to forcibly endure the backlash. Immortal Gu man as before. Fang Yuan immediately activated his Immortal Gu, restoring himself to his previous state. The purple tint on his face disappeared, and his injuries were almost all gone. But there was still large amounts of frost energy solidifying inside his body, making him feel uncomfortable. The frost energy was not a result of the Gu refinement failure, but had accumulated in Fang Yuan's body throughout the refinement process. Because the time duration was long, man as before was not able to produce perfect results. Speaking of which, I have mainly been relying on man as before as my healing method. This rank 6 Immortal Gu is extremely useful, and is the core to many killer moves in the Shadow Sect inheritances. Given some time, after I train and get proficient in these killer moves, my healing ability will definitely rise sharply. Fang Yuan started pondering when suddenly a flash of inspiration hit him. Wait, since there is man as before, why is there no Gu as before? A Gu worm to heal Gu worms. This was possible. If there is an immortal Gu like Gu as before, can I use it as the core to design an immortal killer move to help me refine Gu? If there is truly such a killer move, then I could have used it just before to immediately recover the damage and return back to the final step of the Gu refinement. Fang Yuan's eyes shone as he began to inspect the storage of Shadow Sect inheritances in his mind. The true inheritance contents of Shadow Sect was as vast as a sea. After Fang Yuan looked through them, he found that this idea had already been envisioned by predecessors. And there were many who thought of this. Most of them were refinement path Gu immortals, and there were also those of time path. There were many inheritances where predecessors had recorded their thoughts and results regarding Gu as before. However, they were all incomplete immortal Gu recipes, and not one was deduced completely. It was very difficult to realize this concept. As far as most Gu immortals were concerned, man as before had a limited range of use. Rank 6 man as before had a very weak effect on rank 7 Gu immortals, and often the activation would fail. Rank 7 man as before also did not have outstanding effects on most rank 7 Gu immortals. Unless the target was a time path Gu immortal with a lot of time path Dao marks, then they would not conflict with man as before, and also be able to amplify its ability. Since man as before was like this, Gu as before was even more troubling. To Gu immortals, using Gu as before to restore mortal Gu had small significance because Gu immortals did not lack mortal Gu. The matter of mortal Gu was only a problem of quantity for them. Naturally, lifespan Gu was an exception, but using Gu as before to restore immortal Gu was even more difficult than restoring Gu immortals. Because every immortal Gu was a fragment of the great Tao in their respective paths, there was a strong conflict between immortal Gu of different paths. Immortal Gu could coordinate with each other, but using their effect on another immortal Gu was a completely different concept, unless they had dominance in rank. For instance, using rank 7 Gu as before to restore rank 6 Gu had some likelihood, but using it on rank 7 would definitely fail. The concept of Gu as before was extremely enticing, but it was too difficult to create in reality. There were many Gu immortals who had such inspirations, and there was not a lack of refinement path and time path great grandmasters among them. Unfortunately, none of their efforts succeeded. Gu as before was not a viable concept, but Fang Yuan had other ways around it. For instance, some refinement path immortal formations. These immortal formations had short-term effects of backtracking through time. Gu immortals could activate these immortal formations to restore any mistakes. In Shadow Sect's inheritances, there were over 10 such immortal Gu formations. But each of them had some disadvantages. Some had enormous demand on immortal essence. Some had limited numbers of times they could backtrack through time, and some were only limited to refining rank 6 immortal Gu. Among these immortal Gu formations, the greatest one was Immortal Gu House Regret Pool, one of the 3 legendary pools of the world. Unfortunately, be it Regret Pool or those immortal Gu formations, I only have the inheritances but lack the suitable immortal Gu. Fang Yuan sighed, feeling troubled at having the knowledge but not having materials to put it to use. Actually, in his current situation, there were too many options laid in front of him. When ordinary people came across immortal opportunities and inherited some predecessor's inheritance, they would jump in joy. Their cultivation journey would also brighten up and their prospects would widen. Fang Yuan's Shadow Sect inheritances were gathered by Spectral Soul Demon Venerable in his life, and even continued for 100,000 years after his death. It could be said Fang Yuan had obtained a sea of inheritances. He had countless choices in his cultivation journey, and among these choices, the most attractive were Soul Path, Time Path, Earth Path, and Space Path. Because they were inheritances of Venerables, even a small portion could create chaos and cause Gu immortals over the 5 regions to engage in mortal combat. With these in his hands, needless to say, Fang Yuan's future prospects were limitless. But the things that could truly provide the greatest help to Fang Yuan were not these new choices. Because although these choices had immense prospects and were extremely tempting, the amount of time, energy, and resources they consumed were astronomical. The one thing that could greatly help Fang Yuan currently was Wisdom Gu. The light of wisdom could provide an incomparable help to cultivation. Fang Yuan had already tasted the benefits of this, and had an extremely deep impression of it. And to obtain Wisdom Gu's acknowledgement once again, he had to use his original rank 6 strength path, Immortal Zombie Body. Fang Yuan already had the method to get rid of the soul path trap in the Immortal Zombie Body. He was only lacking the core Immortal Gu, Cleansed Soul. It all simmered down to refining Cleansed Soul, Immortal Gu. Regretfully, they had already tried to refine Cleansed Soul, Immortal Gu over 10 times, but all the attempts failed. Although the ice refinement method suits me really well, I have not focused on ice path before. Moreover, these final few steps are truly difficult. Fang Yuan sighed. That's true. Sixth Hair went up to Fang Yuan's side and sighed as he looked at the ground filled with ice pieces. The success rate of refining an Immortal Gu was too low. It was a pit with no end in sight. Only the current Fang Yuan had such accumulation and resolution to continue the attempts to refine, cleanse soul Immortal Gu. Currently, Fang Yuan had one big concern: whether someone had already refined, cleansed soul Immortal Gu. Immortal Gu were unique. If that was the case, he would not be able to succeed in the refinement no matter what. However, this could be investigated to some degree. If the Immortal Gu refinement had no mistakes during the whole process, but failed inexplicably at the moment of success, it would imply someone had already refined cleansed soul Immortal Gu. But cleansed soul Immortal Gu's recipe was a secret, and the range of its circulation was quite small. Adding on that it had not been long since it had been destroyed, Fang Yuan's chances were still high. Maybe we can modify the last few steps. We can use Snow Lotus Essence to replace those Ice Path Immortal materials. Sixth Hair said, modifying the Immortal Gu recipe. Fang Yuan mumbled, slightly nodding his head. The final few steps were truly too difficult. After replacing the immortal materials, these few steps could be broken down. Although it would lengthen the procedures and time of the entire refinement process, the difficulty would decrease by a lot. Then let's try modifying the Immortal Gu recipe. Fang Yuan considered for a moment before deciding. Modifying an Immortal Gu recipe could not be done casually and required continuous attempts. It contained huge risks and would waste many resources. But Snow Lotus Essence, this rank 7 immortal material, is quite difficult to obtain and is rarely seen in Treasure Yellow Heaven. Fang Yuan was slightly worried. Sixth Hair smiled. That's of no concern. Snowman tribes produce a lot of this immortal material. Don't forget that we have already joined Northern Plains Variant Human Alliance. I have asked around and found that the Snowman tribe below the Northern Icy Plain has plenty of Snow Lotus Essence. Let's purchase them then. Fang Yuan put his mind at ease. Although he had few Immortal Essence stones currently, he had countless Shadow Sect inheritances. Just taking out some of these could lead to terrifying chaos and carnage. Thus, Fang Yuan was simply not worried that the Snowman tribe would be unmoved. I must obtain the Snow Lotus Essence. A sharp light flashed past Fang Yuan's eyes. He had to refine cleanse soul Immortal Gu as fast as possible. For this, Fang Yuan would not hesitate to pay any cost. Over a month later, Central Continent, Spirit Affinity House's headquarters. A Taoist temple was floating on the clouds. Immortal Gu aura permeated all around it. This Taoist temple was Spirit Affinity House's time path Immortal Gu House, Sun and Moon Temple. The archway, the main hall, and the side halls were all integrated into one. This Taoist temple was one of the foundations of Spirit Affinity House. Its biggest effect was to facilitate in cultivation of Gu Immortals. In normal times, Sun and Moon Temple would be in the control of Spirit Affinity House's supreme elders. They would take turns in using it to help in their cultivation. But right now, Sun and Moon Temple was taken out and placed in the air. Moreover, it was activated. Every corner and tile of the Taoist temple was alternating between emitting the light of the sun and moon. The beautiful light shone on the surrounding clouds, making them look auspicious and creating a scene of an immortal sanctuary. In the main hall of the Taoist temple, Gu Immortals had already gathered. Almost all the Spirit Affinity House's supreme elders were present, along with Feng Gu, Fairy by Qing, Su Hao, Li Juning, and the recently turned Gu Immortal, the current generation fairy of Spirit Affinity House, Zhao Lian. But currently, the main character was not any of them, but Feng Huang. Feng Huang was dressed in neat and sharp white clothing, while her expression was solemn. She was kneeling on the ground, kowtowing to Duke Long, who was on the main seat. This was the ceremony of Feng Huang becoming the disciple of Duke Long. Normally speaking, Feng Huang, who was already in a sect, could not easily acknowledge another Gu Immortal as her master. But who was Duke Long? Everyone in Spirit Affinity House complied with this. They were jubilant. Several supreme elders of Spirit Affinity House had even discussed to make this ceremony of the highest standard and also publicize this widely to raise the sect's prestige. However, this suggestion was refused by Duke Long. Duke Long had notified them. Everything should be kept simple. They should not publicize it, but the standards should be kept high. The first supreme elder of Spirit Affinity House personally took charge. She devoted all her effort to consult ancient texts and spent painstaking care to follow the master-disciple acknowledgement ceremony that was popular in Duke Long's era. Duke Long did not show anything on the surface, but was inwardly quite satisfied with this grand ceremony, especially when his gaze landed on Feng Huang. His eyes revealed even more joy. After the kowtowing ceremony was finished, Feng Huang stood up and took out a cup of tea. offering it to Duke Long with both hands. In the silent hall, Feng Huang spoke in a clear voice. Lord Duke Long, please accept my golden jade Du tea. Duke Long took the teacup and lifted the lid. Instantly, the tea let out a gorgeous and gentle golden light, shining upon the ceiling, creating a magnificent scene. Duke Long slowly closed his eyes and brought the teacup to his nose, taking a light sniff. The fragrance was subtle and extremely clear, like the smell of dew on the grass in the morning of spring, pure and without blemish, and also gave off a smell of brightness and liveliness. This tea is good. Duke Long smiled, slowly opening his eyes as he took a sip. The tea entered his throat, and it indeed was not ordinary. Even Duke Long had rarely come across such an excellent tea in his life. Feng Huang, you are a refinement path great grandmaster. Your tea brewing is naturally extraordinary. Good. From now onwards, you shall be my second disciple. The great hall immediately started buzzing with his words. Every Gu immortal was smiling happily. Even Su Hao and Li Juning were no exception. Play the immortal music. Spirit Affinity House's first supreme elder said softly. The next moment, clear and wonderful immortal music started playing without lacking solemnness and grandness. Disciple, pays respect to master. Feng Huang kowtowed once again. This time she addressed Duke Long as master, and herself as disciple. This grand master-disciple acknowledgement ceremony had finally finished after over 2 hours. The significance of this grand ceremony was extremely huge. Spirit Affinity House's supreme elders were red with excitement. This was the leader of Heavenly Court, Lord Duke Long. He had personally taken in a disciple. The whole of Spirit Affinity House felt honored. As Feng Huang's mother, tears fell out of Fairy Bai Qing's eyes in excitement. Feng Gu stood by her and lightly held her hand. He was also extremely gratified. Tomorrow, Feng Huang will return to Heavenly Court with me and cultivate there. Feng Gu and Bai Qing, remain behind. Others can leave now. Duke Long waved for the others to leave. Only Feng Huang and her parents still remained. Feng Gu, Bai Qing, pays respects to Lord Duke Long. The two bowed respectfully. Duke Long slightly nodded, taking a glance at Fairy Bai Qing before looking at Feng Gu. The task of killing Fang Yuan failed. Duke Long said with an indifferent tone. Feng Gu, I am ashamed. A few months back, Feng Gu and the others had been guarding that tributary of the River of Time in Western Desert. But where could they see Fang Yuan? As time passed, Fairy Ziwei also felt something wrong, and because of Feng Huang's master acknowledgement ceremony, Feng Gu was called back to Central Continent. But the other two Heavenly Court rank 8 Gu immortals still remained back in Western Desert, and had even began setting up an Immortal Gu formation. Duke Long continued. Fang Yuan is an otherworldly demon, and also the only complete otherworldly demon. He is the worst enemy of Heavenly Court, and also the target that you, Feng Gu, must eliminate. I have only taken in 2 disciples my whole life. You should be clear of the significance. Feng Huang is the prospective Great Dream Immortal Venerable, and you, Feng Gu, are her Dao Guardian. What? I am Huang Heir's Dao Guardian. Feng Gu was surprised. This is a heavenly secret. It should not have been revealed. But this has already been learned by Shadow Sect, so it doesn't matter now. The great era is coming. Great Dream Immortal Venerable will be born, and heaven and earth shall experience an unprecedented transformation. Fang Yuan is the obstacle blocking the path of Heavenly Court, and is also the inevitable enemy of you two, father and daughter. You need to shoulder this heavy task that fate has assigned to you. Lead all living beings to a brand new era. Saying this, Duke Long paused to give the 3 time to digest it. Feng Huang's family calmed down only after a while. Duke Long then said to Feng Huang, Huang Heir, my disciple, you will follow me and accept my guidance. You are going to be separated from your parents in some time. You can spend some time together now. Tomorrow, at dawn, I will come to take you to Heavenly Court. Duke Long instructed, his figure quietly disappearing from the main seat. Huang Heir, to think that you are the chosen one. You must cultivate hard in Heavenly Court. You bear the task of the new era. The well-being of the people in this world will depend on your decisions in the future. Fairy Bai Qing's eyes reddened, slightly reluctant to separate. Mother, I still cannot believe it. This is just like a dream. Feng Huang threw herself into Fairy Bai Qing's arms. When I heard that Lord Duke Long wanted to take you as his disciple, I had already predicted some matters about you. It is just that I did not expect your father to be your Dao Guardian. Fairy Bai Qing was filled with emotions. Father, mother, what is a Dao Guardian? Feng Huang asked curiously. Feng Gu explained. In an Immortal Venerables or Demon Venerables cultivation journey, they would always have a Dao Guardian. Every Dao Guardian plays an important role in the development of the Venerable. Oh, Feng Huang then asked again. Master said that he has 2 disciples. I am the second. That means there is a first disciple? Who is it? Feng Jiuji's and Fairy by Qing's expressions changed slightly. The two quickly glanced at each other. Fairy by Qing instructed Feng Jin Huang in a heavy tone. Huang heir, this is a taboo. When you arrive in heavenly court, never mention it. Especially in front of your master. Why? Feng Jin Huang became even more curious. At this time, Feng Jiu gave the answer. Because Duke Long's first disciple, your senior brother, was the most mysterious red lotus demon venerable in history. This is the Snow Lotus essence. Fang Yuan looked at the immortal material in his hand and murmured in admiration. Snow Lotus essence was extremely exquisite. It was only the size of an adult fist. Its pink petals, bright red stamens, and the whole flower surface was covered in a layer of ice as thick as a fingernail. This ice layer was pure and transparent, radiating bursts of coldness. This coldness was not a chilling cold, but was more like the coldness of spring. Despite being cold, it contained vigorous vitality. It was the first time for Fang Yuan to come across and see this rank 7 immortal material. Because it was so rare that even in Treasure Yellow Heaven, it was a scarce item. The reason for this was that this immortal material only grew in large-scale snowman tribes, and the current 5 regions were ruled by humans, while the various variant human tribes were forced to live in some corners of the world. Fang Yuan was able to easily obtain this immortal material, mainly due to the variant human alliance. Not only did Fang Yuan obtain Snow Lotus essence, it was moreover a huge amount. I am really surprised. I did not think the snowman tribe would have amassed so much Snow Lotus essence. Sixth Hair said from the side. Snow Lotus essence is very rare even in Treasure Yellow Heaven. It will definitely cause a bidding war if it is put up for sale. Unfortunately, strength decides the rules in this world. The snowman tribe is worried about the risks of exposing themselves, so they only sell small amounts of immortal materials like Snow Lotus essence every once in a while. Fang Yuan said with a gaze that was clear of the underlying reasons. It is indeed the case. Sixth Hair nodded. Actually, our Langya sect also has such resources which are rare in the human Gu immortal world, but we also cannot casually bring them out, for fear that we would leave behind clues and lead to an invasion by human Gu immortals. Fang Yuan's eyes shined brightly. He saw a business opportunity. Maybe later on, he could be a middleman for the transactions. After all, he was a human. He really needed these profits. With the frequent Gu refinement attempts recently, Fang Yuan had already paid an enormous price. Although most of the cost was paid using all kinds of inheritance contents, be it him or other Gu immortals of Shadow Sect, they would need more resources to continue cultivating and managing their immortal apertures. Fang Yuan looked at Sixth Hair as he shook his head. He knew Sixth Hair's words had deep meaning. Since he raised this issue, he not only reminded Fang Yuan, but also used an implicit way to offer himself to take on the assignment. If Fang Yuan had plans on doing something in this area, then Sixth Hair could mediate between the two sides and help Fang Yuan fight for benefits. But this was not important now. Right now, what I want is to refine cleanse Soul Immortal Gu as soon as possible. Since we have obtained Snow Lotus essence, then we shall start on modifying the Immortal Gu recipe next. We will first separately modify the recipe, then combine them later to overcome the shortcomings on both sides, and finally obtain the most optimal Gu recipe. Fang Yuan instructed Sixth Hair. Sixth Hair did not forget to put on an act to deceive Langya Land Spirit. How many sect contribution points will you give me then? After a round of haggling, Sixth Hair obtained a satisfactory price, while Fang Yuan left the Gu refinement hall and returned to his Cloud City. He had personally examined the Snow Lotus essence, and just like the type that Sixth Hair had recommended, these were superior immortal materials. The flowers were ice cold, but they contained warm life force within. They would be an extremely good replacement for that flowing fire core in the original Gu recipe. The main reason was that Fang Yuan was using the ice refinement method. Snow Lotus essence naturally suited the ice refinement method more than flowing fire core. An immortal Gu could have a lot of different immortal Gu recipes. There was not just one way to reach the same goal. And when an immortal Gu recipe was given to an expert refinement path Gu immortal, they first distinguished which Gu refinement method was closer to the immortal Gu recipe and had a higher probability of success. Then in the Gu refinement process, the Gu immortal might discover that some procedures in the immortal Gu recipe did not suit them, or maybe they found better replacements for immortal materials. Like this, they could further increase the success rate. Fang Yuan and Sixth Hair were currently doing this. However, the task of modifying the immortal Gu recipe was mainly given to Sixth Hair. After all, Sixth Hair's refinement path attainment was higher than Fang Yuan's. What Fang Yuan was exceptional in was his wisdom path attainment level and his wisdom path methods. The only pity was that both Fang Yuan and Sixth Hair had ordinary attainment and soul path. In the following days, Fang Yuan began cultivating while modifying the Immortal Gu recipe of cleansed soul. Danghun Mountain and Luopa Valley. He was once again using these two great secluded domains of heaven and earth to cultivate soul path. His soul path cultivation progressed by leaps and bounds. Even Fang Yuan felt it was somewhat inconceivable. Truly the sacred lands of soul path. Of course, the main reasons are these cultivation methods. These are from Spectral Soul's true inheritance. Fang Yuan was quite moved. Back then, Spectral Soul Demon Venerable had also cultivated in these two secluded domains of heaven and earth. He had summed up and formulated a complete set of comprehensive, complementary, and orderly cultivation methods. Fang Yuan was just following it word by word. Previously, he had used Burning Soul Bursting Luck once in Western Desert, and it had been enough to deplete his soul path foundation entirely. But after just a few days, he had almost restored his foundation with terrifying efficiency. This is still considering that I lack the crucial Immortal Gu and cannot use many immortal killer moves, only able to use these mortal methods. Fortunately, my sovereign immortal body has no conflict in Dao marks, so mortal methods are also effective. Fang Yuan was cultivating soul path, raising his soul foundation once again. The main reason was naturally to refine, cleanse soul Immortal Gu. Burning Soul Bursting Luck could immediately cause his luck to increase sharply, and this had a mystical effect when refining Immortal Gu. As to making Ing Wu Xie use Burning Soul Bursting Luck, it was not that it was not effective, but there were too many who were luck-connected. Only a part of the luck would be effective on Fang Yuan. It was far better for Fang Yuan to use Burning Soul Bursting Luck himself, and then fix his luck. There was also another reason. Ing Wu Xie could use Lead Soul into Dream. If his soul path foundation was too low, this killer move's power would be limited. Of course, Fang Yuan was definitely going to master this killer move later on. However, now that he was in Langya Blessed Land, there was no hurry. Time went by quickly. Over half a month had passed in Langya Blessed Land. Fang Yuan and Sixth Hair had collated their gains and created a modified Immortal Gu recipe. There was nothing to talk about. Next was to continue the Gu refinement. First attempt, failure. Second attempt, failure. Third attempt, failure. Large amounts of immortal materials were wasted. However, they were not in vain. After the failures, Fang Yuan and Sixth Hair adjusted the Immortal Gu recipe and perfected it to the limit of their abilities. During the fourth attempt, Fang Yuan activated Burning Soul Bursting Luck, causing his luck to increase greatly. This time, he refined to the final juncture, but regretfully, still failed. Fifth attempt, failure. Sixth attempt, another failure. Seventh, eighth, ninth. Fang Yuan continued to attempt it, persevering without giving up. After every failure, he would bitterly practice his refinement path skills, and at the same time, enter the two sacred lands of soul path and use the cultivation methods in Spectral Soul's true inheritance to quickly increase his soul path foundation. When his soul foundation was of standard, Fang Yuan used Burning Soul Bursting Luck once again and continued attempting the Gu refinement. 13th attempt, failure. 14th attempt, failure. 15th, success. Success came unexpectedly and somewhat suddenly. Fang Yuan held Cleansed Soul Immortal Gu in his hand. He succeeded at the 15th attempt, adding on Sixth Hair's previous failures. The refinement had been attempted close to 30 times in total. The resources spent were in an incomparably enormous amount, just to refine one rank 6 Immortal Gu. If it were an ordinary Gu Immortal, they would have gone bankrupt long ago. Even the past Fang Yuan with his sovereign immortal aperture would not be able to bear such a price. Having inherited Shadow Sect's true inheritances and having a buyer that could afford them, Langya Sect, as well as having enough supply of the crucial immortal material, Snow Lotus Essence, and a refinement path Gu Immortal's committed support, all these reasons finally created Fang Yuan's success. Cleansed Soul Immortal Gu has finally been refined. Fang Yuan inhaled deeply before sighing. Chapter 1444. Qing sees Dismay, Cleansed Soul Immortal Gu. It looked like a tadpole but with the size of Fang Yuan's fist, and was completely grayish-white. Right now, it was floating above Fang Yuan's palm. I finally succeeded. It was not easy. Fang Yuan inwardly sighed. Refining Gu was truly a huge gamble. They had attempted close to 30 times before barely succeeding. The resources consumed were already in enormous numbers. Fang Yuan was not able to bring out these resources, but he could take out Shadow Sect's inheritances and exchange them for Langya Sect's sect contribution points, and use these sect contribution points to exchange for plentiful resources from Langya Sect's warehouse. But these resources did not include the crucial immortal material Snow Lotus Essence. The fact in front of them proved this rank 7 immortal material was greatly helpful. After the Immortal Gu recipe had gone through modifications, it would become much better than before, or more accurately, it would become much more suitable for Fang Yuan's refinement method. The only mild disappointment was that this cleansed soul Immortal Gu was only rank 6. If it were rank 7 cleansed soul Immortal Gu, it could directly be used to set up the Immortal Killer move, which could start breaking the soul path trap in the Immortal zombie body. Rank 6 cleansed soul Immortal Gu could be used as well, but its effect was much lower and required at least 8 years before it could completely get rid of the soul path trap. This was of course without counting those time path methods. If time path methods were used to supplement the killer move, Fang Yuan estimated the 8 years of time could be reduced to 3 years. 3 years was referring to the time in 5 regions. This was the limit of Fang Yuan's current ability. 3 years is too long. Fang Yuan's gaze was deep. If it were rank 7 cleansed soul Immortal Gu, he would require at most half a year of time, in 5 regions time, to resolve the soul path trap in the Immortal zombie body. However, refining rank 7 cleansed soul Immortal Gu was much more difficult than refining rank 6 cleansed soul Immortal Gu. Moreover, rank 6 cleansed soul Immortal Gu had to be used as the main material to refine it. After all, Immortal Gu were unique. Since rank 6 cleansed soul existed, there could be no rank 7, rank 8, or even rank 9 cleansed soul Immortal Gu in the world. The risk, however, would become much higher. When Fang Yuan was refining cleansed soul and failed, only some immortal materials were destroyed. But if the refinement of rank 7 cleansed soul failed, the rank 6 cleansed soul Immortal Gu might be the one destroyed, and everything would have to be started over again. Naturally, Fang Yuan could ensure the safety of the immortal materials to some degree with his blood asset Immortal Gu. But it was unknown if he could protect the rank 6 cleansed soul Immortal Gu during the highly risky refinement process. Moreover, Fang Yuan would have to research the method first. Fang Yuan had attainment level in blood path, but his refinement path attainment was slightly subpar. Lord Sect Leader, do we continue refining? Maybe I could change my vital Gu to cleanse soul Immortal Gu. Sixth Hair transmitted his voice. After becoming a vital Gu, cleanse soul Immortal Gu could be refined to advance to rank 7, and even if the process failed, it would still continue to exist as long as Sixth Hair did not die. At most it would suffer heavy injuries and be on the verge of dying. But Fang Yuan refused. That's not appropriate. Not to mention that changing vital Gu is extremely dangerous and could harm you severely. Lang Land Spirit is not easy to deceive. Our relationship on the surface is not enough for you to make such a sacrifice. Then how about letting someone else change it to their vital Gu? Ing Wuxia and He Lu Lan are both eligible candidates. I suggest Ing Wuxia. Sixth Hair suggested. This was indeed a good suggestion. By Ning. Bing could be excluded. Lady White Rabbit and Fairy Meow Yin were not as reliable as He Lu Lan and Ing Wuxia, and could also be excluded. The remaining ones were Ing Wuxia, who was a split soul of Spectral Soul, and He Lu Lan, who was restricted by the alliance agreement and was unable to rebel. Comparing the two, Ing Wuxia was naturally slightly better. After all, he had high soul path attainment. Moreover, when Fang Yuan took his lead soul into dream in the future, cleansed soul Immortal Gu could replenish some of his strength. Fang Yuan, however, shook his head. He had refined cleansed soul Immortal Gu after so much effort. How could he give it so easily? At most he would only lend it. Moreover, cleansed soul Immortal Gu was practical, and when used in soul path cultivation, it could slightly cover up some insufficiencies of Dang Hun Mountain and Luopa Valley. Fang Yuan already intended to firmly hold cleansed soul himself. However, Sixth Hair's words reminded him of some things. Although I am Shadow Sect's leader, my control over the sect is rather poor. Bai Ning Bing is not controlled by me. We can only be considered allies who are using each other. Lady White Rabbit likes me, and because of the true inheritance as well, she is following me. Fairy Meow Yin is also cultivating a Shadow Sect inheritance, and is chased by Southern Border's Righteous Path forces, so she can only stand by my side. He Lu Lan is bound by our alliance agreement and is unable to betray me. But she is ambitious. She absolutely won't be content with the current state. It is just that she has no way to revolt for the moment. As for Ing Wuxia and Sixth Hair, they are spectral souls, split souls, and are always thinking of saving the main body. But this hope is too minuscule, and they are too weak, so they can only depend on me. If Fang Yuan were to listen to Sixth Hair and hand cleanse soul Immortal Gu to Ing Wuxia, in the future, if they had a great opportunity to save Spectral Soul's main body, but it did not align with Fang Yuan's plans, what would they do? Ing Wuxia and Sixth Hair's decision absolutely would not incline towards Fang Yuan. At that time, Fang Yuan's action of handing cleansed soul Immortal Gu to Ing Wuxia would be a foolish move of supporting the enemy. Hence, Fang Yuan set another plan to Sixth Hair. Although it is only a rank 6 cleansed soul Immortal Gu, there are some unique methods in Shadow Sect's inheritances that can speed its growth. But it requires sacrificing a rank 7 Gu Immortal's soul. Sixth Hair was dazed before tensing up immediately. sect leader is thinking of? You should know that you are wanted by both Longevity Heaven and every Huang tribe. Relax, I have it under control. Fang Yuan patted Sixth Hair's shoulder and slowly walked away. The morning sun passed through the window and shone in the room. Qing's mood was great as she sat before a table and hummed a song while playing with the flowers in the pot. The flowers were in full bloom, and under the sunlight, the red petals looked tender and joyous. Today was a joyous day for Qing, because her lover Lian, according to their previous agreement, was going to come to Murong tribe today to formally ask for her hand in marriage. Actually, it had not been long since the two were acquainted. Qing was an immortal from Murong tribe, while Lian was a famous lone cultivator in northern plains with the nickname of Cloud Gentleman. Although both were famous characters, the two first saw each other at He tribe's Iron Eagle blessed land. They had gotten into a conflict because of immortal material affinity wood. Affinity wood was a rootless tree that grew in the air. It was extremely fragile. There could be no disturbance when gathering it. Otherwise, this highly valuable immortal material would be destroyed. When Qing had discovered the affinity wood, Cloud Gentleman Lian had already begun collecting it. Qing did not attack, quietly waiting for him to finish collecting. Lian was very elegant, showing willingness to spar with Qing, with the winner taking all the affinity wood. Destiny was truly a mysterious thing. The two were acquainted like this, and in the following days, came across each other many times because of some coincidences. As time continued to pass, because of their similar opinions in many things, feelings began to grow between them, and they even pledged to marry each other. Unfortunately, their identities were an obstruction to this marriage. The woman was a Huang tribe Gu immortal, while the man was a lone cultivator. Their relationship was reported by someone. They became extremely anxious, but soon, the situation turned better unexpectedly. After Longevity Heaven knew of this situation, they actually approved of Lian's and Qing's marriage. Because of Heavenly Court's strength, Longevity Heaven was beginning to make plans to deal with the wave of the incoming Great Era, and to unite even more Gu immortals of the Northern Plains Gu immortal world. Longevity Heaven was happy to see this marriage happen. Lian could be said to be a symbolic figure among lone immortals. The political significance of him marrying into the Huang tribe's Murong tribe was extremely huge. If it succeeded, Longevity Heaven would even encourage this matter in the future. Qing naturally did not know of these schemes. She only felt surprised and happy, and was even more thankful towards Longevity Heaven, rejoicing at her hard-earned love. Lian is coming to propose marriage today. The immortal materials are prepared and confirmed. I have checked the list of presents, and there are no issues. The clan's supreme elders have received Longevity Heaven's instructions, and will not obstruct this marriage. As long as the marriage proposal succeeds, I will be getting ready for the marriage a month later. But why is there an indescribable feeling of unease lingering in my heart? Qing's delicate brows rose slightly. She pressed her palm on her chest, as she felt an inexplicable unease. Am I getting insecure because of extreme joy? There are no issues. What more obstructions can there be? Maybe, because I am filled with joy and blissfulness. This feels very surreal to me. Qing blushed as she let her thoughts wander. She laughed, her face shining from the bright light inside the room. However, at the next moment, she suddenly stiffened, her face turning deathly pale. At this moment, a soul lantern Gu and a life tablet Gu had shattered inside her immortal aperture. These two Gu worms were the tokens that she and Lian had given to each other. Lian, No way. This is not possible. Crack. Qing burst out of the window and flew frantically towards the sky. Qing flew with all her might, her reckless action immediately attracting the attention of other Gu immortals. What happened? Looking at Qing's expression, something seems wrong. Qing, wait a moment. Why are you so panicked? A tribe Gu immortal inquired, but Qing just kept on flying. Her heart was filled with panic and terror as she was desperate to verify the truth. Move, let's go take a look. Today is the day that Lian is coming to propose a marriage, but Qing is so anxious, unless. Soon, 3 Gu immortal figures flew out from Murong tribe's headquarters and followed after Qing. The life tablet Gu and soul lantern Gu on Qing had already shattered, so she was unable to rely on them to determine Lian's location. But she knew the route Lian was going to take to come to Murong tribe. Right now, she only needed to check this route. After madly flying for a few minutes, a ruined battlefield suddenly appeared in Qing's vision. Her whole body shook violently as she quickly descended. Lian, where are you? Qing called out repeatedly, but only the sound of wind replied her in this battered battlefield. Oh no, there was a huge battle here. How could this happen? The three Morong tribe Gu immortals who had followed from behind saw this scene and immediately realized the severity of the situation as they began to search as well. The four Gu immortals turned over the whole battlefield, finally making some discoveries. An information path Mortal Gu was deeply buried under the ground and seemed to be a dying message left behind by Yun Liang. Qing Si, you need to mentally prepare yourself. A Morong tribe Gu immortal worriedly looked at Morong Qing Si. Her condition was clearly not good, and looking at this information path Mortal Gu, her mind started shaking as fear filled her heart. But finally, she still clasped this Mortal Gu with her trembling hands. She then transferred her mental sense inside, and the moment she read the contents, she shouted, Fang Yuan, I won't forgive you. Her voice was so sad and contained such hatred that it even shook the hearts of the other Morong tribe Gu immortals. Guh. At the next moment, Morong Qing Si coughed out a mouthful of blood and fell down on her back. But the anger and sorrow in her heart were so great that she fainted. The other Morong tribe Gu immortals quickly moved to support her. She was not injured. It was just that her heart had suffered a huge trauma. They discussed for a moment and decided that waking her up now would not be good for her. The three Gu immortals then took turns in inspecting the contents of the Gu worm. This crucial information path Mortal Gu recorded the scene of the final battle of Yun Liang's life. His opponent was an ancient sword dragon. This ancient sword dragon could use immortal killer moves and also possessed an extremely powerful defensive method that could reflect attacks. Its identity was almost certain. The three Gu immortals immediately thought of a name, Lu Guanyi. But what relation did Lu Guanyi have with Fang Yuan? They continued to read the contents before coming to a realization. Towards the end of the battle, the ancient sword dragon transformed into a human. He was Lu Guanyi, and he struck Yun Liang with a fatal move. Yun Liang cursed. Lu Guanyi, we have neither hatred nor grievance between us, but you are going after my life. I won't let you go even if I turn into a ghost. Lu Guanyi sneered. So unfortunate. You won't even have the opportunity to turn into a ghost. Go die. Oh, that's right. Lu Guanyi is only my alias. My real name is Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan. Yun Liang's gaze slowly dimmed. Fang Yuan sneered. Heh. Being able to know my name before dying is your honor. Because in the future, my name will resound throughout heaven and earth. Countless beings shall tremble at my name. Merciless, savage, and domineering aura assaulted the three Morong tribe Gu immortals. So Lu Guanyi is actually Fang Yuan, and Fang Yuan is Lu Guanyi. They are both the same person. Bastard. Lu Guanyi, no. Fang Yuan, he actually dared to kill Yun Liang. This is a complete disregard for my Morong tribe. One Gu immortal clenched his fists, unable to restrain his fury. But the other two immortals fell into a strange silence. Why are you not speaking? The furious Gu immortal asked. Those two Gu immortals sighed at the same time. One of them said, Fang Yuan is an otherworldly demon who destroyed 88 True Yang building. He is also Lu Guanyi who subdued Reverse Flow River and has rank 8 battle strength. He offended both Yi Lui tribe and Lu tribe. But look at how they are behaving now. Although they had issued arrest warrants against Fang Yuan, after the Battle of Reverse Flow River, these two tribes ceased all activities and don't dare to find trouble for Fang Yuan. I am afraid our Morong tribe. The furious Gu immortal's eyes opened wide as he shouted. Afraid of what? We belong to the Grand Huang Jin tribes, descendants of Giant Sun. With so many Gu immortals, how can we fear a measly, otherworldly demon? We need to take revenge. We need to show them the might of Northern Plains' righteous path. The other two Gu immortals could only look at each other bitterly. Even after so many years, Morong Xingsheng is still the same. The two secretly conversed. Ignore him. This matter is not so simple. Morong Qing Si's and Yun Liang's marriage is not just a matter of our Morong tribe. Longevity Heaven is also paying attention to it. If this is not handled properly, it might raise a huge turbulence. There is more than meets the eye. It is not something that rank 6 minor characters like us can take part in. If we are not careful, we might get engulfed by this whirlpool and die without a corpse. You are right. The urgent thing now is to report this situation and this crucial clue to First Supreme Elder. Langya Blessed Land, inside a cloud city. Inside a secret room, Fang Yuan was sitting cross-legged on a cushion with his eyes shut tightly. Almost all of his attention was on his sovereign immortal aperture. Cleansed soul Immortal Gu, which had been refined not long ago, was floating in the air. Large amount of Mortal Gu as well as several supplementary Immortal Gu were surrounding it. All these Gu worms activated, emitting faint white radiance. The radiance gathered on an immortal zombie body. It was Fang Yuan's 8-armed strength path immortal zombie body. The faint white radiance had already covered it for a long time now, but the immortal zombie body showed not even the slightest movement. But Fang Yuan was not anxious or surprised. because he had still not taken the crucial step. He had only been getting familiar with this immortal killer move and stabilizing the situation. After a few minutes of time, Fang Yuan inwardly nodded. He took out a rank 7 Gu Immortal soul. It was the soul of Yi Lui Kun Xing, a rank 7 expert of Yi Lui tribe. Maybe it felt the danger of destruction. Yi Lui Kun Xing's soul struggled intensely, letting out ear-piercing soul howls. But that was it. Not to mention the current Fang Yuan who had Spectral Soul's true inheritance. Even if it were before, he could easily suppress this measly soul. Yi Lui Kun Xing was very powerful when he was alive, but this was just a soul. What could he do? Soon, Yi Lui Kun Xing's soul entered the range of the faint white radiance. Yi Lui Kun Xing's soul strangely quietened, not moving at all, as if it had suddenly lost its ability to think. Then, specks of faint green light started to fly out of the soul. The amount of these lights grew rapidly and drifted in the air like a drizzle of rain. Fang Yuan willed as these specks of light found a direction. They surged towards the strength path, immortal zombie body. Layers of light covered the immortal zombie body, destroying the soul path Dao marks in it. As time passed, the soul path Dao marks on the immortal zombie began to decrease gradually, while Yi Lui Kun Xing's soul also began to weaken constantly. Fang Yuan's mind was calm as still water, maintaining the killer move stably without any hesitation. This killer move needed to be maintained for over 3 days and 3 nights before the soul path trap in the immortal zombie body could be completely removed. The whole process would spend over 1,200 beads of red date immortal essence. This was the case after using a rank 7 Gu immortal soul and cleansed soul immortal Gu, with the exact method recorded in Spectral Soul's true inheritance. If Fang Yuan were to envision it himself with trial and error, the amount of time, effort, and resources required would be astronomical. Fang Yuan was not worried about lacking immortal essence. He had made ample preparation. Time slowly passed like this. 3 days and 3 nights passed. Fang Yuan slowly stopped the killer move. He calculated for a moment. The amount of red date immortal essence used had passed 1,300, and it was after he used some immortal Gu to replace several original procedures. This huge immortal essence expenditure emptied his immortal essence storage at once. But Fang Yuan was instead filled with joy. Perceivable Dao Immortal Gu. He activated this unique information path, Immortal Gu, and after inspecting the Dao marks, he smiled in satisfaction. It's finally gone. The soul path trap on the immortal zombie body is completely removed. It had not been easy. It truly had not been easy. The issue of the soul path trap had troubled Fang Yuan for a long time. Now, he had finally resolved it. For a moment, the joy of success filled Fang Yuan's heart. But, after he calmed down, he did not personally test it. He was cautious. He chose to use other Gu immortal souls to inspect the body. After several tests, he verified there was indeed no issue. Fang Yuan then moved his soul into the immortal zombie body. At the next moment, the immortal zombie body opened its eyes and slowly stood up. Fang Yuan gazed at his 8 huge arms and stretched his whole body. I can finally use my body again. Fang Yuan's feelings were somewhat nostalgic at this moment, as if he had returned home after a long journey. Fang Yuan softly rubbed his stomach. Only a rank 5 aperture remained there. The previous rank 6 strength path dead aperture had already crumbled, and the strength path Dao marks had moved into Fang Yuan's physical body. From this perspective, Fang Yuan's strength path immortal zombie was a genuine rank 6 strength path immortal material. The rank 6 strength path dead aperture was the aperture Fang Yuan gained after using second aperture Gu, raising it to an immortal aperture. The rank 5 peak stage aperture was his original aperture. Spring Autumn Cicada was still firmly sealed inside this aperture. The purple crystal walls of the aperture were already filled with cracks. After all, Spring Autumn Cicada was a rank 6 immortal Gu which put huge pressure on the mortal aperture. However, Fang Yuan was not worried about the aperture walls shattering under the pressure. He could already deal with it before, and he could do it even better now that he had Shadow Sect's inheritances. Fang Yuan absolutely would not give up Spring Autumn Cicada. However, Spring Autumn Cicada was filled with Heaven's Will currently. Fang Yuan would have to get rid of all the Heaven's Will in it to use it. Obtaining a pure rank 6 Spring Autumn Cicada was far from Fang Yuan's target. Fang Yuan's next plan was to use this foundation to refine rank 7 Spring Autumn Cicada. But before refining rank 7 Spring Autumn Cicada, I should first advance this body to rank 6. Rank 6 Time Path Gu Immortal. This had been Fang Yuan's initial plan. Fang Yuan did not intend to give up on this plan. After the successful attempt, Fang Yuan's soul moved out and returned to his sovereign immortal body. As for this immortal zombie body, it was still suppressed in the Gu formation. After all, Spring Autumn Cicada contained Heaven's Will. Fang Yuan had to be prepared just in case. Let's test Wisdom Gu. When he thought of this, Fang Yuan actually felt a trace of impatient eagerness. He came out of the secret room and directly flew towards Wisdom Gu. Ever since Hu Immortal Blessed Land had been attacked and captured by Heavenly Court, Wisdom Gu had been transported to Lian Blessed Land by Hairy Man Gu Immortals using some secret method. From then on, it had been fed and raised by Lian Land Spirit and had not been transferred to other places. Fang Yuan soon went in front of Wisdom Gu. This movement naturally attracted Lian Land Spirit's attention. Lian Land Spirit's expression was somewhat strange. Fang Yuan, someone has framed you. What do you mean? Hee, Yun Liang is dead. There was a crucial clue left behind in the battlefield which directly points to you as the killer. Moreover, your Luguani identity was also completely exposed. Now, the whole of Northern Plains Gu Immortal World. No, the Gu Immortal World of all 5 regions is shaken because of this news. Lian Land Spirit laughed. Although Fang Yuan needed to use a rank 7 Gu Immortal soul to get rid of the soul path trap, he already had such souls in his possession. Not only of Yi Lui Kun Qing, he also had souls of Fairy Chui Bo, Lu Tribe's Lu Yong, Ma Hong Yun soul, and even the whole living body of He Cheng. Previously, Sixth Hair had been worried that Fang Yuan wanted to go to Northern Plains to kill a Gu Immortal. Fang Yuan had replied that it was under control. He naturally would not take such risks. He already had Gu Immortal souls which could be used for this purpose. What Fang Yuan wanted to do was to rest, striving for time while he strengthened himself. He did not want to go fight outside. After Fang Yuan inquired about the details, he soon realized, this is probably Heavenly Court's doing. Yun Liang is a lone immortal, but Longevity Heaven actually agreed to his and Murong Qingxi's marriage, and even showed a trace of joy in seeing it happen. This is Longevity Heaven's preparation to face the coming great era. But how could Heavenly Court allow it? They naturally would try to wreck this plan. Fang Yuan, your analysis is logical. Lian Land Spirit nodded, shortly smiling strangely. Now, Longevity Heaven is extremely furious, and the newly appointed South Desolation Immortal, Yao Huang, has even declared he will capture you and bring you to justice. You are currently not only a sworn enemy of Northern Plains' righteous path, even demonic path and lone immortals are hostile towards you. Fang Yuan grunted in acknowledgement. This was understandable. In the Battle of Reverse Flow River, Fang Yuan had offended Northern Plains' righteous path, as well as old ancestor Shui Hu, who represented the demonic path. Yun Liang was a symbol of Northern Plains' lone immortals, and Fang Yuan, who was proclaimed to be his killer, would naturally suffer hostility from this faction. All right, forget this. Make a move quickly. Let me see if you can summon the light of wisdom or not. Lian Land Spirit urged impatiently. Okay, I am also looking forward to this. Fang Yuan took a deep breath. The probability of success was high. If it succeeded, he would grow at an immense rate. Fang Yuan sat cross-legged on the ground and brought out the 8-armed immortal zombie body from his immortal aperture. Then, under Lian Land Spirit's gaze, he moved out his soul and entered this immortal zombie body. The immortal zombie body slowly opened its eyes and stood up. Fang Yuan took a glance at the sovereign immortal body before turning towards Wisdom Gu. Wisdom Gu. He spoke in his hoarse and unpleasant voice. Do you still remember our agreement? Wisdom Gu had been playing around, but when it heard these words, it immediately stopped and floated in the air, quietly looking at Fang Yuan. Time slowly passed. Fang Yuan could not help but hold his breath. Even though the immortal zombie did not need to breathe, Wisdom Gu seemed to be unconvinced as it began circling around Fang Yuan. It circled again and again while continuously observing Fang Yuan. After a while, it stopped and rested on a huge tree leaf. Then, a multicolored light, which became increasingly bigger, began to gradually spread from Wisdom Gu's body. The light of wisdom. Success. I finally succeeded. Fang Yuan could not hold back his laughter. Lian Land Spirit, who was at the side, was dumbstruck. This was the first time he was seeing this sight. Light of wisdom. This is truly the light of wisdom. Lian Land Spirit walked to the light of wisdom, immediately sensing his thoughts becoming extremely sharp. For an instant, he became extremely intelligent. But he cautiously retreated out of the light of wisdom's range, then enviously looked at Fang Yuan, who was inside the light. Fang Yuan actually succeeded in summoning the light of wisdom. Amazing, this kid is truly amazing. After the shock, Lian Land Spirit looked at Fang Yuan with a complex expression. He was in a daze. Although there were 2 land spirits, they both shared the same memories. Lian Land Spirit still remembered that time several years ago, when Fang Yuan was still only a Gu master, a trivial mortal who came to Lian Blessed Land for the first time. But in these few years, Fang Yuan had not only become a Gu immortal, his name was now infamous throughout the 5 regions, and he had the strength to battle rank 8. And now, he could summon the light of wisdom and even use it. His growth had skyrocketed. He had truly burst into the sky. If Fang Yuan had not inherited the Shadow Sect inheritances and only obtained the Light of Wisdom, he could only be considered a tiger with wings at most. But Fang Yuan possessed Shadow Sect's inheritances. As such, the help that the Light of Wisdom could give Fang Yuan reached an unimaginable level. Lang Yuan's spirit had gone through countless years and had seen all kinds of characters, but now, he could no longer estimate Fang Yuan's growth. There was no way to estimate it. He absolutely could not predict Fang Yuan's following cultivation and progress. Any accomplishments Fang Yuan made in the future would be understandable and acceptable now. Fang Yuan soon restrained his laughter. He calmed down and spoke to Wisdom Gu. "All right, Wisdom Gu, please stop. Let me take a break." The light of wisdom slowly shrunk and disappeared. Fang Yuan took a deep breath before saying, "Wisdom Gu, let us continue." At the next moment, the light of wisdom spread once again. Fang Yuan clenched his fists tightly. He was extremely excited. This fact completely proved that the light of wisdom was back once again. From now on, barring any accidents, he could continue using light of wisdom till eternity. Fang Yuan then turned around and smiled towards Lang Yuan's spirit. "First Supreme Elder, let us exchange inheritances." Lang Yuan's spirit inwardly praised. Fang Yuan's mind is still so clear. "Okay," he agreed, not hesitating even a little. If it were the previous Lang Yuan spirit, he might have refused because he only liked refining Gu. But the current Lang Yuan spirit wanted hairy men to rule the world, so he issued ironclad policies, actively promoting talents, and doing everything to turn Lang Yu's sect into a powerful sect. And such a sect naturally had to be widely involved in many paths. It would not do to just have refinement path. After all, refinement path's battle strength was lacking compared to other paths. So Lang Yuan's spirit was extremely desirous of the many inheritances in Fang Yuan's possession, especially Spectral Soul's true inheritance. Back then, Spectral Soul Demon Venerable slaughtered countless beings. He was the Venerable with the deepest killing nature. His soul path true inheritance naturally had absolute power. If Lang Yu's sect obtained it, it would fill the sect's deficiency. Both sides soon completed the exchange. Fang Yuan obtained almost all the inheritances of Lang Yu's sect, which included the complete self-luck true inheritance and long-hair ancestors' refinement path true inheritance. And Lang Yuan's spirit obtained Spectral Soul's true inheritance, Limitless true inheritance, Red Lotus true inheritance, Paradise Earth's true inheritance, as well as countless other true inheritances. The inheritances that Shadow Sect bothered to collect were naturally beyond outstanding. Thus, based on value, Fang Yuan had paid more than Lang Yu's sect. To make up for this discrepancy, Lang Yuan's spirit handed Luo Pai Valley to Fang Yuan once again. Currently, Fang Yuan was a public enemy of the whole world. Adding on his previous acts, Lang Yuan's spirit's trust in him increased by a lot. Fang Yuan is one of us. Anyway, my sect's members can still use Luo Pai Valley even if I give it to him. This was Lang Yuan's spirit's secret calculation. And to Fang Yuan, he had already obtained a portion of the essence of self-luck true inheritance, one of the three great true inheritances of Giant Sun, Immortal Venerable. Now, he had obtained its complete essence. Long-hair ancestors' refinement path true inheritance mostly talked of the hairy man heaven and earth-style refinement path method, which was not very helpful to Fang Yuan directly. In this transaction, both sides bought and sold inheritances. It did not involve any Immortal Gu. Naturally, Fang Yuan really wanted to take some Immortal Gu in Lang Yu's sect. For instance, Heavenly Essence Treasure Imperial Lotus. Unfortunately, Lang Yuan's spirit was strict about not selling these Immortal Gu. Fang Yuan did not leave immediately. Instead, he continued bathing in the light of wisdom and began thinking of all sorts of issues. Lang Yuan's spirit left in sadness at this sight. Obtaining the help of the light of wisdom once again, Fang Yuan was no longer the same as before. All kinds of wisdom path methods activated in coordination, causing his thoughts to collide endlessly. The Immortal Killer move, which used affection Immortal Gu and self-love Immortal Gu, allowed Fang Yuan to possess Immortal-level self-will Gu, giving him an endless supply of wills. In this way, the light of wisdom could unleash its mystical effects to its limit, and soon, Fang Yuan obtained a satisfying answer. Immortal Killer move, Ghost Official Garment. This was a set of Immortal Killer move in Spectral Soul True Inheritance. Its effect was to defend against Heaven's will and other Gu Immortals' deductions. It was a defensive killer move. It was classified into 4 levels, corresponding to rank 6, rank 7, rank 8, and rank 9. With the original foundation, Fang Yuan modified this Immortal Killer move so that even without the core Immortal Gu, he could use other Immortal Gu as the replacement. Chapter 1448, Ghost Official Garment. The modified Immortal Killer move, Ghost Official Garment, used rank 7 Change Soul Immortal Gu and rank 6 Cleanse Soul Immortal Gu as the cores. After several failures, Fang Yuan succeeded in activating it. He directly moved out his soul from his sovereign immortal body. His soul floated in the air. It was not very condensed. His soul foundation had been expended several times because of burning soul-bursting luck and was now only at 100-man soul level. The difference was that his soul was now covered in a broad garment, with long sleeves and a lower hem that was dragging on the ground. This was the manifestation of the killer move Ghost Official Garment. Its general term was Ghost Official Garment, but if it was subdivided, rank 6 level Ghost Official Garment was called Ghost Soldier Garment, rank 7 was Ghost General Garment, rank 8 was Ghost King Garment, and rank 9 was Ghost Venerable Garment. At rank 9 level, it could defend against rank 9 Venerable's deductions. Naturally, this was only in theory. Even Spectral Soul Demon Venerable had not raised this killer move to rank 9 in the past, because he did not need to. He was a Grand Demon Venerable when alive, slaughtering countless beings. He simply did not need to defend against deductions. As such, the highest level of his Ghost Official Garment was only rank 8. Fang Yuan's soul inspected it and was puzzled. Why is it only rank 6 Ghost Soldier Garment? After he modified the killer move, the core was replaced by rank 7 Change Soul and rank 6 Cleanse Soul. That meant this was a rank 7 killer move. Why was it Ghost Soldier Garment instead of Ghost General Garment? Is it because of my modification? This guess had just appeared in Fang Yuan's mind before he denied it. He had used the light of wisdom to modify it. How could it be wrong? Oh, I understand. Fang Yuan thought for a moment before he realized. The answer was in his body. Beneath Ghost Official Garment was another layer of clothing. If Ghost Soldier Garment was said to be made of hemp and was a shoddy product, then this inner garment was like silk. It was extremely compact, giving an exquisite and smooth feeling. This clothing of Dao marks was the rank 9 Immortal Killer move Ghostly Concealment. Just based on their ranks, Ghost Soldier Garment could never compare to it. The original Ghost Official Garment was meant to directly attach to my soul, but now, it has been separated by a layer, thus it fell from rank 7 to rank 6. Fang Yuan had never expected such a problem. He had all along been enjoying the advantage of non-conflicting Dao marks of the sovereign immortal body. He had never expected to stumble slightly on this matter. There is no conflict of Dao marks in my sovereign immortal body, but there is still a conflict between killer moves of different paths. Ghostly Concealment has ghost in its name, but it is a theft path killer move, while Ghost Official Garment is a soul path killer move. The two conflict with each other. To solve this issue, the most fundamental method is to combine both into one move. Fang Yuan bitterly smiled when he thought this. The difficulty was too big. Fang Yuan had no understanding of ghostly concealment. Moreover, he lacked attainment in theft path and soul path. Even with the light of wisdom to help him deduce, the progress would be extremely slow. According to the current conditions, he would have to keep on deducing for hundreds to thousands of years without rest, and even then he might not deduce a successful outcome. After all, it was a rank 9 killer move, and to Fang Yuan, rank 9 was far away. Despite him possessing rank 8 battle strength, he was not even a rank 8 Gu Immortal. Then let's do this. Fang Yuan put his soul back in his body. He did not intend to further improve his method. He had obtained all the inheritances of Shadow Sect, and just earlier, he had exchanged them with almost all the inheritances of Lian sect. It was only almost. There were some crucial contents which both sides did not exchange. This applied to both Lian sect and Fang Yuan. Even so, the near-complete collection of inheritances in Lian sect had reached an enormous amount, only slightly inferior to Shadow Sect's collection. After all, Long-Hair Ancestor was from the medieval antiquity era. He had lived 300,000 years ago. Lian Blessed Land had also existed for 300,000 years. Based on just time alone, Lian sect was much older than Shadow Sect. But the inheritances in Lian sect were basically all related to Refinement Path. Even inheritances of other paths mostly touched upon Refinement Path. Moreover, Lian sect's collection ability definitely could not match Spectral Soul Demon Venerable and Shadow Sect. Fang Yuan was able to get both the collections for his own use. Just based on inheritances, he had already surpassed any one ancient sect of Central Continent. 2 or 3 ancient sects would have to collaborate to match the amount of inheritances he had. As for Heavenly Court, Fang Yuan could not compare to them. Heavenly Court had been governed by 3 immortal venerables, and its history was extremely long. It was established 3 million years ago, in the remote antiquity era. Combining the inheritances Fang Yuan held currently, Ghost Official Garment was the most suitable to him, and also had the highest growth potential. In the future, it would be the most useful immortal killer move that could defend against others' deductions, as well as deceive Heaven's will. It could be said that Ghost Official Garment killer move was a key part of Spectral Soul's true inheritance. It was very special. Once activated, it could last forever. It did not spend immortal essence. Instead, it expended the Gu Immortal's soul foundation to maintain itself. Theoretically, as long as the Gu Immortal's soul existed, and Ghost Official Garment was not directly attacked, it could last for eternity. Precisely because it was linked to a Gu Immortal's soul foundation, it had another huge advantage. Its might would change according to the Gu Immortal's soul foundation. When the Gu Immortal's soul foundation increased, Ghost Official Garment's might would also increase. And similarly, if the soul foundation fell, Ghost Official Garment would also weaken. Previously, I used Dark Limit Immortal Gu, and had to reactivate it after every set interval of time to replenish its effect. It was really inconvenient, especially when escaping. But Ghost Official Garment can last forever with just one activation, and its strength grows with my soul foundation. This was a practical immortal killer move. In fact, there were other soul path killer moves that could be used together with it. For instance, the killer moves Soul Shaking Flag and Soul Shackle. These two moves could be used with Ghost Soldier Garment. Once activated, when Fang Yuan's soul leaves his body, not only would it be covered with the Ghost Garment, it would also have weapons, the Soul Shaking Flag in its right hand and Soul Shackles in his left hand. With this, even Fang Yuan's soul would possess offensive prowess. This was also an important characteristic of Spectral Soul's true inheritance, to allow a person's soul to possess powerful battle strength. However, Fang Yuan only chose Ghost Official Garment, and did not choose Soul Shaking Flag or Soul Shackle. After testing the effect of Ghost Official Garment, Fang Yuan continued to bathe in the light of wisdom. Borrowing the help of the light of wisdom, he began to ponder over his current situation. With Ghost Official Garment and Lanya Blessed Land, I am currently safe. Even if Heavenly Court attacks, I can rely on my own strength to escape. But what I need to do is to completely destroy Heavenly Court's fate, Immortal Gu. 10 years. After 10 years, Heavenly Court will have definitely restored fate. By then I probably would have no hope of winning. This was the most troubling issue Fang Yuan was facing. Heavenly Court had terrifying strength, let alone attacking Heavenly Court. It was extremely dangerous for Fang Yuan to even enter Central Continent. Heavenly Court only needed to send out 1 or 2 rank 8 Gu Immortals to make Fang Yuan's situation miserable. Even by relying on the light of wisdom, Fang Yuan was unable to think of how to resolve this greatest issue. Fortunately, I still have Red Lotus true inheritances. Red Lotus Demon Venerable had damaged Fate Gu back then and left behind his true inheritances. With Spring Autumn Cicada, the crucial key, in my hand, I have a huge possibility of obtaining his true inheritances. Fang Yuan had used Red Lotus True Inheritance to kill a Heavenly Court rank 8-time path Gu Immortal, Lord Huang. So perhaps he could use other true inheritances of Red Lotus to find hope of destroying Fate Immortal Gu. Relying on Fate Gu, Heavenly Court stood unshaken to this day. Relying on Fate Gu and Star Constellations arrangements, Heavenly Court had resisted 3 Demon Venerables. Relying on Fate Gu, Heavenly Court had all along occupied the throne of the #1 Gu Immortal force in the whole world. There was no doubt that destroying Fate Immortal Gu was the key to defeating Heavenly Court. If Fang Yuan did not destroy Fate, after 10 years, it would be time for Heavenly Court to take Fang Yuan's life. Fang Yuan had inherited Shadow Sect's legacy, and had a profound awareness of this point. But now is not a good time to go after the true inheritances of Red Lotus. Heavenly Court has slipped up once, but they have obtained a huge amount of precious information. Next time, they will utilize much more strength, and even more rank 8 Gu Immortals. I can only continue to develop first and raise my battle strength before I go to inherit Red Lotus true inheritances. Only then will I have some hope of destroying Fate Gu. There was no doubt about this general plan. Fang Yuan currently lacked Immortal Essence, while his Immortal Essence stone storage was also almost empty. Reverse Flow Protection Seal was already being targeted. In the previous battle, Feng Jiuji's Sound Path Killer move had already begun to penetrate Reverse Flow Protection Seal and affected Fang Yuan's main body. During the battle inside the River of Time, he had barely been able to kill Lord Huang after using the strength of a stone Lotus Island. Now, Fang Yuan had Spectral Soul's true inheritance along with countless inheritances. He also had Dang Hun Mountain, Luopa Valley, and the Light of Wisdom. In this situation, if he did not develop and strengthen himself, running around and causing trouble instead, he would truly be asking for death. Chapter 1449. Borrowing Immortal Essence, Stones of Flat and Boundless Plain was in her sight. Zhao Lian divine sense continued to spread before finally covering the whole blessed land. She had succeeded in her immortal ascension not long ago and became a Wisdom Path rank 6 Gu Immortal of Spirit Affinity House, forming this blessed land. Lian Blessed Land. It had a total of 5,700 square kilometers of land, a large tributary of the River of Time, with time flowing 33 times faster than the outside world. which meant the Immortal aperture would produce over 30 green grape Immortal essence every year. Half grassland and half plain, Zhao Lian mumbled. The Blessed Land's topography was closely connected to the Gu Immortal's specific situation. The grassland topography might be because Zhao Lian's heart was connected to northern plains, having spent most of her time there since her transmigration. As for the plain, it might be because she had inherited central continent's customs. Even without any cultivation and plantation, the grassland was already filled with green grass. While the plain had fertile land and water, with some cultivation, it could produce plenty of products. Besides the Blessed Land, there was also Immortal Gu. Rank 9 love Immortal Gu went without saying. But because of her immortal ascension with a high-grade blessed land, Zhao Lian had obtained her second Immortal Gu, Remembrance. This was a wisdom path Immortal Gu. Its appearance was like a flying ant, and had astonishing flying speed. Its whole body was silver, and when it was still, it emitted an illusory white halo. Huang Yuan, do you know that I am now no longer immortal? I have become a Gu Immortal. Zhao Lian retracted her divine sense, and slowly opened her eyes, looking at the outside world. She sighed lightly. After becoming an immortal, she did feel joy, but even more than that, she felt empty and lonely. In the Battle of Reverse Flow River, Hong Yun might have been killed by Fang Yuan, but his soul still existed. This was not random speculation by Zhao Lian, but had been deduced by a wisdom path Gu Immortal of Spirit Affinity House, Su Hao. Zhao Lian chose to believe him, and thus this became her motivation and hope for putting forth effort in cultivation. Thinking of a trace of hope to revive Hong Yun, Zhao Lian restrained her feelings and stood up, leaving this closed secret room. Today was an important day. Zhao Lian walked past a corridor. Li Juning had been waiting for her at the end of the corridor. Greetings to Sister Juning. Zhao Lian immediately bowed in greeting. Li Juning smiled. Sister Lian, no need to be so polite. Let's go. I will accompany you to Secret Inheritance Peak. Secret Inheritance Peak was a place where Spirit Affinity House's Gu Immortals often set foot in. Zhao Lian was going there for the first time. Sure enough, the peak was extraordinary. It was floating in the air, surrounded by vast emptiness. It seemed to be close, but was actually far away. The aura on the mountain was thick and condensed. A high-level Immortal Gu formation was set up in it. The one in charge of this peak was a supreme elder of the neutral faction. Her name was Fairy Lu Fang. In this trip, Zhao Lian did not see Fairy Lu Fang herself, but was welcomed by a will left behind by her. Zhao Lian did not think anything of it, but Li Juning frowned slightly. According to convention, Zhao Lian, who was the current generation fairy of Spirit Affinity House, would be heavily nurtured by the sect, and in this first visit to Secret Inheritance Peak to receive financial assistance from the sect, she should have been personally welcomed by the Secret Inheritance Peak Master. But Fairy Lu Fang did not follow this convention. Junior Lian pays respects to Senior Lu Fang. Zhao Lian bowed to Lu Fang's will. No need to be so courteous. You are the current generation fairy of the sect. Please take a look at this Gu. Lu Fang's will smiled. Her attitude was extremely polite as she handed an information path Mortal Gu to Zhao Lian. Zhao Lian looked through the contents in the Gu. There was a long list of wonderful items inside, which dazzled her eyes for a moment. I do not know much, Sister Juning. Could you please check for me? Zhao Lian was a smart person. She quickly handed this Gu to Li Juning. Li Juning looked through the list and nodded slightly. There was no reduction in items listed in this information path Mortal Gu. It was the real deal. She transmitted her voice to Zhao Lian. Lian, since you have become a Gu Immortal, and have Immortal Gu love and remembrance, as well as a high-grade blessed land, your starting point is already extremely high. You now need to manage your Immortal aperture and increase your foundation. The first task is to feed Immortal Gu. Fortunately, even though your love Immortal Gu is rank 9, it does not have any issue regarding its food. So, what you need to consider now is Remembrance Immortal Gu. This Gu feeds on bright eye flowers, and in this list of benefits, there is a method to raise bright eye flowers. You should choose it. Zhao Lian continued to nod as she transmitted her voice. You are right, sister. Then what about the other two choices? There were extraordinary benefits in being the current generation fairy of Spirit Affinity House. According to the sect rules, once the current generation fairy's cultivation makes a breakthrough, she can choose 3 resources free of charge from Secret Inheritance Peak. While other Gu Immortals, besides the ones who have made huge contributions, could only use their sect contribution points to exchange for these resources. Li Juning smiled and said, besides this, I recommend you to choose Clear Chance Grass. Since you are a Wisdom Path Gu Immortal, you will have to manage your Immortal aperture from the Wisdom Path aspect. Clear Chance Grass is a Wisdom Path resource, and its nurturing is also rather easy. Moreover, it fetches a high price in Treasure Yellow Heaven. You won't make a loss if you choose this. Then I shall choose it, sister. Your choice won't be wrong. Zhao Lianyun quickly said. Li Juning was greatly pleased with Zhao Lianyun's attitude, her tone becoming warmer by several degrees. Then what should I pick for the final choice? Zhao Lianyun asked. Naturally the first item. Immortal essence stones? Right. Li Juning could not help chuckling at Zhao Lianyun's puzzled look. Whether it be bright-eye flowers or clear chance grass, the amount provided by the sect won't be enough for you to plant them on a large scale. If these resources are not planted on a large scale, they will lose their significance. So, you need a large amount of immortal essence stones to purchase their seeds and plant them. Immortal essence stones are an important resource which Gu Immortals must have reserves of, because they are not only the most common currency in transactions of Gu Immortals, they also have value in being turned into immortal essence for your own use. I see. Then I shall choose immortal essence stones. Without any hesitation, Zhao Lianyun quickly exchanged for the 3 items from Lu Fang's will. The 2 left Secret Inheritance Peak and flew outside. Before they parted, Li Juning gave a sum of immortal essence stones to Zhao Lianyun. Sister Lianyun, Su Hao and I are lending you these 3,000 immortal essence stones. Feel free to use them as much as you like, because there is no time limit for this loan. Ah, Zhao Lianyun softly exclaimed, revealing a moved expression. The sect only gave me 1,000 immortal essence stones, but sister, you are directly giving me 3,000. How should I use it? Li Juning patted Zhao Lianyun's shoulder. Silly girl, the sect has already given you a lot. You have the sect's support. You should know those lone cultivators and demonic. Immortals have to fight for even a piece of immortal essence stone. Speaking of immortal essence stone storage, a newly ascended rank 6 Gu Immortal is almost completely broke. Those with 100 immortal essence stones are already in the mid-level of rank 6. Having 1,000 immortal essence stones is very rare among rank 6 Gu Immortals. Your situation is different, because you are not only a Gu Immortal from one of the Central Continent's 10 great ancient sects, you are also the current generation fairy of Spirit Affinity House. You will be heavily prioritized by the sect, thus you are an exception. In normal situations in the 5 regions and 2 heavens, most rank 6 Gu Immortals don't have more than 100 immortal essence stones. Few have several hundred, and very few have 1,000 immortal essence stones. And among rank 7 Gu Immortals, they have at least several hundred immortal essence stones. Most have over 1,000, and very few have several tens of thousand immortal essence stones. This is just common knowledge. You can simply remember it. Many thanks for your guidance, sister. Zhao Lianyun gave a deep bow with a grateful look. Li Junying's words were telling her that the sect did not mistreat her, and that she and her husband were also actively supporting her. I will definitely work hard. Zhao Lianyun said solemnly. Li Juning nodded. Go cultivate. If you have any doubts, don't hesitate to write me a letter. You can also ask Su Hao. Yes. Joy flashed past Zhao Lianyun's eyes. Having someone for guidance and learning by oneself were naturally 2 different concepts. Looking at Zhao Lianyun's receding figure, Li Junying's smile slowly disappeared. Ever since Feng Huang was taken under Duke Long, her life had become increasingly difficult. She and her husband Su Hao were of the famous anti-Feng faction. But now, the supreme elders of Spirit Affinity House knew that Feng Huang was an immortal venerable seed with infinite future prospects. Fairy Lu Fang's attitude this time clearly showed the political direction of Spirit Affinity House. Li Juning had also expected this and had thus accompanied Zhao Lianyun to prevent anyone from reducing Zhao Lianyun's sect benefits. Fortunately, that did not happen. It could be foreseen that this couple would have to face some political cold shoulders next. And in this coldness, they could only unite anyone they could, for instance Zhao Lianyun, and then huddle together for warmth. Northern Plains, Chu tribe. The famous strength path, Gu Immortal Chu Du put down an information path, Gu worm, in his hand. Fang Yuan, it is really not easy to be your friend. Chu Du gave a bitter smile. This letter Gu was sent by Fang Yuan. He was asking for immortal essence stones. Fang Yuan had once cooperated with Chu Du using the alias of Lu Guanyi, and their relationship had not been shallow. Not long ago, Heavenly Court assassinated Gu Immortal Yun Liang, destroying Longevity Heaven's plan as well as publicizing the secret that Fang Yuan and Lu Guanyi were the same person, while incriminating the crime on Fang Yuan. Hence, Chu Du already knew Lu Guanyi was Fang Yuan. But Chu Du was not too surprised. In fact, he had once had suspicions regarding this, and had even sang a poem to test Fang Yuan. Whether it be Lu Guanyi or Fang Yuan, Chu Du wanted to collaborate with both. However, the current Chu Du's identity was different from before. He was now the first supreme elder of Chu tribe. He had a lot of Gu Immortals under him, and was a member of the Righteous Path. As a Northern Plains Righteous Path Gu Immortal, if he continued to collaborate with Fang Yuan, the moment it was exposed, all his previous effort in creating his force would turn into naught. Collaborating with Fang Yuan was extremely risky. Chu Du had planned to ignore it at first and maintain a vague attitude, but Fang Yuan did not give him this opportunity and directly sent a letter asking for Immortal Essence Stones. And in this letter, Fang Yuan only mentioned of borrowing Immortal Essence Stones. He intentionally did not mention the specific amount. The meaning was for Chu Du to decide how much to lend. This made Chu Du feel even more troubled. As expected of someone like Fang Yuan, Chu Du sighed. Oh, Chu Du is lending me 150,000 Immortal Essence Stones. Fang Yuan soon received Chu Du's reply. Moreover, the amount Chu Du was lending had slightly surpassed Fang Yuan's expectation. In Chu Du's reply letter, he had written in euphemistic words. He talked about their pleasant past collaboration, then talked of how unexpected events and circumstances in life toyed with people and how their camps differed, which created an awkward situation. Moreover, lending 150,000 Immortal Essence Stones was already his limit, and the time for returning it could be determined by Fang Yuan himself. Looks like Chu Du still wants to continue collaborating with me. Reckless Savage's true meaning is tempting after all. This reply immediately let Fang Yuan know of Chu Du's attitude and intention. Chu Du was originally born a lone cultivator. Later he went against Lu tribe and was accused of being in the demonic path. Now, he had established Chu tribe and was in the righteous path. But by nature, he still prioritized his own benefits. So despite the high risks of collaborating with Fang Yuan, due to the huge profits, Chu Du did not hesitate to take the risk, not only lending 150,000 Immortal Essence Stones, but also personally writing a reply letter. This letter Gu might only be Immortal Gu, but its significance was not ordinary. If Fang Yuan took it out, it would be strong proof that Chu Du was collaborating with the demonic path. But this was done intentionally by Chu Du. He used this method to give Fang Yuan a hold on him, to express his sincerity in collaborating. And Fang Yuan felt this sincerity fully. I can continue to collaborate with Chu Du. Of course, the calamity beckoning Gu I lent him before is also a strong foundation of collaboration between us. Fang Yuan was rather pleased. 150,000 Immortal Essence Stones was already a high amount. Normally, a rank 6 Gu Immortal would have at most 1,000 Immortal Essence Stones as reserve. Rank 7 Gu Immortals would have roughly 10,000. Most rank 7 Gu Immortals usually had several thousands of Immortal Essence Stones as their reserve. And at rank 8 level, having several tens of thousands in reserve was the minimum. They would often have over 100,000, and those senior rank 8s would even have 1,000,000. As for rank 9, their Immortal Essence Stones would reach 10 million, or even 100 million. Of course, it depended on the Gu Immortals' individual circumstances. As far as organizations were concerned, an ordinary superforce would have around 1,000,000 Immortal Essence Stones in reserve. Wu clan had such reserves, which is why in the Battle of the Dream Realm, Wu Yong did not hesitate to lend Fang Yuan 100,000 Immortal Essence Stones. This was within the capability of Wu clan. Of course, Wu clan could lend much more, but Wu Yong thought this amount was enough for Fang Yuan to stabilize the Immortal formation. And Chu tribe was a recently established superforce. Although they had many Gu Immortals, most of them were of strength path and had few assets to themselves. According to Fang Yuan's estimate, it was good if Chu tribe had 600,000 Immortal Essence Stones in reserve. And Chu Du had lent 150,000 from this reserve of 600,000 Immortal Essence Stones, and with no time limit to return it. His sincerity was truly high. There was no doubt that Immortal Essence Stones was also a factor to weigh a Gu Immortals and a force's strength. But it was not that the more money you saved, the better. Just piling up money without making use of it was like collecting dust. Storage of Immortal Essence Stones followed the same logic. With Chu Du's support, Fang Yuan's originally emptied Immortal Essence Stone storage jumped to 150,000. But Fang Yuan was not satisfied. He continued to patiently wait for replies. He had not only sent the letter to Chu Du, but also sent them to the 3 eccentrics of Crazed Demon Cave, as well as Miao Ming Shun of Eastern Sea, asking for Immortal Essence Stones. The request for Immortal Essence Stones was only one objective. Fang Yuan had another goal as well. It was to know their attitudes, especially in this sensitive time when his Lu Guan identity was exposed. The replies of the 3 Crazed Demon Eccentrics and Miao Ming Shun came almost at the same time. Both sides agreed to Fang Yuan's request, each lending a sum of Immortal Essence Stones. The former gave 200,000 Immortal Essence Stones, while the latter gave 100,000. The 3 Crazed Demon Eccentrics' attitude towards Fang Yuan had gotten even more warm than before, with no issues regarding Fang Yuan's true identity. As far as these 3 were concerned, they did not care about the fight between the righteous path or demonic path. From their perspective, there was only limitless true inheritance. They would acknowledge anyone that could help them achieve this desire. And the stronger Fang Yuan became, the higher their acknowledgement of him. As for Miao Ming Shun, he had a pleasant interaction with Fang Yuan's other identity, Qing. In the trading convention, Fang Yuan had taken the initiative to sell Lifespan Gu to Miao Mingshun. This sharply elevated Fang Yuan's status to Miao Mingshun. Therefore, Miao Mingshun had specially written in the letter. His funds were quite tight recently. 100,000 was his current limit, but if it was not enough, he could borrow from his friends to aid Fang Yuan. Like this, Fang Yuan got 3 batches of Immortal Essence Stones, the total amount reaching 450,000. Whether it be his previous life or currently, he had never possessed such an enormous sum of Immortal Essence Stones. However, Fang Yuan did not stop borrowing. He then discussed with Lian Land Spirit and borrowed a sum of Immortal Essence Stones, and also used his sect contribution points to exchange for another sum until it reached Lian Land Spirit's bottom line. I cannot exchange anymore. Although you have a lot of sect contribution points, the sect also needs to have some in reserve to prepare for any unexpected situations. Lian Land Spirit firmly refused. In these recent few years, because of his development plan for the Blessed Land, the rich foundation was being constantly expended. Adding on the previous time when Fang Yuan used large amounts of sect contribution points to exchange for immortal materials, as well as make Lian sect refine Immortal Gu, Lian sect's foundation was further expended sharply. When Lian Land Spirit refused Fang Yuan, Lian sect had no more than 300,000 Immortal Essence Stones left in reserve. Fang Yuan then asked Bai Ningbing. Bai Ningbing had inherited by Xiang Grotto Heaven. It should have had a huge Immortal Essence Stone reserve. Among the Shadow Sect Gu Immortals, Bai Ningbing was the richest. He Lulan was the poorest, and Ying Wuxia was similar. Although he had possessed Fairy Chuibo's body, her immortal aperture and resources were all taken by Bai Ningbing as battle spoils. After Lady White Rabbit and Fairy Miao Yin heard of Fang Yuan's action, they took the initiative to lend some Immortal Essence Stones, although the amount was rather small. Among all the lenders, Lady White Rabbit's terms were the most lax. She had even said with a flushed face that it would not matter even if Fang Yuan did not return the Immortal Essence Stones. At second were Fairy Miao Yin and Chu Du, who did not put a limit on the time of return. The 3 crazed demon eccentrics wanted to make use of Fang Yuan, but their friendship was shallow after all, so they lent according to the market rate. Lian Land Spirit did the same. Among them, Miao Mingxin's time limit was the most lax. The harshest loan term was from Bai Ningbing. She mentioned a rather interesting condition. She could lend a large amount of Immortal Essence Stones to Fang Yuan, but the more Fang Yuan borrowed, the higher the interest and shorter the return time. Fang Yuan then borrowed most of her Immortal Essence Stones. After borrowing from here and there, Fang Yuan's Immortal Essence Stones had reached an astonishing amount of over 1,730,000, a huge sum. This reserve had already surpassed what Chu tribe, Lian sect, and most of the super forces could take out. Among Gu Immortals, almost no rank 6 and rank 7 Gu Immortals had such capital. Even among rank 8 Gu Immortals, only few possessed such capital. They were usually long-time rank 8 experts with a reserve of more than 1 million Immortal Essence Stones. Naturally, this was purely comparing quantity. The truly healthy form of assets was to maintain balance between income and expenditure. Fang Yuan might be holding this huge sum, but it was not his, he had only borrowed it. In an instant, Fang Yuan was deep in debt. However, he was not nervous at all. He was fully confident he could use these Immortal Essence Stones to earn even more.